they'll be on the red side. I actually have a feeling that they'll be on the red side throughout this entire series. We know the D+, they really like picking blue, and so they will probably stay there regardless of whether they get first pick or not.
We do see the Pantheon and Jarvan bans targeted towards Lucid right away here on the first pick side of things for DRX. The Varus will go first, and I think Rumble will follow.
Yeah, this is a really interesting one because that means that Jace or Malphite are likely to get through unless we're going to give up the Rumble ban or something like that.
Well, I think right now, for me, that Jace is no longer really viable in the jungle. He's not a strong pick like he was once before. And the Malphite's a little bit more niche, so the Nocturne ban is quite interesting here. It might be looking more towards the Orianna Azir type of trade as the Rumble gets banned here now by DRX. And now that you've banned the Nocturne, obviously the first pick Azir stocks go up quite substantially. And so let's see what D+ want to do, because if they want to trade those, DRX obviously has first priority on the pick. Yeah. So they will pick the Azir. So what's this ban going to be? You have to wonder now. Maybe a Yunara ban if they don't want to play it themselves. And that's what they'll do.
Yeah, that's what it's going to be. I actually have a weird theory about the Azir. And I think that perhaps like either it'll be second round pick. This is obviously going to be something like an Orianna for UCal, as first pick Orianna has been one of the most common things that DRX have gone for, especially in game ones. But is this going to be the Azir? Or does Showmaker go for something that's a little bit more of a counter to the Orianna in lane? We know Ori does decently into the pitch.
That's a decent question. I'm actually surprised with no Nocturne here that they picked the Orianna over the Azir, but you mentioned playstyle-wise, that has been how DRX have been playing, and a lot of those skirmishes in the bottom lane have gone the way of DRX as a result of that, because of the powerful laning phase and the faster roam. This is not a surprise. This is a strong flex pick between Lucid and Shiu, and honestly, if they have something else prepared for Showmaker, they could even lock right now, since the mid's already in play, Lulu, and take it away and empower this Ambessa pick and look for a strong bottom 2v2 through the Lulu as well. It's something we haven't really seen teams do too much. This is a similar idea, and Andil has been target banned with this Bard so many times. They'll just take it away from him.
Yeah, I actually really like this. I do like Lulu Ambessa. It's kind of my favorite thing, but this is taking such a strong weapon away from DRX because Andal has been so incredibly good. And now Korea can demonstrate whether he has got some of that Bard energy in him in this best of 5. Now to round out the first round of picks here for DRX, could just be the top side of the map that they do lock in, as jungle is theoretically open, but instead looking towards the bottom side as Andal, he really likes throwing anchors. You mentioned it already, Wolf. He will never give up an opportunity to be Nautilus
and it's crazy
to throw a hook.
How much success he's had just playing Nautilus into range supports in the bottom lane, because he does make those all-ins work, and Gio has really leveled up his 2v2 laning phase and is able to follow up on those engages a lot better than what we saw from him last year. So most bottom lanes I wouldn't trust this, and I still don't think it favors them, and the 2v2 will likely see here, but very powerful. The Azir will ultimately just come through in this third slot. They're not going to push an 80 carry up into that spot here to try to combat the Corki.
Yep. Also holds onto the flex pick of the Ambessa. I kind of like that as well. But I was expecting an 80 carry pick to come on through.
It's now really tricky if you are DRX to try to ban here what D+ have, because you are probably focused on 80 carry in this scenario. But there's just so many viable picks here in game 1 that work well with Bard. So to try to ban Ezreal, which, yeah, okay, you can do that, but there's still a lot viable here, right? Like, and you're not even playing a dive comp necessarily, so the Ezreal isn't even that strong for D+ in this angle. But I think D+ have so many more cards hidden that it becomes a little bit more challenging, whereas you can just ban top prio picks here like the Renekton pretty easily if you're D+ Gia.
I do like the Ezreal ban just because of D+'s playstyle. They don't like peeling, they like killing.
Like, this is so free, though. The Gwyn Renekton ban for D+, like, those two can do quite well into Ambessa and are also very strong blind. So I do think that's very smart. The Sivir, I like, because Sivir Bard is very problematic to deal with.
Yep. And also, Sivir Azir is just kind of ridiculous wave clear and things like that. It's very hard to push in. And we know, DRX kind of went through a bit of a slog in their last matchup.
Now you can play almost anything here if you are D+. Like you could go even Kai'Sa, and because you have the Bard, you can get through the laning phase. They'll go for the Jhin.
Jhin Bard, pretty classic lane.
This makes me feel like the Mbessa is probably going top lane, because you're going to want those additional stats to have that hard engage for the Jhin that you're not going to have if you're in the jungle. You won't be able to have as many items as quickly. You won't have to farm, and the levels are going to feel really nice. And I think DRX are happy to play the Xin Zhao here blind. It's a great front line for them, great ball carrier, best available. Ooh. Now this is a little tricky.
That's a bit of fun. So the Kennen coming out into the theoretical Mbessa.
They agree, I think, that they think this Mbessa is going top, but this gives D+ now the opportunity to switch it up, and they will.
Yeah, and it looks like Jason to the top lane is going to be coming on through, and a lot of those nerfs that we did see were based on Jungle Jace, and so him towards the top side, which we have already seen, is likely to be the answer here.
It's
so
really,
a bit of double ranged.
It's really risky to play Jace top, but I think into this draft, it can work incredibly well because you already have the Mbessa for engage with the Bard to mess up some of the setup here for D+. And if you think you can play this matchup confidently enough, if you can walk that tightrope, don't overextend, track the enemy jungler, keep an eye on where Willer is at all times because he wants to be winning the bottom lane because they don't have a range support down there. He needs to be focused there. You can generate a significant lead, get your ult quest online faster, and then the Mbessa is going to be your primary form of hard engage here to set up the Jhin. I think DRX read this well with the Kennen pick, but the problem is when you go for first pick, these things can always just flip, and that was why that Kennen pick was so risky, because even though we assumed that with this Jhin pick, the Mbessa was likely going top, they can swap that at the end and say, well, we have a strong top lane now instead.
That's actually very clever, the way that they've done it. But the thing that I really like about both of these drafts is that the win condition, or the way that they're going to play out team fights is so incredibly different. Like, a lot of what D+ wants to do is a lot of smoke and mirrors, right? You want to be able to find those shots, get the snipes through, you know, land the poke, make things happen, and then finally the Azir swoops in and mops them up. It's very tempo reliant, right? If they do fall behind, there's just, it's a juggernaut. We're just going to walk at you and press R buttons composition coming out of DRX. And I don't think the team fighting power in a front-to-back sense is going to be there from D+, like what DRX has. And so if they can play the game on their terms, this could be DRX doing it again and wiping out another top team.
미니언들이 생성되었습니다.
All right, so I may have overspoke there just a little, because of course if they win this game, it is just 1-0, and theoretically D+ could come back and win the next game. But I mentioned earlier that D+ have been a little bit prone to chaining losses together. As Gio is already barriering, and Smash has already finished his, as we are just fighting here in this bottom lane.
Andil going for the Ignite. They just wanted to all in at level 1, but Gio ends up getting the worst end of this trade with the heal coming back from Career.
And flash advantage here for Career as well. And so a Flash Cosmic binding, something like that, they have to really check their angles. And you can see this ward still in the brush. Fourth shot going to connect. And DRX in a lot of trouble here. Like, we already said it. Like, Jhin Bard is a terrifying lane. And that starts at level 1.
I get the idea here because it is a really, really unfortunate lane to play into when you're playing into the Bard. You opted into this, so you know you have to trust those all-ins. But the Ignite take here does not really end up working out in their favor. It's not a horrible scenario for them, but it's definitely not a favorable one either. And so as a result, we are going to see tons of lane control here. In fact,
oh, the flash forward there from Career as they do manage to get the first blood. Career will sacrifice himself for it. His Deadly Flourish is just walked away from. As Smash in melee range with Andil is not exactly what he wants to do. Flashes eventually in order to get out of the way, but Andil, he's the one that stands tall.
Yeah, unfortunately for Gio, a lot of lost minions though, and Andil is going to misread this, go to the bottom side, so it's a freebie for Smash. We'll get out. Like would have gotten out either way, but we'll escape this way through the top side, and bit of a fiery start in the bottom lane. And
I don't know whether it's good. Is it good, Wolf? Like,
is at the end of the day, like when you look at this as, yeah, this is a win streak, although it's a bit of a niche pick. Look at how things eventuate. Considering the scenario before this for Gio, I think it's actually slightly better for DRX than it was if we didn't trade. Because now they're in a position where they can actually get access back to that wave. The CS is going to kind of even out a little bit here. And Career had flash advantage. He used it to trade kills. And now we've kind of reset here.
And both of the kills went to supports as well. So it's not like Smash gets the kill, but then the follow-up is Andil or something like that. It's evenly traded between the two that didn't necessarily want the most of that money.
If Smash was able to get another wave or something before backing, or grab a plate after the play instead of running away and also having to flash, then it would have felt much better. But he also had to flash there because of Andil. So yeah, I think it's a slight net negative for D plus on that one.
Yeah. That being said, they do still have a slight gold advantage after that wave is mopped up. You can see it does go down in favor of them to push them to about 5 minions in surplus. As Andil here waiting around, you saw Gio actually going back for another cheeky back, so needed to collect his tier. Does so, will be able to start stacking that one up. That doesn't exactly give him combat power here in this lane, as Smash really wanted to walk a little bit faster. So he will have those shoots now collected.
Top lane, Willer has a potential angle here.
Yeah, but another anchor is going to connect. Andil just threads the needle, and Smash is so dead. Gio going to be able to pick that one up.
And this is the problem with losing that flash on the Jhin in the exchange at the end there. That flash is so much more valuable, and you had such a tempo lead in the lane. You reset things on the flashless Jhin. Like I said, Andil, he takes every hook he can, but he does not miss. And if you're going to stand like that and get caught flashless, you are going to pay the price.
Yeah, and this is what I was kind of thinking, right? Because when you're the ones that have the range advantage, when you're playing in the neutral and you're just going to win in general, you don't need to die.
Yeah, you just need to whittle them down.
To keep them away from the wave.
You know, when you're in a favorable position, you know, you don't need to actually just go for the all-in, right? Like, it was...
The pressure wasn't on them.
Exactly. Andil, for example, went for the all-in at level 1 with his Ignite pick because the pressure was on them, right? Like, they're the ones who have to make a call like that in this lane. And as it turns out, ends up being a big backfire. Once again, Gio is gifted a lead in the early game by his support Andil.
And this is actually kind of massive, right? Because we know Corki just gets so good on 2 items. And to be accelerated like this after things were looking dire, this is a huge deal. As now DRX moved to about a 300 gold lead. It's not really much of anything at all, but all of the action has been in this bottom side. And we also know that Jhin just doesn't feel that good as the game goes on.
Yeah.
And so the fact that they have fallen behind with this pick just kind of compounds that negative feeling.
Well, it's a free dragon that comes as a result of it as well.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, with Shio's early tempo teleport to grab a longsword, he had to back a second time, and now Rich has level 6 advantage. Well, he's going to use it.
Yeah, that is going to be Shio taking a lot here from Rich, but he's still got 200 health. Actually goes back in, which is kind of insane, as he flashes to get out of the way of the assumed shuriken.
That was crazy.
Yeah, the fact that he flashed preemptively as good magical journey there from Korea. Smash still moving forward, wanting to find an angle here as Lucid and Showmaker are making their way down. Flash out from Lucid there to avoid the shockwave, which doesn't actually connect. Empress Divide now onto 2 as Willa flashes, but he's still going to die. It's the Bard getting another one as Ando likely to go down next, and Gio will be shut down by Smash. Showmaker still on full health after he eats some of that honey fruit, and DK, guess what, Wolf? They found a team fight win around a Scuttle Crab area.
Yeah, the Dragon
and the Scuttle Crab's still alive.
The Dragon goes over to DRX, but the fight promptly a D+ win. And the big part of this is, watch this from Lucid. The flash is insane. Gets away from the shockwave there, and that's a huge part of this early scrapping power here for the side of DRX. And look at how much damage is done. I like Gio's angle here on the Valkyrie. It actually ends up doing a lot of burn damage, but he does no flash to get over the wall. So he ends up going down as well, but really good flash there from Lucid, expecting this play, and that reaction really turned the fight around. And unfortunately for Yukao, just wasn't able to do as much as he would have liked there. It does pick up a kill in the end.
Yep. I mean, as soon as the shockwave does 0, then things are going to go terribly in the fight. It's just kind of how it goes. As right now, Showmaker being able to take that advantage to the bank. 1-0-2 now on the Azir, and will be probably still even on farm, but you can see Yukao looking a little worse for wear underneath this turret. And with mid-priority, like, this is how DK look good, right? They play around Showmaker. He's very good at pushing advantages as Cosmic Binding does go wide. And this has also helped alleviate the issues on the bottom side. Even though Gio still has a slight lead, it is now back to even as Deadly Flourish does come through. A hook is going to uncharacteristically miss here from Andil.
Smash keeps it cool there. Knows the angle. doesn't have to flash or anything like that. His flash is back up now, so they can play a little bit more aggressively. Now Lucid's going to try to take this bottom side prio here and look for a blue steal.
Yeah.
Invade, I should say.
As Korea has swept things out, Hook is going to connect immediately onto him, wants to take that magical journey, and he might be able to do so, but I still think he's dead, as Willa can just take it as well, and you can see a little bit frustrated in the player cams there on for Korea, who was just a little bit too far forward.
Wanted to assist to make sure that blue was taken by
Really
Lucid.
good phosphorus bomb from Gio to make sure that he was there as well.
Yeah, 100%, and the magical journey, you can follow that, of course, so no real escape for Korea, who was flashless. Stayed a little bit too long.
All right, Gio fighting against Smash once again, but taking that burst as there's the curtains. Gio looking for an angle here, does try to get out, and the Valkyrie will be able to do so. As stuck between a rock and a hard place here, ladies and gentlemen, as Gio kind of realizing he's trying to work out what he can do. Flash is available for both of them, and there it is. Smash just needs one more, and there it is! Through the barrier, says the fourth bullet. No worries there at all.
I think Gio should have barriered the previous bullet and flashed, and maybe, I don't know, there's not really much you could do in that scenario, but he waited till the last possible second. The damage is real on the fourth shot, though, and that barrier isn't enough.
Yeah, that was just a little bit sad. Like, you saw it. Gio was like, well, I mean, if I go the other direction, I'm dead. As Gio's going to get locked up into the air. In goes Willa, looking to try and take him down, and they will be able to grab that kill. Andal just very comfortably tanks up the turret. And even though he wasn't there to defend Gio there on the bottom side, he's able to kill Xiu on the top side.
Well, we're already over a kill per minute here, pre-10.
That's what we like to see.
And it is a very exciting start. Trying to quantify the lead is a little bit more difficult, as in terms of gold, we are dead even, but where the gold is where you have to really point your finger. Is top side advantages have meant much less so far here in the early days of LCK Cup in 2026. But, you know, the bigger lead, I think, in this mid lane for Showmaker is what's really going to be what we're keeping our eyes on moving into this mid game.
Yeah, there's another shockwave that's just going to get unstoppable by Lucid. I mean, throwing it to the guy that can just avoid the CC is probably suboptimal. However, they wanted to make sure that they could get the second dragon as well, and with Lucid having no ultimate, maybe there's going to be an opportunity there. Shock Blast does go wide, as Rich taking a bit of damage and electrocute here is now Korea face checking. Not sure about that one, but it's Willa that's taking the brunt of this. Deadly Flourish from Smash as he's looking for a flank angle. As we know the Lucid doesn't have the public execution, but DRX members are getting so low, and the Cosmic Binding connects onto Gio. He's in melee range, and now he is dead as Showmaker looks to get out of there and will be able to do so, but now the stun lands onto Willa as well. Cosmic Binding after the flash is going to miss, though, and Smash just needs a little bit more for that bullet. Andal read him like a book, as there's the curtains being called yet again. As Smash just really wanting to try and take down Willa, but thankfully there is a big, big daddy in the way.
Smash is like, maybe he's not blocking for him. Let's check and
yeah,
see.
Exactly. He's like, maybe he'll just like walk early, you know, because he's a fucking war.
Maybe, you never know. Did not happen in this case. Is Rich going to go for another all in here?
Yeah, there's a slicing maelstrom onto Xiu. He's going to try and turn it as best he can. Does get the boot back, and down goes Rich. But man, it was so close.
Yeah, a bit of a coin flip on that one in terms of how close it was. I thought Rich had it calculated with the stun coming through, but he did not have
5 HP.
Wow.
Reports G-Sun from backstage. Oh my goodness.
He just did not have that extra 5 damage he needed, and the difference this makes is massive. Not only the kill, but the plate that goes over, the denied farm. Rich does not have TP. Going back to this fight here, I want everyone to watch, okay, initially going into this one, Career takes a lot of damage, but Gio here comes in and then they try to go for Lucid, and he puts himself completely out of position here. I think they should have just tried to push towards the top side of the fight and front to back a little bit more here. Instead, he just completely isolates himself from the rest of his team. The Tempered Fate allows Showmaker to escape freely, and they get these chase kills here as well. So watch this. This is from the perspective of Xiu, as in live, another all-in the bottom lane.
Yeah, in the meantime, even more happening, but let's have a look at it. Stun came down and gets the boot back, and the put in the works auto attack to take him down, and yeah, that'd be my reaction as well.
That's like a huge momentum swing in the top lane, because Rich had been constantly able to apply that pressure and was really generating a significant lead up there, and now it's just completely gone.
And now Willer is trying to take some more of these grubs, as Empress Divide does get the flash out from Willa. As Lucid not interested in finishing these grubs off and actually just wants to come over and kill this Xin Zhao. He's only level 8 to the level 9 of Lucid here, and I think that he can just walk in and take his stuff. He's a bit of a bully here. And that is just going to be the red buff taken down. Smite wasn't even there.
Yeah, neither of them had it.
As he can just walk in, and it's like everything just belongs to him. He is the schoolyard bully.
This timing for Showmaker's back's a little risky.
Oh, Tempered Fate going to eat the entire lightning rush as the flash does have to come out there from Rich. Rear is just everywhere in this game.
They may be able to make something happen here around Grubs, DRX that is, with Rich having the ult available. Not going to chase any further in terms of the fight. We'll be able to secure the final part of the Grubs there. And it was a tense moment there with the Tempered Fate being used. A little bit laissez-faire there. It ended up being high value, except stopping the lightning rush.
Yeah. And getting a flash out of a cannon is always
good. It's just that the eventual objective doesn't go their way.
Yeah.
And I thought they would maybe try to look for a broader team fight there with the group up they had.
It looks like they just don't care about Grubs at all. They didn't seem very interested. So they managed to steal away the enemy red buff. That's what they really wanted. And then able to get themselves back out onto the map. You can see Nash's Tooth is now done for Showmaker, as well as a couple of Ghost Blades here for both Smash and Xiu. It's an interesting composition because there is a lot of physical damage and yet double lethality items coming out first here. It does mean that if there is any armor that can be built, then it's going to be very valuable. The problem is there's no tanks to build it outside of Andal. So they're not really going to get punished for that. As Andal just going to get pirouetted on here by Lucid.
Look at the lead that in farm that Lucid has right now over Willer. It's pretty insane with all the camps he's been able to steal away. Very frustrating to deal with. Gio's at least going to help defend this Gromp here, but that is going to be a free blue buff as Willer is nowhere near. Does not have Hex Gates or anything like that, so another one bites the dust. Lucid just picking up a ton of extra money, as well as the ability to clear the jungle faster with his blue buff that he just picked up.
And gives a blue over to Showmaker as well, so...
Yeah, it's a lot of small advantages really starting to stack up here against DRX, and could feel the pressure, like Rich's face cam earlier. We saw that. Andal as well looking a little bit frustrated because I think they knew they were gifted such a significant advantage in this early game and then kind of botched the execution on a few of these fights and skirmishes that now lead to they don't have a lead anywhere, right? It was before, okay, Showmaker's the big problem. Well, we got our bottom lane stable. No longer the case there. Top lane was a pretty big advantage for Rich. Obviously losing that 1v1 with 5 health means that that's a huge issue now there on the top side. As now the Herald has spawned, we are seeing a group up here for DRX, and they have their combo at the ready, but they do not have their AD carry, and Xiu does have teleport, so if D+ can stall this out, they can, I think, definitely secure this.
Yeah, and it's been really interesting the way that DK have been setting up around objectives. As soon as they see DRX approaching, they don't want the fight. It feels like DK understand that if they catch DRX on an objective themselves, they can get the setup and the flanks, then it can work. And otherwise, they want to avoid that sort of front-to-back team fight. The turn is not necessarily as good. And I kind of like it, the identification of what this composition can do. As Tempered Fate to turn off this turret, Rich just has to get out of there with the Lightning Rush. Not too much more going to come of it, but the Rift Herald does go over to D+. That's their time.
Do get the first turret on the bottom side of the map, though, for Gio, and he picks up a ton of money and actually picks up a gold lead because of it.
Big one, too.
So D+, you know, they decided we're going to play the side lane top side. Took a lot longer, though, to do it, and because of the bottom side control that Willer had, like, they pushed Xiu out of the lane, got the turret, and they're going to pick up a dragon here.
Whoa, Flash Depth Charge does come on through as the public execution. I don't know whether he really wanted to go that way as Lucid flashes and dies. And the Drake is taken on the other side. DRX with multiple wins across the map.
And maybe even potentially more here.
Yeah, remember, Gio took down the turret. And so Xiu is likely just dead as well. The Flash is also employed, but it's not going to save him, and Gio gets another kill. He may have died 4 times, but he's starting to make some money.
I mean, this game has been so much, it's such a quintessential DRX game. Almost all of the success they have had since the group battle has been they find punish plays. This team has been the most punishing team in postseason here for LCK Cup. If you make a mistake, you go over the line, they will catch you. That was a super bizarre decision there to try to look for the return, and then down here, She was like, okay, I guess they got the dragon, they're probably going to back, but has no information, and just walks up here to try to farm and gets taken out. So much money's given over to the Corki. They get the second dragon, they got first turret. Rich has freedom in the top lane now as well, with Shu dead. They are just winning everywhere, and it's a massive swing. Now the gold is dead even.
Yep. Teleport does come on through, as you can see, the Tempered Fate not able to stop Rich from going home. And so he does get that teleport out of there. A bigger cooldown to be employed, but does keep himself alive, and that is certainly good news. Showmaker down here, defending this turret. And he has been quite quiet, and I think that that might have been leading to some of the issues that DK have had, as they haven't been able to translate this large lead that Showmaker has into getting very much more. But it's really clever from DRX, right? Avoid the money and take down the rest of them to try and build up your own coffers. And it's Gio that has that, heading closer and closer towards those two items, and is now actually looking for a back. We'll see whether it's going to be enough for him to pick up his Manamune, as he's very, very close to max stacks for the Muir Mana as well. As another anchor is going to connect onto Korea. He's taking a lot of damage, has to flash to get himself out. Magical Journey, a very short one, as the curtains have now been called. Jiu is now having Smash in point-blank range. Doesn't exactly get to use all of these, as there's a great shockwave onto Lucid to take him out. Finally, he kills the Ambassador with that ability, as Gio realizes the rest of his team's here, and DK are not, and DRX win a team fight as well.
I thought Showmaker was signed for multiple years here for D+. Thought he's the showmaking, playmaking maker, but he's just not showing up to these scraps. He's not showing up to these skirmishes at all to stand in the side lane, and they need him. He's the major gold lead. He's the big threat. He's the one who can split these fights up with Emperor's Divide, and he is just AFK in this one. Yeah. I'm not to blame him, because the win con for them is to split, is to get the Azir fed, use that side lane win con, but he doesn't have grubs, so it's taking a little bit longer. And this fight, they were so all in on the Nautilus with the channel there from Smash. He wasn't able to really offer any damage. Gio's just like, all right, well, I'll just eat your barrier and shove onto you. You have to back off, and then we collapse back in. Ando goes for the re-engage hook when he's super low. Ando's confidence is unreal. He's 3-1-5. He's picked up so many of these kills. He starts this off onto career, and then Showmaker doesn't want to, can't TP in now, right? But as the Orianna has the faster rotation, he could have opted for it, but instead he's just like, nah, you guys can take care of this. I'm just going to keep pushing bottom side here. Ando gets this re-engage hook. Yukao shows up to the fight. Showmaker does not. Smashes at half health because of that exchange with Gio, and Willer could just hard push into the front line here. And this is just a disaster for D+.
Yep, and Shu was there, and Rich wasn't. And so the fact that D+ lost yet another kill, and it wasn't exactly a man advantage or anything like that for DRX, it was just the fact that the money was not there for DK. So they're gonna have to fix it, and DK, after, you know, figuring things out in the early game, they won that early skirmish, got a little complacent. And if you're a DK fan, you'll understand that's happened before. She was just really dead. Rich just finds him, presses R, and down goes the Jace.
This Jace is a very fragile pick, and it is not safe in side lanes in this meta. I think part of why we're seeing the Jace fall off, like, we used to be picked as a counter pick in controlling top lane in so many matchups, but it has just fallen off in a big way. Even with the buffs this patch, I was like, I think we'll see it as a niche pick. But into the Kennen here, once you fall behind, can't just get all in. He was obviously having a bit of a struggle in the early lane, but if the jungle shows up, we saw Willer earlier, you're just so fragile. He's 1-4 now. He's so far behind.
Yeah, and I mean, if you think back to, you know, D+ of old, Nogari certainly did like a good old 1-4 Jace, but it does not necessarily work out. So we'll see whether D+ can get some relevance out of Shiu here. Rift Herald did get a little bit of a charge, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
But not able to take the turret
look
down.
At the map, though. I mean, they get the charge, but Yukao looks like he's going to get a whole turret, and they don't get the turret in mid lane, and they don't have a play here.
Well, Hook going to connect onto Showmaker as he gets knocked up. Tempered Fate to keep him safe. As now Lucid looking for an angle. Flash out of the way from Andal to avoid the deadly flourish. And that is just going to be disengage here from DRX as the Drake is going to come up. It would be soul point for DRX. But control of the area belongs to D+ at the moment.
Yeah, it's going to take him a while, though. Rich going in.
Yeah, Ghostblade.
I mean, Yukao has his ultimate at the ready here. This could be absolutely a favorable fight for DRX. Yukao has the time to come back in. Got an extra rod.
Well, in goes Sheer, looking to take down Andal, and he does successfully do that, but he'll sacrifice himself for it.
Top laner for support on a fight like this. I'm not sure if that's the trade he was looking for. Showmaker has to save this.
I mean, Andal is very important, though, for DRX. Otherwise, they don't have very much engage. So maybe that's going to be enough to give DK the confidence. I think without the Jace, though, can get problematic, but Slicing Maelstrom's back up. Rich has flash. He could win the game for them right here. Shockwave connects onto Lucid. He does still have the public execution. As in goes Showmaker, and he looks for the angle. He gets on top of G. The public execution is there as well, and the curtains, they have been called for DRX, but 2 are already down. And without Lucid and Showmaker, DK have no way of winning a fight, as it's almost the Drake take there from the Deadly Flourish, but it does not come through. So a 1 for 3, and DRX can do no wrong.
I think D+ should have decided to opt out. So we're going to go all the way back to this play here with Rich. Goes straight onto the Jace, 100-0. See you later. And then this fight, it's Showmaker looking for the angle, and he and Lucid coordinated so brilliantly, but the problem is there just isn't any long-term damage if Showmaker sacrifices himself for the engage, because you have a Jhin. You talked about it in the draft. It is so hard to front to back these team fights if you're not in a really favorable position. Lucid's so low that he has to sack himself as well when the engage comes through. Look at this from Showmaker. Great angle. Jin's already ulting. Lucid's got the angle as well. They're all coordinated, right? All 3 of them. But the sacrifice isn't worth it when, you know, we're still like, all right, well, we have Dragon Control, and thank you very much for the favorable trade plus Dragon. And now they're on sole point in this game. It's starting to look a little rough here for D+. The win cons are really starting to thin out, and Showmaker has spent a lot of time in side lanes. I think he's going to have to continue to do so, but they will have to show up for this next Dragon 100%.
And this is the thing that's a little bit scary, because this could mean a lot for DK, as Lucid's just dead again. Willer is going to turn that into another one onto Showmaker here at the same time. He tries to shift the sands as Shiu. Just one more auto and he's going to be going down, but Showmaker's dead on the other side of the map, and DK are falling apart at the seams.
Shiu could maybe have an angle here. Nah, I don't think so.
Yeah,
Rich is not even going to flash for the kill. He's like, taking this win, getting your flash is more valuable. They're going to take Baron on the top side. Everyone rotated bottom side trying to bail out the Jace, but there's nothing bottom side. This is just a free Baron.
Yeah.
DRX are running circles around D+ right now.
Wait.
And he does die to minions.
Did he die to a minion? Is that what happened?
There's, I guess that's the only explanation. He was.
I mean, Rich doesn't have an extra kill, right? So,
yeah.
Okay. Right.
Well, all right, so you mentioned it from the start, and this fight is just Lucid getting caught, right? They started the engage off without setup. They did not have the setup this time, and Showmaker was not in position to ult. So you were leading into it before this happened, though. The collapse of D+ sometimes in these series, the mental collapse that we often see, as she starts this off with a teleport interrupt.
The teleport, right.
And the Rich is like, okay, but I'm happy for that. All right, let's see what happens here.
This is the important part. It's what happens afterwards.
Yeah, it's too many minions.
Oh, wait. Yeah, it's just like, yeah, okay. Dies to the minion wave. There you go. Well, he's just, you know, he hasn't played really squishy top laners in a while. You know? It's Jace has been out of the meta.
DRX, I really truly feel so far here in playoffs / play-ins has just been the bar you have to be better than. And if you just kind of mess up or you're a little sloppy, they will obliterate you, it turns out. And in this game, it's just the same case here for D+.
And I think they just operate super well with, you know, the underdog buff. There's this DRX, they just punch harder than you expect. And DK are the team that are just... Yeah, they often get caught by teams like that. As Tempered Fate goes wide, Deadly Flourish gets flashed, and Rich going to keep himself alive. Shiu in a lot of trouble, as he's going to have to get out of there. Andal probably not wanting to go for that one, as he is taking a lot of damage from Showmaker. As DRX looking to push in with this Baron buff and make it work. 3,000 gold on the Red Bull Baron power play already, putting them at a 6.2k gold lead. DRX, like, I mean, they are just off to the races in this game. It's all right. Let's see whether they can find it. As there is the public execution, but the CC is there, and the Ambessa goes down.
Way too early for the TP flank. Let's see if he can get anything with the
Also,
shot
what
blast.
is a flanking Jace going to do anyway? As Empress Divide comes on through, and Showmaker immediately goes down. She was knocked out of the sky, and DRX is moving forward like a freight train. Smash likely to go down next as Willow looks for the angle. Wind becomes lightning. He's going to go wide, so that spells the end of that. But it is only Smash left alive. The base is going to be broken, and DRX are on the road to doing it again.
Yeah, this is a great start for them here. UCal, a little bit less great on this one.
Like, the amount of dying to minions this game is much higher than it should have been.
Yeah, I at least twice.
I know they buffed a few things about like turrets and the amount of like damage you can do to them and stuff like that, but it wasn't the minions, so that's still the same. There's
just so much damage this far behind that you can't solo engage like this, and Showmaker, because he's stuck in the base here, can't actually opt to help out, and Yukal's marked him, right? He's waiting for him. Has the Zhonya's as well, perfectly timed here. Shiu's flank does a little bit of burst, but it's just ultimately not enough. I'm curious where Yukal ended up picking up a ton of damage here. His career, okay, he's just got the aggro, and then too many minions for him as well. Yikes. Oh no. Doesn't have his abilities, or either doesn't have enough No? What happens? Oh. Yeah.
Right. So he just dies to the turret because he was trying
minions
to go
weren't
back
close enough
in range of the turret.
Okay, well, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it's very silly, it's very funny, but DRX, I think, are gonna laugh about it.
I have the feedback for him to avoid that happening, though. And that is, don't back under the enemy turret.
He thought the minions were going to cover him. He thought he was okay.
And also Andil thought that he'd be able to tank it for him, but he wasn't able to do that either. So.
You know, Career has an item advantage over Andil right now.
Hey, there you go.
He's got his fancy belt.
He's got a fancy belt. He's got his musical instrument. He's got his cool shield and another cool shield. And some shoes that were free.
I cannot believe that D+, after the turnaround in this game, just got outplayed repeatedly by DRX.
Yeah, like, I mean, I do believe it though, Wolf. We stated this earlier.
But I look at this scenario thinking the reason why I predicted D+ and why I predicted 3-1, by the way, we're still early in this series, but from a microcosm of this one game, was I thought in a scenario like what DRX was in, D+ always wins out. Like, D+ is the better team, they'll come back. It's kind of the opposite in this one, and DRX are suddenly just this insane team fighting team. Yeah. They're really good at skirmishes, they're really good at mid-game team fights, and you have to respect them. D+ did not, and they found out what that means here in this first game. Is the Nexus is still alive, but I think this lead is just too big now.
And also this composition from DRX it just sort of plays itself from this point. Yeah. And we stated it already, the way that these teams are going to be fighting later on in the game is going to be very, very different. And so if you're the one in control, then you're the one that's going to be able to call those shots. And right now it's DRX, so Andil just presses an R button on whoever he likes, and that player will die. That's just kind of how it will go, because they're the ones with the lead. Rich is also just gigantic in this game, even if he doesn't necessarily have a huge gold lead over the 3-7 Jace, which is very funny. It's Willa that is just huge, and he was getting ran around the map in the early game.
Jungle didn't belong to him for half the game.
Yeah.
And, I mean, they did not get a second inhibitor here. So that is, if you're a D+ fan, can breathe a sigh of relief. 2 minutes for the final inhibitor there on the bottom side. It will still be down on the opposite side of the map for Baron, so that's not great, but there is a chance.
Soul as well. Like, Xin Zhao with Mountain Soul, like, does Willa ever die again in this game?
He probably shouldn't, and you have to kill him twice with his GA as well. I am kind of the mind right now that this has been a game where the coordination is, despite some of the great combos we've seen, been misplaced by D+. Like, they've made the decision, okay, we can lock down this one target, let's all go, a few too many times, and Showmaker wasn't there for some of those early fights where they needed him. Now he just can do very little. Like, he's the one who has to somehow stop this Baron, save them, but they have to walk through like 17 wards to get this, so they can't. You know, it's too late. Like, there just isn't an angle here. We talk about late game Azir, we talk about Jace Shock Blast warping objectives, but if they can't even get halfway to the Baron, what does it mean? What does it matter?
Well, I mean, they have to try. And there is Rich finding the angle onto Showmaker. The Shockwave connects onto Career, but Showmaker does flash his way out of there. Shiu now getting ulted by Andil, but the knockup collects Career on the way through, and the Jace is separated and destroyed. A double kill just casually there for Shiu, and they'll just saunter back towards the Baron to take it down with ease.
This is looking very different than the last time these two teams matched up against each other. Showmaker down flash now. Baron is going to, you have to think, guarantee this base gets completely trashed here for D+. As Career's trying to set up for a play here and just gets shockwaved, right? Showmaker has to flash, he gets away, but doesn't have an ult angle. Rich just like, nah, I got you.
Magical journey to death.
Yeah. Less magical than it said on the brochure.
Yeah, indeed. Sometimes you do really get caught out by some of those tours, man. And Rich now has a Void Staff, so this cannon, he was scary before, he's more scary now. And 2 minutes on the Elder Dragon. I don't know whether we're even going to get there. There's a Rebel Baron power play ticking up as we've got 2.5 minutes for DRX to wreak havoc on the DK base.
They also have a comp that 4-1's incredibly well with a lead like this. You know, it's UCal is just going to clear waves insanely fast on the bottom side, and with Rich having his ultimate back up, he's just super safe.
Well,
Gio, on the other hand,
he's going to get booped back by the hammer, but he does offer a lot of damage himself with... He's got a Randuin's.
yeah, he just doesn't want to die.
He really likes Bruiser Corki, doesn't he? But he's taken it, I feel, an extra step with the Randuin's purchase. It's kind of cute, but don't know about it.
No, I mean, the Jason, the Ambessa can't hurt him now, basically.
Yeah, and I guess he just, like, presses the Randuin's button and Valkyries, and then they can't get up to him. It's kind of cute.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, all right, well. He's also got a Mountain Soul, so it's only going to get amplified as well. So I kind of like that as well, a situational purchase as the anchor is going to go wide. Gio is walking a little too fast there for Andal as just stands in it, does Rich, as he's very happy to be tempted fated. He will get held in position though, and it's Smash that's able to lock down that kill now.
Lucid
the curtains are being called. Let's see whether Lucid can actually find this. There's a couple more bullets left in the chamber. Deadly Flourish connects as they do have Andal, and they avoid the anchor. But now Willa goes in, and we will have to find out whether Willa can actually die. Goes down to the GA to start us off. As the engaged Corki comes in, the Shockwave is going to come through as well, and all the damage is melting. Gio just doesn't take damage. And the combo binding is actually fantastic, but Lucid, he cannot outfight this. And Andal comes forward. Is that going to be the Quadri? Yes, it is. And down goes the Nexus. Tank Corki, ladies and gentlemen, to take game 1 for DRX.
What a statement game from DRX. Imagine all the things that went wrong in the late part of the early game for them as well. Like, imagine Rich actually has 5 more damage and gets the kill. Imagine all the other things that went well for D+ to bring them back into the game. If those didn't happen, how more one-sided this game could have been. This is, for me, kind of mind-breaking right now, the improvement. I don't think any team has had the kind of rise to the play-ins into playoffs run that DRX is having right now. Like, no one has really had this improvement arc. DRX started the season off great, right? Like, they were playing close against even Gen G at the very first week, but they kind of fell off a little bit. Coach comms went away. We had questions. They put against D+ and got completely destroyed, right? But now, this looks like this team can do no wrong, and Gio and Ando are the backbone of it. Rich is playing more confidently. It's just game 1 here, but for those 3-0 D+ predictors, maybe wondering if D+ wins at all.
Yeah, this is the really scary thing, because now you need this team to bounce back. And it's something that they haven't done, especially after embarrassing games like that. They lost their vigilance, and they were punished for it immediately. DRX trying to do it again here against D+ as they move to 1-0 in this best of 5. We're going to take a short break. When we get back, the space, going to break it down, then we'll have game number 2. We'll see you there.
안 먹었다 이거. 다 무단에 막으러 갈게.
야, 물린다? 물린다?
안배 장가긴 하는데 괜찮아?
우리 좀 천천히 해야 될 듯?
아질하면서
해다 버리고 갈게.
야 아질 앞에 들었고
맞을게. 내가 앞에서 맞을게. 진짜
하드
밀어야 돼.
할만해. 하드 와봐. 진노플.
야, 쌈보긴 해야 될 듯?
천천히. 나 볼게 살짝 이거. 야 빼면서. 나 좋은데.
나 볼게.
진노플. 지금부터.
진노플.
아지르 노플. 이거. 앞에서 봐야 돼. 앞에서. 까비. 이렇게 될 것 같아. 나이스.
긴장했네 오늘.
괜찮아.
Specifically in game 3 in a best of 5, first pick feels so strong because all the big OPs are gone. So you got to get the Rise pick, right? You got to get that Jarvan if it's available, right? And it feels very powerful here in game 2 and game 3. Let's see what D+'s plan is going to be.
This is really interesting with the Rumble being banned away first on the red side or on the first pick side. Really will alleviate things here for D+. They'll have a little bit more flexibility. The Varus feels like the must ban that is still up and available. Vi going to be taken away as well. Smart one. But let's see what else is going to hit the deck. I think Pantheon is certainly still high up there, especially with all of these jungle bans that are coming on through now.
I think if they don't ban it here, which they did in the previous game, then they're angling for a first pick Pantheon here for sure. See what they decide to go for. They do ban it. And with how they've played so far, it almost feels like they're banning these picks not only to take them away from D+, but to save them for later.
Yeah, it's like we can construct a draft around this, but not this time. We've got a different idea. We'll see what idea that is going to be. As there was a Nocturne ban last time around, but I think that was largely because Orianna was still left on the table. So maybe not as necessary to ban it this time. Let's see what D+ do want to take away. Might just be a Rise ban, and yeah, that is what's going to come on through.
With no Pantheon here, I don't think Taliyah is really what anyone has their eyes on. The Rise is much more powerful, but the Yunara is going to go over to Jiu. And if you guys have not been watching the postseason here for LCK Cup, he has been a menace on this pick.
Well, we're immediately picking Ashe, and there's a Mundo.
So this was the strategy here for D+, is to have the answer, because they slam lock those down.
Oh yeah. This was known.
It doesn't necessarily feel that great in isolation just yet. We'll have to see how the rest of this comp comes together first. I think for DRX, you probably want to get a Nico right now so you can guarantee you have a range support for this Yunara into the Ashe lane.
Yep, I wouldn't mind that, or Lulu.
Lulu also fine.
Like Nico or Lulu, because those are the two bans that you're going to have to deal with, as instead it's a Karma.
They're so scared, I think, of Ashe Seraphine, Ashe Sona, any of those lanes, that they're just like, no matter what, we win. Karma wins that. Against Lulu and against Nico, you can lose those, actually. They're still going to be playing into the Seraphine Ashe.
I mean, I still think Seraphine Ashe is better than this. I don't know. We'll have to see. Lulu is a consideration as well. If used on Lucid, he will certainly go where he pleases this game.
I kind of think D+ were like, this is a CV Max angle, right? Where CV Max is like, we were playing Ashe Seraphine in game 2. Then we're going to give them the Yunara. And DRX were like, we picked Karma because we expect that. CV Max is like, I think maybe it still wins. We prepared this. We're doing this. It's a little bit up in the air in terms of how this plays out, obviously, because the Seraphine sustain is stronger. The ability to set up picks is stronger. Like, if you end up getting anybody CC'd, it's like the game over there. But if the Karma keeps hitting those empowered Qs and Jiu ends up, you know, being able to use his Q to trade effectively, I think it can go either way, but I feel good about the Karma start here. Let's see how they finish out the draft, because the Seraphine is going to be way better outside of the lane than this Karma will be.
Yeah, the Ahri is going to be taken away here from Showmaker. Of course, one of Showmaker's premier picks has looked phenomenal on the champion, so it makes a lot of sense. Other champions are things like Syndra, even though he hasn't necessarily had great games on it. I mean, his Cassiopeia is great, but he does kind of get outranged into the Aurora. So let's see what he does decide to go with.
I would not even be shocked if they ban his LeBlanc here.
A Jax ban.
Jax is an interesting one.
Flex ban in theory as well.
The Aurora is still a flex pick, but with that Gwen ban, it was a little bit less likely to be so. Those prio picks that Rich, you know, they were taken away last time, the Renekton, gone. They banned the Gwen themselves this time. Renekton feels very safe to pick in that 4th spot here, blind. And I think D+ kind of expect it based on this Gnar.
Just playing a little bit of preemptive rock, paper, scissors, as the Gnar is going to be the consideration.
This feels like Showmaker has something up his sleeve to show the Gnar here this early. It does really hamper, I think, what Rich was trying to do in this draft. And let's see how they are able to respond now. Silas.
Silas is
honestly kind of should have seen it coming.
Well, the Zahin is also going to be a consideration here. We've seen this picked into the Gnar and actually do very well. For some reason, I was watching a Faker clip of him playing in solo queue against Doran, and like he chain solo killed him in lane.
Is it LeBlanc or is it something else? Oh.
Well, Zoe is another option. Showmaker hasn't found a lot of success on it so far this season, but he has historically been a great Zoe player.
It works incredibly well with Mundo and Ashe because they both have slows, and it means that you could set up your bubble and set up that poke and the follow-up burst incredibly well. And for example, if Mundo hits a cleaver on somebody, and hits a cleaver on somebody, and hits a cleaver on somebody, because that's kind of how it goes, Showmaker's like, I'll be right there. Yeah, that person is going to die. Now, the jungle Zahin has been a little bit up in the air, right? We were looking at this draft, and you could have seen the jungle Sylas here instead.
Oh yeah, and I'm actually, I'm kind of crazy because I assumed that that was going into the top lane, but the Aurora is obviously not a bad matchup into the Gnar either.
I think that the Aurora into the Gnar is the best setup you're going to get here. I think the early game for Zahin into Gnar is so tough. If I'm honest, I think both these drafts are insanely strong. I don't think either of them have a bunch of holes, and this is one of our rare Game 2 moving into the Fearless series where I think both teams flexed a little bit, but ended up with something incredibly powerful. I like the Seraphine here a lot. The Gnar is going to be so strong if they can set up the Gnar bar and have prio. But the Sylas can be better Gnar. They have an insane front line for Geo. And even though it's a Karma support where we started off here for DRX, they have so many other forms of engage now and frontline for this Yunara that the Karma weakness doesn't feel like a weakness anymore. In fact, it could actually empower this composition in other ways. This is going to be a great game.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I do think that DRX have a little bit lacking on engage, right? They rely on Andal to get so many of their fights started. They're going to have to figure out how they're going to do that with a Karma support. Let's get into the Rift.
미니언들이 생성되었습니다.
All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen, onto the Rift for game number 2 of this series. DRX, surprisingly, up 1-0 after getting clean swept by DK earlier on in the tournament. They have come back with a vengeance after their victory earlier. Very surprising one up against Nongshim. And already, I mean, my prediction's dead, as I was a 3-0 DK predictor. And I think there were quite a few people with me.
Yeah, about half of all predictors, and not a single predictor.
If DRX win another game, then every prediction is then dead.
Yeah.
Right? There were no 3-2s.
There were none. I was a 3-1er, so my prediction dies right there, like everyone else's.
And even then, if DRX lose this game, then they'll have a couple of opportunities to pull it back as well. So we're having a look. High Note connects just barely onto Andal there as Korea gets a little bit of value. Takes the area here.
You know, this matchup we don't really see too often because Ashe is so niche right now, and Seraphine is also niche. You know, we've seen the Sona come back in a little bit, but I kind of feel like if you play the Karma well, you should be able to gain level 2 first and should be able to gain a little bit of control early without any jungle intervention, and that's kind of what we're seeing here. There's even a heal out of Career to try to help them dodge the Q, and it doesn't work anyways.
Yeah, that was suboptimal, you could say. They do hit level 2 now, but Korea now without his heal and sitting at 50%. Going to need to rely on pressing W as often as possible, but that cooldown is quite large.
Yeah, this is not going to be a lane where there's kill pressure for Geo or anything like that, but they do have a lot of prio. Zahin, bit of a question mark, right? In the jungle, we have seen this prop up in other regions a little bit more than we've seen it here in the LCK, but it is certainly a pick that scales incredibly well. Notice Geo is 2 of those Ws. In both of those series, he picked up player of the match after winning an early skirmish on Yunara and popping off.
Yeah, it hasn't been played with the Karma yet, though, so that'll be a new one if he does manage to get POM again in this series. As Shio actually finding an angle, getting a flash out of Rich, who's now looking to try and turn it if he gets another button, and that'll get a flash. Shio gets back to Mini-Nart, but he's going to have to get back home and teleport back in. No flashes for our top laners, so possibly susceptible as they're taking Career for a walk. He drops the beat. Let's see whether that's going to be Andal taking enough damage here, as there is a Mundo in the area. The Zahin is moving down as well. Fight for first scuttle. This is danger.
Here we go. This is what Geo wants, man. This is where he thrives.
Yeah. as, oh man, it's a TPA Mundo skin as well. You love to see that. As meanwhile, flash out from Korea towards his bottom side as Showmaker has inside track, looking for the angle onto Willer as Andel's looking a little worse for where he's going to have to flash. As now Yukal moving down as well. Shio has to flash out of the way. We're running out of flashes and Showmaker's like, I'm not. He's got so many sitting all over the floor. But he does just back away because everybody else getting themselves out as all bubble. Good eyes there from Andal. Will be able to avoid it.
That's a huge win. Showmaker, though, did take Ignite, so it's going to be a while before he gets back in that mid lane. And Yukal is going to punish him pretty hard for this. Although I think it was absolutely worth it. Look at the CS in the bottom lane, 200 gold, the lead for Smash.
Yeah,
as a lot of farm was taken away. The cull gets bought here from Gio. He wanted that to be a scrappy fight, but without the Sylas, he's not going to have his early game Yunara pop off, Zeri moment-esque Yunara moment there. And as a result, pretty big win here for D+ in the bottom side of things, but I think the game is still overall even. I really did not have it on any of my expectations today that Shio would be challenged by Rich directly, by the way, in the top lane.
Rich has been so impressive this season already. It's kind of nutty. I wasn't expecting it out of this guy, you know? Like, he made his re-debut and we were like, oh, not sure about this, and then didn't exactly perform the best, but this year, certainly been able to go toe-to-toe with a lot of top laners that we wouldn't have expected. Yeah. Now, Lucid and Willa fighting against one another. Look at these mechanics as the Mundo is Mundoing. And Willa is in a little bit of trouble. Bubble not going to get picked up there as the chains barely go wide. And now Willa is likely to go down to the passive. Flash picked up there by Showmaker, so he should be safe to try and continue fighting as the Paddle Star, just barely picks the gap. 6 points in my country. As not going to be able to find the angles here, and Willer will just wrap his way around looking for some growth.
Unfortunately for the calculations of that fight for DRX, I mean, the flash from Willer to get the passive so he can get the resets. Hold up, Rich.
On between the worlds as Shio just throws some autos at it. That is going to be the answer. Level 6 advantage there from Rich, played around as effectively as possible, but the Naba is charging. Shio is going to be just fine as Shio now moving up towards Smash here on this bottom side. As he does get snared. As Korea continuing to look for a little bit more, landing that high note nicely onto Andal. I mean, this bottom lane is very scary,
nice
especially when level 6s come through, but they're not there yet. And so DRX, with access to the wave, still have so much DPS, it's not going to be quite as mitigatable. But of course, there's the stolen flash to come on through there. Showmaker is going to throw a Paddle Star to Narnia.
Yeah, not quite able to make the impact this time that he was able to make in that last scrappy fight. And I think that was really the crux. Like, Willer flash to get his passive and get his res up. Nobody ends up dying there, but DRX, I think we're hoping to clean up kills through Yukal coming in there. But Showmaker's like, I'm Zoe, I have Ignite, I have Airy, I'm a ranged champion. Yukal like presses his buttons, and then Showmaker's like, all right, well now I can do whatever I want because you pressed your buttons, your Sylas, you're cooldown based. And they end up winning the scrap there. The gold lead here is reflected in the mid lane advantage. Yukal has unfortunately been kind of behind the curve, let's say, in this one. Despite Showmaker's roam to the bottom lane, he finds himself 15 CS down. So not a great start for what the Sylas wants to accomplish in this game.
Yep, and it's like roaming into the jungle there off tempo, that's what's going to happen, right? And this is why a lot of our mid laners don't actually follow, because losing a wave can be incredibly detrimental. As now Rich taking a lot of damage here. There's the Mega Gnar out of Shio. He'll have the ultimate as he lands the house. And Wallop comes through. And stun comes down. Let's see whether Shio can actually find this even 1 versus 2. As Rich just gets hit with 3 houses and will go down. Man, that's a Fire Emblem game. That's all right. Out he goes. He just hops his way out of there.
Yeah, I think the biggest problem was that Willer ended up getting caught by the wall up there. If he isn't, I think he should be able to trade the kill back. But he hits both. And so that's a big win.
Oh no, Lucid's making it even worse.
Yeah, we're doing it again. Level 6 is hit, by the way, for Career in the bottom lane, and they have a large amount of control down there right now, so something to potentially turn your eyes to in a moment. They just got him pinned under turret. And I don't think they're going to look for an all-in here, but they can just kind of continue to whittle away at the bottom duo that's already significantly behind in farm, and this D+ early game is looking very robust. And for DRX, you really need your front line to be active because, as you point out several times, their engage is pretty lacking. So they need to have a front line for Gio to just auto-attack people. As CZ gets the first house, gets this wallop, has his Gnar, was not actually the wallop I mentioned earlier, but the Gnar that hits both into the wall.
Oh, 410 gold as well. Feeling fantastic about that one. And a top lane advantage for a Gnar is so incredibly valuable because you want to be big in those side lanes to be able to put on the pressure. And we've seen a lot of teams actually target Gnars so that they're not that value asset in the later stages of the game. This time around, though, he is going to be very frightening. As Korea is singing a whole lot here towards his bottom side. And now that level 6s have been hit, you can see DRX giving them a lot of respect, especially with Andal not having his, although Akama's level 6 does not a whole lot.
Yeah, Gio's level 6 is pretty good, though.
Yeah, that's a good one. And he can run real fast with a Mantra Inspire.
Yeah, unfortunately, though, I think there's just too many things to stop him from popping off in a 2v2 here, unless a bunch of D+ abilities go wide.
All right, Korea does not quite find the beat drop there.
Okay, now he got Smash's Q. This is an angle.
Yep, arrow going to come on through there as the ulti has been thrown out. The Encore is going to be missed onto Jiu. Gets in range of Smash. Barrier is there as Lucid is just so slow. He looks for the briefcase and he's being followed by Design. The flash over and the dash back from Jiu is so slick. And DRX, they're not going to find kills. Jiu stays alive and Lucid is still running. Grim Deliverance delivers not a whole lot. He's got the wrong house. The houses are in the top lane, as we mentioned earlier. And these briefcases continue landing. They're trophies, actually, with this particular skin. I keep seeing, like, Corporate Mundo every single time, and so I say briefcase. They're trophies, and I think Lucid's going to deserve one after that great play towards the bottom side.
That was a really, really dense, packed set of mechanical plays on all 6 players, but ultimately, the setup was better for Lucid, who was having the fast rotation. I think a bit of a bait, the way that was set up by Smash and Career. He has the faster rotation down, and Zahin isn't going to have the same impact at this stage in the game. Is not able this time to proc his passive and get that extra value. But Jiu, man, he played it so insanely well. I'm not sure if he should have necessarily flashed in there, but at the end of the day, mechanically, looked like a god, and he did not die.
Huh.
And the game is still... Like, when you look at the lead, D+'s lead has ballooned a little bit further, and it's just lane leads, right? Like, the Sylas deficit is 30 CS now. You know, the bottom lane has still been an issue here in terms of the farm. It's still been about, 15 to 20, but they got an extra plate. They got a flash. And Lucid is just hovering around here right now. And this is why you pick blue side. You just win bottom side prio, and then you just take that blue buff on repeat. You fight for wards, you fight for dragon, you fight for tri-brush control. This is why D+ picked this side. They won the bottom side eventually, and now they are going to take their prize.
Yep. Chemtech Dragon is going to be mopped up. And Shu is also going to discover Willa here. Oh, almost steals it, man.
I thought he had it for sure.
That looked
so
close. His house accuracy has just been phenomenal. But it is going to be Dragon traded for a couple of grubs. Just one of them going to be left up.
Making Dorothy from Wizard of the Oz look like an amateur.
No, exactly right. Oh, it needs to click those heels a little bit harder. That's okay. Andal takes a trophy to the noggin there.
I don't know if the Mundo dive is really going to work out, but they are going to maybe take this Gromp away. We do see Willer is coming over.
Yeah. I mean, they do have a lot of damage follow-up. The arrow up and available. Encore there in 3 seconds time.
And Lucid has his ult. He can tank the turret for practically forever, but I just don't know about this.
Yeah, Jiu's still going to look for it here as Smash goes down low, but they've got so much CC, and it's just layered gorgeously. Auto attack was in the air, and Jiu, oh no, this is what we've seen before, just goes a little bit too far as Rich also taking a lot of damage, but also dealing a fair bit back, but Mega Gnar is going to even that trade out.
Jiu,
you're looking to go back home.
The confidence for this bottom duo is it's night and day. It was mentioned by, I'm not sure if it was Wadid, I think it was Wadid who mentioned it earlier, but anyway, it's true, right? Well, whoever said it on the space, because the confidence is unreal, but in this moment, a little bit too confident here because CC will shut you down. He's like, I got the cooldown advantage. I've got my ult here, I'm gonna pop it. I'm gonna do massive amounts of damage to these stun. And then charmed, and then dead. He's like, I have the damage, I win the 2v2, but he's CC'd, so he can't do anything. And ends up dying there, a bit too confident on that play. Now 1,500 gold behind. This is the first Yunara game Jiu has played in a while where it looks like he may just never quite get off the ground.
Yeah, and this Ashe Seraphine lane is doing what it's supposed to do. Took a little bit of time to get there, but of course, once you can threaten with those double CC ultimates, by the time the CC wears off, you're dead. It's just how it goes. And unfortunately, Jiu wasn't able to avoid half of it and is just going to die. Showmaker being frustrating here up against Yukal as well. The blind Sylas, a little bit of a dangerous one, and seems to have been challenged quite effectively, especially with the flash being picked up. As Korea going to drop the beat, and Jiu unfortunately going to have to stop going home.
This is really annoying because Mundo's still here. Lucid is like, I'm camping. We're doing it again. Gonna keep harassing. Another wave comes through. Seraphine ult not quite back online yet, but if they could get some chip damage here, might work out. Also, Showmaker has the faster roam.
Oh dear.
Willer does not have flash either. This is a disastrous position.
Oh god, okay. Well, that paddle star connected.
I think they may just be dead here. At least he's hoping for a back here to complete, but I don't think that is gonna happen.
Oh no, and Rich, no teleport. Not gonna be able to get down here as the trouble bubble connects. Andal's gonna have to block that as the arrow from downtown. And the beat drop comes on through there as well. I mean, Jiu's not dead just yet, but DRX, they have 4 people under this turret just to keep the president alive, but still, he gets put to sleep, awoken immediately by a trophy to the face. And DRX will be getting themselves out, but man, DK are really making this game a pain.
I mean, they just won lane so hard in top, mid, and bottom. So there's no cross map. Like, they're like, I guess we'll bring everybody to try to kill Jiu, and they don't kill him, and there's no consequences. Like, I didn't kill him. Also got mid turret. It's whatever.
Yeah, and they also
Silas
get bottom out of turret. It's like a 5,000 gold lead.
It's like, Jiu is not a champion in this game. Yucal is not a champion in this game. Rich, arguably, not a champion in this game. And this lead is going to explode when D+ starts winning team fights.
Well, that's the thing, and I think that's what DRX are going to be looking for as Andal. Oh, just barely out range of that pedal star. Showmaker not able to find him there as Willa finally gets around to taking the last grub.
And maybe eventually DRX will get value out of 3 grubs if they can touch a turret this game.
Yeah, the problem is there has been 1 plate taken by their team. So far, I think the grub value has been relatively low.
Yes.
Still early days. Smash and Korea now parked in this mid lane.
Look at Showmaker's items and then be sad. Or sorry, Yucal's items.
There is the stolen arrow that sails by, and Showmaker watches it. Gets a closer view as now Xiu looks for the angle here, knows that the hijack is on cooldown. Teleport to bring Rich over as Willa gets taken down to half health. Xiu is just happy to fight anyone that moves anywhere near him.
Showmaker's like, well, I guess I'll take the turret then. Cool story on that TP. Interrupt on the back, by the way, from Yucal by the arrow of Smash. So Yucal's back is interrupted. This is Showmaker just going, what was that rotation? The teleporting Aurora that doesn't have CC, yeah, okay, whatever. She was totally fine, doesn't have to flash. And now, with Yucal's delayed back, down 1,500, 1,600 gold, is desperately trying to limp over to the topside turret to save it. And I think he's just a little bit too late. Also, the Herald was taken for free without a contest. As D+ can just, they do whatever they want on the map right now.
Yep, moving this to a 5.5k gold advantage. And this is what we were expecting out of today, right? Was the dominance that we've seen from this team. DRX were able to find a comeback. If they find a comeback in this game, I hazard to guess that this is going to be a 3-0 because I don't think you mentally come back from that. As Xiu is looking for a solo bolo 1v2 as Lucid comes in to make those numbers a little bit more fair. And they don't really look fair as DRX are just taking naps left, right, and center. Willa does have the passive charged up, so he's not going to be dying just yet. But I mean, he may as well have. It's still that dire.
Yeah, it is that dire. The Hextech Dragon is going to be taken here by D+ as well. The lead is large, and it's just these holes on the side of DRX. Like, it's not that Showmaker is sitting on like 6 kills in the early game. It's not the BDD Zoe game. But it's the fact that Silas is sitting on components for 17 minutes and actually hasn't been involved in any real fight outside of that scrap in the jungle. The fact that the Yunara, who's the main character of this draft, has been put so significantly far behind, lost a turret, and is really just trying to find money anywhere. He's like, Willer, can I have some? Can I have some of your chicken?
And he's, yeah, 28 CS behind as well. It's kind of ridiculous. I don't think Smash has been back for quite some time as Xiu just finds the edge of the Gnar.
Yeah, unfortunately here for Rich, tries to space it out. He's already used his jump. And Lucy gets the smite slow. Willer has his passive, but they're just kind of like, whatever. Don't need to force here. Nope. Gonna walk away and win everywhere else.
And they don't need to, and I think that that has been the evolution of DK, because what we saw in game number 1 is let's just try and win even harder all the time. You don't have to. Take the little advantages and then suffocate them out of the game. And that is precisely what they're doing. They have a great comp to do it as well. As Jiu tries to look for some damage onto Lucid. I think Lucid didn't notice
Yeah, that's kind of unfortunately looking like it might be the story of Gio this game, as I just want to hit the champions, but it turns out I can't hurt them. I'm a little bit behind the curve, as Rich is just not playing the game.
Yep, over and over again, these paddle stars are landing as Lucid continuing to throw these trophies around. Man, Little Ball's won a lot of trophies because he just keeps throwing them.
Yeah, no, it's, I want to see that trophy case.
Arrow going to come through and actually interrupts Rich on the back. It's going to buy a little bit of extra time there for Showmaker as well, but otherwise not too much more going to come out of it. But I do like Smash just throwing out the ultis. It's kind of fun.
I don't know why I think about Ash when I think about Smash from Challengers, but I think he's played a ton of games on it there.
Yeah, when Ash was really in vogue, he looked really good on the champion.
Yeah, I think even, like, Reckless, I think sometimes played the Ash when they played Ash Rumble, but Smash, I think, kind of earned it back a few times back in the Challengers during that weird Ash Rumble microcosm that we had.
Yeah.
Smash just really good at this pick. His double stops of backs, pretty impressive. His laning phase, incredible. Now, he's going to grab this inner turret as DRX are hoping this is going to be a 45-minute game.
And it's not looking like it is going to be a 45-minute game, although Lucid going down relatively low. Willa taking a lot of damage, though, as we're taking some naps. Grim Deliverance there, but Willa doesn't quite make it over the wall. He does go down to the passive as the Encore comes in. And it is just going to be a disengage here from DK.
But there's no consequence when you have this much map control. It's not like, oh, we committed 4 people, we didn't kill anybody. It's like, oh, okay, we just back off, and DRX kind of can maybe get halfway across the map in one lane. Maybe. Like, Rich is like, can I get maybe halfway? Can I touch a turret this game? No, you can't. Not going to happen.
I mean, if he does get a plate, though, I mean, the amount of gold that you get compared to the rest of the plate gold that they've got this game is extraordinarily high.
Astronomical.
Because they've only taken 2 plates!
Yeah, no, it's, as we just saw in that graphic, Gio has 2 items. Unfortunately, a lot of this game, because they don't have great engage, he's like, okay, I think I can hit them now. The cooldowns are down. Maybe I can go in. Maybe I hit them. And he like autos Lucid twice, and he's like, well, I guess that's the best I can ask for in this game.
Yeah, and if you ever walk up too far, and if you're hit by anything at all,
you're dead.
Then it's Trouble Bubble, Encore, Arrow, everything, and you're dead. You're exactly right.
You're just dead. Yeah,
Lucid needs to stop waking up people taking naps, though, because that is not the first bit of damage that wants to land.
Just got to try to get in there and get those heart steel stacks.
I mean, it's a very good point. Talk to Orcs about it. He would certainly agree. It's an Infernal Soul this game. DK. Theoretically, DRX could get it, but that's probably not going to happen based on what we're looking at right now, as Yukao does dodge out of the way with his dash cannon, as now Lucid's possibly in a little bit of trouble. Does get pulled back by the Zahen as the bubble is going to connect one more time. And he goes sleepy, and down goes the Silas. Grim Deliverance once again. But Willer is just dead. They do manage to get their first kill of the game. But Andal, he's going to die also. And Gio down to 50%. Just gets a thumbs up from Lucid to signify the fact that he is going to die pretty imminently. I don't think he's going to be able to walk past the Mundo as the Slurkle goes wide. He does have barrier, but Lucid has 1 billion health.
I have to say, it has been a mechanically impressive game from Gio. I don't know about that call into the CC in the bottom lane, but he is trying his best to do something in this game. The wallets are just way too heavy, and there was nothing he could do there, but he tried. He tried really hard.
He gave it a red hot crack.
This fight is so funny because it's the Herald, actually, that creates so much disruption here. As Yukao dodges the arrow, right? Willer wants to go in, and Yukao doesn't really have a great ult to steal. He steals the Ash arrow here as Willer's trying to do the heavy lifting. The sleep goes through his burst, and then the Herald, watch this. He's like, nah. Willer's like, I'm peeling, get in there, Gio. Gio's like, there's a Herald in my face, man. I'm trying to kite this Mundo out. I'm 2,000 gold behind this Ash, and then he's like, maybe I can play this. I got 3 items right now. I'm on 2. Rich comes in, he barriers and tries his best.
Okay, do we think that DRX can kill Lucid with 4 people? I mean, Showmaker's going to come on over and make it a little bit uneven as Lucid flashes out of the way, gets a big ol' heal, as in goes Yukao, steals an Encore, which is a fair bit of value, and there's the Grim Deliverance, triple immediately for Gio, and is this now the DRX comeback as Showmaker gets dashed on and eliminated? The kill goes over to Rich, and no, there is no way, Wolf! I mean, it's still 6,000 gold lead, but the Dragon goes over, Soul Point is denied.
Gio also is going to get away, it looks like.
Also, dude, like, look at that shutdown value as well.
I really want to see the gold graph. Like, look at the lead for Chiu right now.
Yeah.
Just, trying to fathom that is hurting my brain.
I mean, he just, like, the swing in gold in the 80 carries was 2.5K.
Lucid says, Amundo, I go where I please.
Yes.
And he is doing that, right? But they don't have great setup here in this fight. Lucid's health bar is really their setup, right? And Yukal's TP ends up being massive because he's able to get this Seraphine ult. Like, before he dies, if he dies just like a split second faster, he doesn't get that, this fight is unplayable. And that was the turnaround, right? The Shio's on the other side with his bar set, but he's like, I can't access because you guys got womboed by the Silas ult steal. And Willer has been having a great game despite the deficit here. And like I said, for DRX, they're the bar. You know, if you get a little too greedy, you make a mistake, they punish. And once again, that holds true here in the second game. There's the gold graph, a big chunk taken out. I think D+ are still in an insanely favorable position in this game, but you make one more mistake like that, and suddenly it's DRX's game to lose.
The biggest problem here is the DK mental that we were talking about. It's now had a big chunk removed from it, right? Like, this snowball was rolling absolutely gloriously down the mountain.
I mean, LDR's done now for Chiu. He's like, yeah, okay, I'm kind of relevant. I got a pickaxe.
I mean, he is massively far ahead in comparison to Smash. Obviously, he still needs to be very careful. He's taken Barrier into an Ashe, which is insane. Mikhails is there for Andal, but he needs to make sure that he saves it for this Yunara every single time.
Bubble, there's Seraphine. He basically has to play perfectly, and then maybe he could turn this game around. And, you know, he's had amazing Yunara games so far this tournament, so maybe it's possible. Like, I want to believe.
Well, Yarrow is going to connect here onto Andal. Let's see whether they can grab this kill as Shio's moving over. Showmaker on a flank angle as Yukal will find the chains. Showmaker going to have to get out of here as he doesn't have flash, so he doesn't have a chance. Rich is likely to die as well, though, as I don't know about that one, as the weirding was weird. And Lucid just being that front line for the rest of DK. So it's a trade of top laner for mid laner. As Lucid needs to land some of these trophies, his career does get himself out of there with the surround sound.
D+ really just do not need to flip this fight for no reason. Just leave. Do not try to make something.
They don't need to commit to anything, right? They just keep throwing cleavers.
Legit, just leave, reset, because DRX can't do Baron. You're fine. I thought for a moment we were going to see, like, Lucid just keeps walking in, and Gio's like, okay, I actually hurt you now. As it starts off with block here from Andal, he flashes out, then Showmaker is trying to make a flank play here. He wants to look for a trouble bubble on Gio. It's a little greedy. He dies. Rich, I don't know.
Flash nod. He gets flash nod.
I don't know if he really should have tried to collapse there, but he gets punished. And it was a good play there from Xiu to lock him down.
If a trouble bubble lands, whoever it hits will die.
Yeah, they disappear. Look at the build.
He has a very cool hat. Showmaker doesn't have a Magi.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's a little uncharacteristic of this game state.
Yeah, it's kind of strange, but a good idea because he has now died twice in a row. When it was, like, 0 kills for DRX, it was perfect game territory outside of some grubs, which I don't necessarily count because they're newer than when perfect game first started. But that's, I digress, you know, like, that's a different argument for another day.
Yeah, we've talked about it a lot.
Yeah, probably too.
It makes me upset sometimes, so I'm not.
Yeah. Arrow just barely going to go wide there as Smash took an opportunistic shot. Doesn't find Rich.
For D+, I kind of feel just don't do Baron at all. Just instead, like,
just threaten it and have Xiu in a side lane.
Because the only way you can lose this game, I think, is if you start Baron and then Gio's like, wait a minute, like, Yukal found this crazy Narsteel angle. I've got enough space to actually pop off in this fight. It's always going to be about this Yunara cleaning up kills if D+ lose this game in any way. They already have so much map control. Just play for Dragon instead. And that's what so far they're going to do. They're going to push these waves out. They have Prio for Drake spawning in 50 seconds. They're going to reset, maintain that Prio, and they should be able to get Soul Point here. You have to think, with the amount of control they have, the zoning tools they have, and the fact that this Narc could just charge bar in side lanes for free is 2 levels up on Rich.
It's kind of absurd. We're going to be moving towards, you know, level 20 Gnar situations fairly soon in this game.
Like, he didn't even build Wit's End. He's like, I'm really not interested in this.
If there's ever a game to build it, it's probably this one.
He's like, nah, Gio's the one I'm worried about.
Yeah, and honestly, makes a fair bit of sense because he got that quadra kill, or very close to a quadra kill. and that was a large portion of the value. This is a optimistic teleport here from Xiu, just looking to try and kill Rich, and he may just do that as the Gnar is picked up here by Yukal, finds the chains as well and does manage to get a push away, but the flash out from Showmaker and the big heal to keep him alive from the Seraphine. And now Smash has them right where he wants them. They do take down the Gnar, but DRX members are looking so low and the heals are coming through. Lucid, so healthy and flashes on top of Xiu. He's taking matters into his own hands, but unfortunately, he then enters the grave. That's not where he wants to be. Andal is going to follow suit, and Willa likely to go down as well. That fight looked a lot better for DK, as they'll get the ace and now look for a Baron, or maybe just look for the base.
D+ were just very methodical with how they played that fight out. They were cautious. They waited. Showmaker played incredibly patiently there.
I mean, that's what this comp has to do, right?
This part for Xiu here, I was like, I'm a little bit nervous, but notice the D+ don't just lemming conga line through the brush. They wait for the engage, they kite back. Showmaker spaces here, destroys the front line. Willer is so incredibly low, and then Gio's like, okay, it's my time, but he has to dodge everything, right? But eventually gets caught by even just one Ashe slow from the W there, and he's like, all right, well, Mundo's got me now. There's just no outplay here. He tries to even push forward onto Showmaker, does not quite have enough damage, and it's just dominoes here for DRX falling by the hands of D+, and that kind of measured fight after what was a pretty aggressive teleport is what you like to see.
Yeah, and when you start winning a fight as well with Zoe, like, there are so many flashes on the floor, right? You're just never going to get away, as the level of mobility is just kind of absurd. You saw Showmaker pick up about 3 during that fight alone, as DRX do get inside track on this Dragon.
They have a fast Dragon take, but they don't have great setup.
It is still going to be a 50-50 as Lucid does move over here. Andal is snagged by the arrow, and just the edge of the Encore is going to pick up Andal. But now the Grim Deliverance comes in. The Drake is going to get stolen away by Willa, as Lucid's still alive. That health bar very high, but the bottom lane has just been wiped out. Now it's Showmaker that has to do all of the damage. The Gnar is gigantic from Xiu, now hops out, and he's a mini Gnar, wanting to do that DPS, but I think he's just going to get taken out here as Lucid is looking impossible to move. He's not taking damage, as Yukal is just trying to run away.
That fight was saved by Xiu.
Oh dear.
My God, Atlas.
Battlestar is going to come through, and yep, Xiu looking fantastic in the fight. Ultimately, DK do win as far as the team fight in itself is concerned, but the Drake being denied is massive here for DRX.
I don't think they can get the inhib either.
And also, look at the Rebel Baron power play. It's sitting at negative 600 as Yukal is going to die. Andal probably doesn't want to be here as the inhib turret has already been taken down. The burst damage from Showmaker is too large, and the portal jump not going to be enough to get that damage down, as Lucid's going to need another couple of trophies or a paddle star from Showmaker as they grab some extra plates on their way out.
Now, remember when I said both these mid laners play like they have something to prove? Yukal was the one who really wanted to prove it there. There was just no reason. Okay, so this fight initially, watch Xiu. It's like you could press spacebar in this fight, and Xiu's at the center of it, like spacing away from everything so incredibly well. As his front line goes in, Yukal once again sets him up. He dashes forward here. The threats are away from him. He kills Career, and even though the sleep is onto the Zahin, they cannot actually kill him. There's no point to. It's been live, and arrow is dodged. But this Gnar saves the fight because it eliminates Xiu. If Xiu does not get caught by that, straight up they get wiped, and I think maybe even get back into a lead in this game. As Yukal here, taking this inhibitor super hard, Xiu's coming up in 15 seconds. I don't know if we really need to force the way that he did, but he did it anyways. So now the base is under siege.
They're looking to try and turn this Rebel Baron power play around, and they have managed to do so. About a 1,400 gold swing since we spoke about it last, with all these structures hitting the deck as, oh god. Yeah, Rich takes a paddle start that he certainly did not want to take. Crypt Bloom is now done here for Showmaker, and he has a cheeky extra needlessly large rod, and it's feeling a little bit needlessly large in this game.
Xiu is super huge right now, and they have the stolen Gnar. They need something like that desperately, but Yukal's so low.
The poke, they need to avoid it, or they need to hard engage. And what did we say earlier on? They have no engage!
All they have is the stolen Gnar.
And if they have stolen Gnar, that's not an engage tool, as that Willa goes in. There's the Grim Deliverance They take down the Ashe, and Willow is going to be traded. Now UCal trying to look for that angle, but they've peeled away. The Gnar is not exactly the biggest, but they use it to take down Korea. And now Lucid is very, very big. It's going to take a little bit of killing to get him, and he doesn't have flash, so he doesn't have his life. And DRX will save their base and live to fight another day.
D+ didn't need to force past the inhibitors. You got 3 inhibs. And the flanking TP from UCal is really what seals the deal. Willer and UCal have been playing so well in tandem despite the deficit in this game to try to bring this one back. Willer goes in first, and they're like, okay, what? But it's the TP from UCal. He goes back, heals up, has that ward. The control ward to the left here. That's what I was calling out on the flank, is yes, Charm goes on to Willer. He bursts. They burst him down, but they use a lot of cooldowns. Now UCal can come in here freely, and Gio is like, there's no threat for me. I am just going to walk forward and burst them down. Now, they are down 3 inhibitors. Yes, they are in a dire position in this game, but Gio has been in these late game situations before. Gumayushi's Varus knows. Or maybe he is able to buy enough time here. He just bought a QSS, so his final item slot is now occupied no longer by Doran's Blade.
And I think that was a good choice.
Yeah, it's, again, he knows that he is the win con, and he has been for this whole game, even though he was so behind early. But now they have to somehow defend their base for the next 3 minutes here. There's no Elder at least, but the Baron should belong to D+. There's no way DRX can defend all of these 6 super minion waves and then come over and challenge Baron. This time, D+ should easily be able to start Baron without a hitch.
Yeah.
And if there's any mistake from DRX, they could just win the game before that as well.
The problem is, DRX could then just go over and get Soul Point with triple Infernal, which will mean that they'll do lots of damage.
If they get out of their base,
one.
Of course, which right now is looking like a challenge.
UCal picks up the Mundo. What did he mean by that? I mean,
Just wants to be Healy.
Yeah, that will allow him to be a little bit more Healy, as Chain is going to connect there onto Showmaker, who picks up a stolen dash cannon. Arrow goes wide as he takes a briefcase or a trophy to the face.
Mundo ult value.
There we go. Just heals himself back up again. He will have that hijack back very, very soon. So we'll be able to steal something else away. Obviously, the Encore feels like a fantastic option. The Arrow is also very good as, oh god, these Paddle Stars. And this is the problem for DRX. They need to make something happen first as Gio gets snagged by the Paddle Star. Lucid going down very low, though, as the Chains are going to go wide. Smash flashes out of the way, though. And that Smash without Flash is actually a target that they can go for, right? Willa needs his back up, and that's going to take a little bit of time.
A huge flash there, though. If he gets caught by that, not only is he in dire straits, but it allows UCal to engage on the rest of the team with the gap close. He has flash. That was a very important flash to hit. And Smash does just that. Then they buy time, they survive. This is going to be the Soul Point going over to D+. They can then turn their eyes towards Baron, but because DRX got that extra lease on life and has survived here, there's going to at least be some vision on Baron for them. Ando's able to get this ward up, which is incredible. 3 inhibitors down, he's able to get vision set up here. He's going to back as quickly as he can.
Oh. Might not be able to as everything hits! Oh, he takes a nap, and the Paddle Star is going to take him down. Oh, dear. He did manage to get that ward, but at what cost? Well, his life is the cost. We saw that immediately. This Baron going to go down exceptionally quickly. There's no way that DRX can challenge because they have no inhibitors left. And so now another Baron, Soul Point, DK, I mean, they should be able to just march up this mid lane. You can see the gold lead doesn't really mean anything. It's the structural damage that is causing the most headaches here for DRX. That and Showmaker, just in general.
Yeah, I mean, QSS this, Showmaker says, with every Battle Star that hits.
Can you QSS gray screen? The answer is no, unfortunately.
Well, they're going to try to set something up here where UCal can either flank or they have the Zahin engaged. Shield's going in.
He's just going to dash in. Kill Smash finds the entire bottom lane and wipes them out. And now the rest of DK, what can they actually do? The Grim Deliverance takes him down to his passive here is now Lucid still trying to kite this one out. Showmaker going down very low, but he steals away a flash and looks to escape. Oh god, Gio is just absolutely unhinged, but I love it.
Engage, doesn't need it, Karma, doesn't matter. I am the engaged.
Where's his Randuins? He needs another one.
You see a QSS and you think, you think I'm the one who's in danger. I am the danger.
Well, I mean,
My
they're still in
God.
danger. These turrets are still, like, there's still
Igo,
nothing in the base. Let's check it out from G's perspective.
I'm gonna look for something here. He just says casually as he comes in and deletes Smash from the game.
And, I mean, it was so close to Lucid going down as well as he flashes out of the way. Like, this play from Gio is just absurd. Has definitely saved the game. The problem is, the game is still in a rough spot. But, like, even though the gold is basically even now.
The fact that even if D+ win this game, what is your mental state after
I mean, it's
grueling
D+,
match?
so probably bad.
Yeah, that is the concern. I think for every D+ fan is like, how is this game still going? How are DRX still holding on? They've been on their last leg for what it feels like is forever. Remember when it was, what, like 22 minutes, 25 minutes, and I was like, they're hoping this game's a 45-minute game. Well, we're getting closer.
Yep, 7 minutes to go, Wolf. Let's just tick it down, shall we? As the arrow is going to fly through, doesn't hit onto Jiu, and doesn't get the Mikhails
The
out from
inhibitors
Andal
are back
either.
up. They're back up, and they can challenge for objectives now.
And the Baron is, you know, it's still up for another 35 seconds, but the Rebel Baron power play is not exactly the greatest thing ever. 2 minutes on the next Drake and a little bit longer for the next Baron.
There's something about DRX this season, man, where it feels like they just want it more than anybody else.
Yep.
Like they're just going to hold on tight. They are going to play optimally from a deficit. They will punish you if you make a mistake. If you think you're just going to play slightly suboptimally, they'll find their way back in, which is just such an incredible story. I mean, it's a story that I think Deft painted for this team when he said the only thing that's important is an unbreakable spirit. That is what this team is playing through, perhaps through his spirit here at DRX. Their 80 carry is Gio now, but he's got a Deft-like mindset with how he is playing this game.
It certainly feels like he's channeling the spirit of the llama. We know what his spirit animal is. Let's just say that. As DRX now looking to push out for the first time in what feels like forever in this game. 1 minute and 15 seconds.
Backs against the wall now, maybe for the first time, taking the backs off the wall, trying to fight for prio here on this dragon and get it. Rich is level 20. He's been down so long in this game, but is able to be somewhat relevant.
Oh, arrow going to connect here onto Jiu, as they do press Mikhails and the Scimitar, and so that is high value, I guess. You get both of those cooldowns. And now DK going to feel a whole lot better about starting off this fight. DRX need to have a conversation about which button takes priority.
Yeah, that's not what they wanted to happen for sure.
Well, now Shiu is on this side lane looking for Yukao. Wallop is going to go wide there, and this 1v1 could actually decide a lot, as there's 30 seconds on this Infernal Drake.
Now Yukao has the Gnar, and Shiu doesn't. And maybe they have to fight this faster than the Dragon spawns, though, if they want to make use of that window, and I just don't think they really have that angle. They're trying to push mid and gain prio here on the left side of the fight, which is absolutely a great idea.
Oh, Chains are going to connect, and there is Gnar into the wall. Shiu's having his own moves used against him, as Willa doesn't find the pullback, but I think Shiu might still be dead. He will hit Mega Gnar, so does manage to escape after the flash.
He has teleport as well, which is massive. He
Yeah,
can get
both
back to
top
the fight.
laners doing exactly the same thing, but Rich still didn't have flash from before.
Yukao has a very short cooldown on his ultimate, so we'll have it back here.
Oh god, well, the 4v4 is going to start things off as the teleports will bring the top laners in as well. Shiu, gigantic shield now fighting against Yukao once again as the arrow goes wide. And DK starting a fight is not what they want. They want to keep throwing things out, finding paddle stars, finding bubbles, and hitting trophies. That's what they want to do. And speaking of which, he lands it onto Jiu. He is able to get himself out of the way as the encore comes in, barely hits onto Jiu there as well, but Willer is dead, and Showmaker is flashing on top of Jiu. Now the barrier is down, and Lucid will just walk at the Inara, and down he will go. Now Yukao finds yet another Gnar, but he gets walloped and destroyed, and DK took him a little while. It got a little dicey, but they'll get the Infernal Soul, and I think they'll win the game.
All right, Showmaker with the massive play.
Oh my
Rich
goodness.
trying to make something happen.
Yeah, Paddlestar goes down. Rich will have a few better buttons, and he does connect it as soon as that bubble didn't
I
land.
don't know if he can get home to defend this, though.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Montreux as best as he
Oh,
can.
the arrow team dropped it back. Oh, it just barely misses. But I don't know whether it's going to be enough. Was he on vision there as well, as now Smash just going to rain the arrows in? Andal just doing his best. He's trying to land everything onto Smash, but the last few autos come in, and DK just barely scrape by to even out the series here at 1-1.
Showmaker, the sniper, with that trouble bubble onto Jiu. That was the first piece of DRX, the dominoes falling in that final team fight. He's able to get him over the wall there.
And look at these CK fans, not nervous at all. They knew it was just going to be fine. It was in the bag.
You know, when you think of a sniper, you think of someone super far away. They've got like that sniper tripod type thing set up where the rifle is set. They've got, it's like a rail gun. It's super far away. He's like holding his breath to make sure it's it. Imagine all that, but Showmaker is like doing 3 cartwheels and hits the shot. 60,000 damage on the Zoe.
So much damage.
He out-damaged you this game.
Yeah,
How is that even possible?
Hang on, was that like... What is that damage number? What's that DPM number? That DPM number is like 1.5K. It's like 1.5 on a Zoe. That means he's been hitting a bunch of buttons. Oh, okay. Well, now 1-1 on the Zoe in the season. We know, I mean, Showmaker is known for this champion and will be able to pick up the win here in this game, but they had to work way harder once again than they should have in that game after the throw opportunity was picked up by DRX. I think DRX not going to be too worried about it. Back on the horse for game number 3. As from here on out, it's just another best of 3. We'll see who can take it as we go to a short break. When we get back, the space. Going to break this one down, and we'll have that third game. We'll see you soon.
공이야 근데.
잽치자 얘들아.
나 위에 감을게.
그냥 땡겨서 스마하는 거.
야 땡겨봐 일단 땡겨봐 이거 땡겨봐.
못 땡겨.
사인이랑 넣어줘. 야 이거 모은다.
야 유나를 잔다 유나를 잔다.
야 자인부터.
야 유나를 노공 유나를.
사인부터.
아 얘들아 자인부터.
오케이. 사인부터.
야 용부터.
아래 좋은데.
야 유나를 필 유나를 필.
야 욕먹고 삼아 욕먹고.
카르마 볼게
야 나 그냥 유나를 질게 얘들아. 나
찔러.
나 질게.
유나를 봐봐 유나를.
아래 맞아. 사이.
알겠어. 야 가자.
야 오로라 여기 오로라.
Is into him, and it is working for them despite the loss in that second game. What do you think about these two rosters as well? Like, in terms of our expectations coming in this season, D+ looking much stronger, right? The Smash pickup was insane. You still have that core, well, some of the best talent that came up last year, Lucid and Shiu. Well, Lucid year before, obviously. But this roster for DRX is just... something's happened with the coaching staff that they've turned this into a insane, fierce machine.
And from everything that we've seen out of Joker as well, the way that he handles his players is just kind of fantastic. It's been really great hearing sort of his responses to not only losses but wins as well, and how they can then use that to leverage more success without putting too much pressure on the players to succeed. We know that Andal has been, you know, at the forefront of that, right? The amount of pressure really getting to him, but it looks like that has not been something that's been an issue here, and we've seen downward trends for Andal even in the LCK Cup, but he's bounced back so much quicker than before. And speaking of bouncing back, a Rise first pick is going to feel real nice as we are here in the draft for game number 3.
Now the obvious counter pick is the Cassiopeia here for Showmaker, since it is available.
Yep, has already played it to quite good effect as well.
What kind of jungle setup do we have as Varus is also
Oh god, Varus is up.
Now this is not as strong as it was on the previous patch in 26.2, where it was a very strong flex pick as well as being broken itself, but still a very strong pick that Smash will grab here and can dominate the bottom lane with. But is it just going to be Cassiopeia, or does Showmaker have something else in mind? In terms of jungle picks here, the Mundo and the Zahin in the pool, so much is left up, and they'll actually grab the Nocturne.
Nocturne's a really interesting one. We do have Vi Pantheon and the Jarvan all banned away, and so the jungle pool has been somewhat thinned. We'll see where Willer is going to go. I'm hoping that it's not a Yunara. That's all I really have to say about that one. as Sivir is going to be considered first. Of course, Sivir and Davaris has been a pretty standard response, and also Sivir is something that Gio has found a fair bit of success on in the past. Had some roughy games as well, but otherwise has been performing very well. As Renekton there for Rich, picked blind.
Spell Shield is great in Davaris. It's actually, you know, good into Paranoia as well, but it is just, to me, I look at this draft and I go, okay, so they're like, all right, Gio's going to scale, and I'll see you in the late game. And the Renekton's going to get us there pretty safely blind in the top side. And we have some rotational power with this Ryze pick, as it will be Shiu to take the K'Sante. We talked about this in our key points earlier about how this pick is so pivotal for both of our top laners. Instead, they pivot to the Alistar and basically just saying, all right, it's a Sivir lane. We don't need to pick a range support here and hard focus this lane. Instead, we'll just get a bit of a front line.
Yeah, I do think that they can run into some issues with something like a Lulu picked up on the other side, but that could be banned, as we do have the Rakan taken away first. See what DRX are going to focus on here, as I think the top lane is probably where they're going to be looking. I think a K'Sante ban would be good, because that means the Rich could possibly make it 5-0 with a ban on that one.
You just go Cassiopeia, K'Sante. It feels incredibly safe. Now, Alistar's great to Sivir because of the Spell Shield interaction, but closing the gap, getting in there, not always as easy as it looks, especially with AD carries doing so much damage on patch 26. Lee Sin.
Okay. Lee Sin has been a little bit flavor of the month.
Really
with, of course, Raptor and Pioshik both having a fair bit of success on the champ, as Anivia also taken away. So Lulu's up if DRX do want to go towards that one. And the K'Sante is still there as well, and I imagine she was just happy to pick it up.
I'm really curious about Showmaker in this one, though, because there's all the main pairing Nocturne champs are gone. Like, you don't have the Orianna, you don't have even Zoe. Silas obviously gone. Aurora is gone. So they're using this, they're obviously going to pick K'Sante, but I think they're using this time to talk with Showmaker. As you see, she was quite silent. See what they end up getting here. As for the support, and there's a few different things you can go with here. Any range support like the Lulu mentioned.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Actually kind of works here too.
And we just mentioned Pioshik as well. Kind of interesting that the Kindred would then be immediately hovered.
80 damage feels really good.
Willow, where are we going? What are we doing? Hover and some Olaf for the moment. Let's see whether they do lock that one away, as it looks like that's the decision that is made. And Olaf jungle. It's been quite some time. I think the last time that we was speaking about Olaf jungle was the Redemption Olaf jungle that Kanavi made popular. As Poppy a consideration as well, as Andal will be picking that one up. It is kind of a free time to collect a Poppy. With the fact that there is only an Alistar on the other side, it will mean that the DK bottom lane should still have priority because Poppy doesn't offer that much, but the amount of value that you will get into the Alistar especially, but the K'Sante as well, and depending on what Showmaker plays, something there as well.
Here's where we get the answer to that question. If it's something that's like a Victor, I think I'm not too thrilled about it, to be honest. It's very difficult to play this into the composition here of DRX because right now for D plus Kia, and it may even have to be on-hit Varus here for Smash, but this composition, you have a K'Sante, you have the Alistar, you have a really strong front line, you have Engage with this Nocturne, but it doesn't have easy follow-up, right? You can go into the back line and then what? You know, there's a lot of bodyguards here for Gio, a lot of bodyguards for this very difficult to kill Ryze anyways. I think the call to ban the Cassiopeia made a ton of sense. Banning the Anivia a little bit less so, but it fits the same sort of identity of, okay, we need some more scaling damage than just this Varus. And they read this really well. The Victor and the Varus will just get run down by the Olaf so easily. There's just not much you can do to stop him from getting into the backline, and that allows the follow-up Machine Gun Ryze and Sivir in the late game to do so much damage. Yeah, I really like this draft here for the side of DRX, and I think it's once again creativity ruling out here. All three games we've seen it. It's been on both sides, and this time I think DRX really got the better edge. Yeah, I also feel like DRX have been very good at drafting for easy execution. And that has happened once again. Like, this composition is so much inherent damage. With the ricochets that are going to be flying around, dealing with the Olaf is almost impossible. As you already mentioned, like, the low mobility of these damage dealers is going to be an issue unless DK can get off to an absolutely unimaginable start. The problem is, even then, they haven't been able to close things out. Let's get into game 3. All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen. The DRX
Fairy tale continues as we look to see whether this Cinderella story is going to be moving further forward. Obviously, they still have a life here in the playoffs, but a victory against D+ after they got completely crushed by them earlier on in the previous best of 3 would be kind of insane.
Both junglers starting top side, which is unsurprising in this meta. Smash has taken Comet, so he'll be going for a lot of poke damage with the Victor. I think that was kind of always going to be the game plan.
Yep.
And into this Olaf and Renekton, and even the Poppy, just feels like that's the idea. Is we're going to chip away at them at neutral objectives. Lucy can pull the trigger, and otherwise the Showmaker late game Victor damage should be enough to finish people off. And it's not that Lethality Varus can't also just do consistent damage in team fights either, but he can also then offer some poke. But makes you wonder if in a negative game state, like in a world where DRX get a tempo lead, like you were talking about, if they get off to a good start here, how does D+ get back in? Is the really concerning question that I have. There's so many ways to kill a Varus, right? The weakness of Varus is you get on top of him, you close that gap, he doesn't really have escape tools, he dies. He's very squishy, obviously, and there's a lot of damage if he is left alone, but Olaf can just run towards him. They have this Renekton, and the Poppy can split up the team composition of D+. D+'s comp, if they're all 5 together, incredibly strong, but if 2 of those people go flying to Narnia, it's a little bit different.
Yeah. And I think Andal is going to be a huge proponent of this game. We have to remember he was on karma duty in the last one, right? Wasn't able to be the Andal we know and love. Starting fights, making things happen. And obviously Poppy is not necessarily Nautilus, but you can still be an absolute game changer with that ultimate. So we'll just have to see whether he is going to be able to find it. Xiu is bearing the brunt of Rich playing Renekton, hitting level 3 and feeling fantastic on the Crocodile.
The hit to phase rush is going to impact UCal a lot in this game, especially if Lucid is going to be playing around that mid lane a lot. He's just not going to be able to get away from those ganks as well, get away from even, like, for example, the gravity field as well. So that is a big consideration. He went for the Ghost, which will help a lot, and is, I still think, the correct choice for Ryze, but it means if he gets caught in sides by this Nocturne, you know, when Ryze wants to be pushing, wants to be setting up for a Realm Warp collapse and controlling those side lane waves. Okay, Ando?
Yeah, going to push Showmaker back here as UCal doesn't like it whatsoever. He's just going to clear out the wave. As this was a classic answer to Ryze, actually. The Victor has been picked into this champion many, many times. Can outrange, feels very good in lane. But it's just what Victor does sort of later on, and the fact that he doesn't have the ability to stop Olaf from just kind of walking up and killing him unless he's incredibly far ahead and can just kill the Olaf first. I think a lot of this is just damage checks.
That's kind of why I was feeling like maybe if Smash went for on hit, he could help the Victor kill the Olaf, and just they're like, okay, we're not going to have any peel for this Olaf, we just kill him instead. Just shoot him.
Yeah.
But see how this does end up going. I like the Victor more than Talia, which has until very recently been the response that we've seen to the Ryze when Cassiopeia is not available.
I definitely agree with you on that front. Steadfast Presence is going to be very frustrating. Just the first example of that one, as Andal does show he has access to W.
Yeah, it does it like the last possible second there as well. Gets the heal out of career.
All right, Xiu actually winning back on that trade, but misses the Q. Now has to deal with these minions. As Rich, he's going to go for his back. And actually, looking up towards that top lane, it looked like Xiu was trading well, but unfortunately, he had already teleported. Rich hasn't actually done so yet. And so even though it does have that Bramble Vest, feels great for the Cassante. Full health here for Rich as he comes back with his Phage.
No, just going to be continual Sivir pressure down here on this bottom side. Varus not doing enough damage early to get a tempo advantage, and Xiu was able to get that free back early to grab the cull, so he's feeling really nice in this laning phase.
Korea, not so much, just taking Beyblades to the head. And Showmaker does get put in the rune prison, but isn't otherwise too worried about that.
I like that there's not really a gankable lane. Andal with the rotation of Xiu back to base.
Okay, well, there is a teleport here on Smash as Korea looks for the trample, but does not quite get it.
Okay, it doesn't get the stop on Xiu. But I like how both Willer and Andal, like Andal in that first back for Xiu, and then Willer in that pass in the middle, and just like, yeah, UCal, I know it's a little tough. Just gonna throw some stuff at Showmaker and make your life a little bit easier, because we can't really gank elsewhere on the map. Just gonna do small annoyances, small harassment to get through this early game.
Yep. And the thing is, because that's the case, it's kind of best case scenario here for DK. Because what does Nocturne want to do? Stay in the jungle forever.
Until he gets 6 at least.
Yep. And Lucid getting closer and closer to that. This Rift Skull is certainly going to help out on that front. And will actually connect it. So there is Paranoia up and available. So where he's going to use it is going to be the question. See whether Rich is maybe a target. If there's an all-out angle for Shiu with that flash, might be an option there as he is considering moving towards the
Rich
side.
gotta stay away from that wall.
Yeah. Rich now moving over. There is the all-out as Paranoia comes down. And with Dominus there, flash out of the way from Rich, he is going to be able to keep himself alive. But that is big buttons that he does have to employ. Heroic Charge comes in. There's a decent pulverize there from Korea. It's going to be how he has to play this with the Steadfast presence being such a problem.
The gank there is successful, but it does mean that there's a little bit of reprieve here for DRX in terms of dealing with that Paranoia.
This is really interesting though, Wolf. Like, the gold lead is all Showmaker.
Yeah.
Like, everything else is pretty negligible, just bouncing of waves. And even as I say that, a wave gets shoved in and Showmaker is now not with that advantage that he just had. So this game on a nice edge.
It is really, really close here. And I think for both of these teams, they both have separate win cons, right? Like, I don't think either draft has the air quotes better late game, but you and I both agree that we think DRX's execution in the late game will be a lot easier.
I would agree.
And so I don't think necessarily we go, well, it means that Deepos didn't do enough because the execution is easier, but we'll have to wait and see. As no one's made any big errors just yet, which is refreshing for how playoffs and play-ins have been so far.
Yeah, and Gio is going to be a huge threat on this Sivir. Smash may not necessarily be as much, right? If a skill shot misses in a team fight, it's such a huge portion of his DPS that's missing, whereas Gio just needs to be in good position and keep getting these auto attacks down into the front line. That's all he really needs to do. And he does have a Cassante to hit in order to do that, as DRX are looking for the first dragon. And there is a control ward here in the back of the pit, but it's not going to be enough to get DK in there. And that is going to be first rate going on over. So both of the tech dragons going to be our first ones out of the gate.
Oh, I like this. Rich was waiting for it, man. He's like, I'm going to use this wave. I'm going to stop your back. Shiu puts his hands on his bangs there. Was not happy with that one. Rich is like, well, that's maybe just a free plate for me. He's going to get the teleport right away, and we'll just back away and say, all right, that's enough for me.
Yep. So still good. Make sure that that teleport comes out as soon as possible. We'll be getting up there to try and take down these minions. Things very even on that top side. Still a flash there from Shiu as well, as Yukao looking a little worse for wear. As we illustrated earlier, not exactly the most fun matchup for the Rise, but he's farming okay.
Krubs will go over here to D+ without a hitch. Rich obviously having the later back and then have the teleport is just going to be behind the curve here. They don't have mid prio. So this is a big win. Dragon went over to DRX. We don't know what Dragon it's going to be just yet. Cloud Soul would be pretty insane for both compositions, but I think for DRX especially, because they have the Sivir Olaf.
Honestly, both of these junglers love Cloud Soul as well.
It's wild how much you can actually do with that on both teams. And it almost feels like it's an inevitability based on how powerful it could be. Ando's going to clear this control ward, and they continue to maintain. Okay, not quite able to get it, but they maintain a lot of control in this bottom 2v2. And let's see what happens in the next fight, because both teams have kind of avoided flipping the game early, which again, advisable. I'm glad for it.
Like, that's evolution for DRX as well in this exact matchup. Games were thrown prior to this. So we're in somewhat uncharted territory, as an even game state is not what we've seen, because we've seen DK with an advantage every single time at this stage of the game. We've seen a lot of fighting as well, right? Like, we had like a kill a minute at 9 minutes into the game in game number 1. And now we haven't had a first blood just yet, and we're about to tick to 10 minutes. Deep ward does come on through. Make sure that Willa has access to the enemy jungle. Let's see whether that means Showmaker is in trouble, as Shiu going to try and fight against Rich. But you know, when we pan the camera to the top lane, nothing is going on.
Yeah, not really. Rich is like, all right, you hit me, and then I have my empowered Q, and I heal it back, and we move on. Bramble Vest is going to feel like the nice little tech here, the standard into the Renekton. Is Ando finally going to get that ward, it looks like here, and they will maintain control, but there's no objective to take, so what does it really mean? It means they can get a back, I suppose. As that call's not quite done, I think Jiu is going to look to wait and...
Korea has to pop the ultimate.
Split recall there.
Yeah, not quite working out. It was not the timing, as they were still there. She now looking for a bit of an angle, but more plates are going to go down as DK will move to a bit of an advantage based on that.
Lucid is pinging here. He needs help in the jungle.
Oh, Chains of Corruption go wide. Looking for Andil there as Willa will be able to move on over. There is artillery available for DK, but not too much more, but they're not going to push their luck, and DRX will just back away.
Had so much control for DRX in that jungle. I think trying to take a fight there was not going to work out, as we saw multiple pings from Lucid. He was like, I need some help if we're going to take these camps. And Chains of Corruption just being tossed out. Blind doesn't hit. If it had, it might have actually given them some of an edge there, but it wasn't enough, I think, to even do anything. And now he doesn't have it. And Andil's just on the roam again.
Yeah, not a massive cooldown. So it isn't like end of the world, but like you say, not exactly the best. I do like the opportunism though. You know, sometimes you miss every shot you don't take, and it would have been very cool if you hit a blind one into the rush there.
It's moments like that though for me where I think, okay, DRX really just have insane macro. Like they know exactly where they can pull, how deep they can go, and then they don't overextend. They're like, okay, we got Chains of Corruption, let's not force this fight. You know, UCal has prio, but we don't need to push deep. We can just go back and take the small advantage and look to play for this next Drake in a minute's time, as unfortunately for Gio did not quite finish his call, but he has enough to get the Essence Reaver first item, so I guess it doesn't matter really too much.
Yep, Blackfire Torch is done here for Showmaker, as well as Rich and Shu fighting once again. There's the Dominus popped from this Renekton, cutting down. The Cassante gets under the turret, all out, but that just takes Rich out. That's first blood over to the Crocodile.
And so many plates as well, worth of gold here with the Crystalline Overgrowth. We'll grab a second one here.
No 5 health this time, Wolf. Rich is actually able to take it.
Yeah, Rich just having such a series. Even though on the Aurora, obviously, it had a lot of issues and fell far behind in that game, but in the early laning phase, it did quite well.
This is a big deal as well. The relevance of the Renekton is going to be in question later on in the game, right? Is one of these champions that does fall off. But
Shu teleports top lane. Rich could TP to Dragon if they really want to force this fight and grab double Dragon to have some longevity here to scale with the Sivir. But frankly, with the control they have over Dragon, I don't think they need it. Rich is just going to take TP advantage and walk back, and Andil can hold the door.
Well, there's the teleport to come through. Smash buys some shoes. There's the Drake take as DRX are looking for a little bit more. Chains of Corruption go wide once again. And it's a Cloud Soul, Wolf, like you were talking about. We deserved it.
Yeah.
Because this soul would be so much fun.
Sometimes it just feels like the RNG gods assess the game, the composition, they're like, this would be the most fun.
Yeah.
They often sometimes assess the composition and go, this will be the most lame, and they do that on this one.
And then we get Ocean Souled, which was happening a lot earlier in the tournament.
He has his empowered W, so he's like, I flash this. If he flashes, I
mean,
get him.
she was just dead to rights.
At least forced Rich to flash. As Lucid, where are you going?
Oh dear. He's going to have to spell shield something as Showmaker looking to move his way over, but there is a Realm Warp, and that should be a dead Nocturne. Down he will go, but there's a piercing arrow as the Olaf is going to be traded. Now, Korea moving in. There is going to be the Keeper's Verdict to get rid of Smash, but Showmaker is still so scary, and he's got a cow to back him up. The Rise just has to back away. UCal really struggling in this series, to be perfectly honest. I think Showmaker is putting him through his paces. Not going to die or anything like that, but this pressure is absurd.
Yeah, it felt like it was a big flub for D+, but how they played it and the follow-up ended up making it feel totally fine, in fact.
Yeah, it made some sense in the end.
But at the end of the day, it's a trade of 1-for-1. Herald is up in 30 seconds, and Willer will have his steel caps and will be rushing over, I think, to contest this, because this is a fight that I think you absolutely want to win if you are DRX. You want to get that objective. This is just Lucid. You know, we didn't see exactly how this started off. UCal has the Realm Warp here. They blow him up, but now he's on the wrong side of this fight, and then Smash shows up here, and there's just no peel. So the Olaf goes down. The ultimate here from Andil at least allows UCal to get out. I don't know if it really even mattered, frankly, but I was able to at least push the Varus away. But Herald's up, and this is, I think, for DRX, what opens up the mid lane and gives you so much more space as the Sivir to farm and get towards the late game you want.
Well, we'll see whether that is what they're going to be able to do, because I think this game is firmly on the back of Gio.
And Rich has the teleport advantage, so I think they should absolutely play through it.
Ooh, Rift Herald. That's looking like it might be the next port of call.
I mean, like,
Smash has ulti back again.
Gio is Sivir, so he's like, I've got mid prio,
Well,
maybe
he may
too
not
much
have
wild.
his life is the problem, as Spell Shield's fantastic. Korea finds the Flash Bulb to take down the Sivir, and you blink and you miss it.
I guess so.
Just being removed. Andal has to flash. That's going to get him out of there, and the top laners are in the bottom lane. Thank you, Jonas Strong, for that one. As Rift Herald is just going to be taken here by DK. I don't think there's a lot DRX can do.
Yeah, I like the idea of clearing the wave and trying to collapse there, but he went pretty deep as Willer is going to show up.
Yeah, Yukal on a flank angle as well, as we've got a teleport getting them behind DK. I think DRX may have just got themselves a Rift Herald based on that play. And Wolf, you said it before, the macro from DRX is just being good.
And if Gio doesn't just walk forward there too far and die, I think they get it a little bit easier. Rich has to TP for this, so it gives some free space to Showmaker and Shiu down on the bottom side, but at least he turns that TP into pressure here on the top side, so it's an equivalent trade in terms of damage to turrets overall here, and the Herald is still picked up. So Gio, clear the wave, then walk towards the Herald is what I would suggest in most scenarios here. However, he walks towards Smash and tries to chip away at him a little bit more and then dies.
Yeah.
But they have teleport advantage in the bottom lane. Rich is able to head in, and they still secure the Herald.
And that is going to be plates here in this mid lane as well.
Placement, a little janky, but it won't matter.
Yep. That is going to get a bit of money over here, as Willa could be in a little bit of trouble. Death rate flies forward, but Showmaker is not going to follow an Olaf into the darkness.
No, certainly not. When you look at the gold, you're like, okay, D+ have a lead, but it's not that real of a lead. It's really just Showmaker, like you mentioned earlier.
And this is what we were talking about before. This is the exciting part about this game, is this is that uncharted territory of very even game state. Can D+ still win a series, win a game against DRX, whose late game has just looked better, frankly?
And in game 1 and game 2, they had a huge lead.
Well, Showmaker is now going to have to flash out of the way. That is going to allow him to escape the prison of runes.
Yeah,
use. Oh dear, we've seen this movie before. It's not great for Shiu, who goes all out pretty early on in this fight, gets a big old shield. As Rich just happy for a trade of ultis. Chains of Corruption once again thrown out just for fun, as Andal likely to be dead, but does get to keep his verdict down. The Arcane Storm is going to be enough though, and down goes the Poppy. DK should be able to get themselves a Drake off the back of this, as Rich goes forward, has a lot of fury, and Cole the Meek is going to at least get that health bar back to parity with Shiu. These top laners just been fighting constantly this game.
He's got the gauntlet, but he also has the cleaver. So it's like when Conqueror procs, both those top laners like, I'm not sure if I win this. This is actually quite tight. And then Rich gets all of his fury to max out there on the empowered W and the empowered Q. He gets the heal, and he's like, I think I'll walk away from this one. This here, your 80 carry just isn't anywhere close. I think this is a turret you have to give if you're DRX. Even though Andal was miraculously able to get the Poppy ult off, it really means nothing in the grand scheme of things. So probably should have been willing to give that turret. They do keep it, despite the loss of the Poppy. So we'll see if that ends up being relevant as we look for potentially sole point for them in this upcoming fight.
Yeah. This is going to be a huge deal. Of course, DRX not exactly under too much pressure to collect this one. They'll have other opportunities if they want to just play it safe and slow.
Showmaker is so much more relevant than Yukal right now.
And Korea, not that relevant himself, as he is moving too far forward. Holds onto the ulti, but that health bar is looking pretty low.
Showmaker just can't get access to this fight, though, despite him having those 2 items to Merc Treads upgraded and 7-stack Rod of Ages Yukal, who's a level down. Guess it doesn't matter.
Well, DK are still going to move forward, as Willer is there towards the south of this fight. Rich moves up, gives that information over, but Shiu is in position as well. Level advantage for the Crocodile, but doesn't have a health advantage right now as he blast cones his way in. Cheeky little Q there, but Shiu, you can see he's just a brick wall.
DRX have the Drake advantage. They don't have to hard force. They're just slow playing this.
Yep, well, now you've got Shiu looking for that advantage himself, as now Andal does charge him into the wall heroically.
This is exactly how D+'s comp works when they're all grouped. They have a front brick wall, and Smash sits behind it and does damage. Showmaker still, though, has not been able to join this fight.
Yeah, mid lane control for DK is going to be there, as he does manage to take down that minion wave. So there is a priority lead for DK. They're going to now push forward, as DRX were looking for it here. As Shiu is going to get pushed back, but he's lit on fire. Not sure whether he really minds too much about that.
Showmaker is just trapped in the bottom lane, and this is now a 5v4, and they get Prio on the Dragon. Slow and steady wins the race here for DRX, although Andal a bit far forward.
Yeah, Showmaker moving over, and DK, I mean, they're going to give up Cloud Soul point. It's Keeper's Verdict is going to not quite work out here as the Realm Warp is very aggressive. It delivers the Poppy, and they get on top of Showmaker. He's blown up in an instant. And now DK, can they still win the fight? That's the question. As DRX, they just rebuild the Phalanx. And DK, I don't know whether you want to take this one as the piercing arrows are flying in. Lucid wants to get that damage through. Shiu is a monster in this game as he goes all out, takes out the Poppy, but then has to flash to get himself out of the way. Now, Gio, I don't know about that one, buddy. That is too far, as now Smash can walk up to take down Rich, and DK delivered a team fight on a silver platter.
Yeah, I'm not going to say I'm not sure. I'm going to say I am sure, which is what you were saying essentially.
Yes.
That was not the play there from Gio, who does now put together his Flicker Blade. But D+ are going to put together a Baron. And yeah, that maybe just slow play that one. It was so beautiful how they slow played the lead up, the secure on the Dragon, the front to back, and then suddenly Gio was like, I'm full build. It's like, no. Actually, it's not game 2.
Please. Yeah, no, he in melee range as a Sivir is not really what you want to be doing. And now DK are going to very comfortably take this Baron 21 minutes into the game.
It's a position with the Dragon lead here for DRX where there's definitely some play here, but I think given now this fight win for D+, again, game 2 notwithstanding, they should be able to really get a massive advantage in furthest. Now, there's a great play on the Showmaker here. However, Gio, you know, at this moment,
they're in a great position.
This kite back to say, look, okay, we've got this one under control. They don't even have to force the fight onto the Cassante, but they're able to put Gio's health bar low, and then Gio watch him.
Oh yeah, the all out pulls Andal back.
But here,
Yeah, no, you don't need to walk blindly into the brush.
I just don't understand it. I don't understand it.
A rush of blood to the head, Wolf. It is something that has taken many a player.
Yeah, that's a big error though. The way they played everything else in that fight was brilliant, and I was about to sing their praises, like, wow, okay, they miraculously were able to wrestle Prio away, they kept Showmaker out.
Yeah, and they get the
now,
Dragon.
It's like, okay, I got Soul Point, which is valuable if we can survive this Baron and everything else. It's a 5,000 gold lead here again for D+ now. Navarro's 2K ahead.
Yeah. And he's got Cyrilda's done as Career is going to interrupt the blast cone there as Rich moves his way over. Smash cannot actually enter the fight as finally he hits an ultimate at least as the paranoia, but the delivery onto Andal as he takes a buckler to the head and dies. That is just Lucid down, but you can see these health bars on DRX are very low. That's actually going to pull back the tempo quite nicely here for DRX, to be honest.
Honestly, they handled this again well. It's the punish plays for DRX, man. It's just so consistent. Like, okay, you guys think you can be here, we will catch you. Andal's often the one who starts it off, right? He's like, okay, this is an illegal zone. You're not allowed to be here. But in this case, Blast Cone denied, but Rich gets into the flank. Smash is like, I really want to layer damage in here. I really want to get access, but Lucid dies first here. Has to ult, but just dies.
Yeah.
He didn't really have a great place to ult to get out, so he decided to go for the Poppy and dies. And then this is just a lot of Baron time lost, you know? And it's a Sivir on the other side who's got great wave clear. That's kind of the name of the game for Gio. He's like, I wave clear, I survive, we go to late game, I try to win the game from there.
Yeah, I think DK would have much preferred to have the Drake as a prize for winning that team fight. Instead of this Baron where the Rebel Baron power play is sitting at 1,000. It's not exactly the largest. If they do get some access to these turrets, then there is going to be an opportunity as now Smash moving over. Another Chains of Corruption goes wide as Andal dealing with Showmaker and does take a very large piercing arrow to the head.
And this Baron is still active for 15 more seconds, but doesn't quite look like they're going to be able to break these inners. This one's full health.
Yep.
Doesn't have overgrowth on it. So that's the last hurrah, this last cannon minion here.
Couple of plates though. So that's a bit extra of the money, 1,400.
That's just 1,400 though. That's practically the old base Baron
yeah, true.
gold.
Well, Gio is taking way too much damage here. Maybe DK are going to realize that they don't actually need a Baron because their comp sieges ridiculously well with the amount of extra range that they have.
Not sure if Gio, what was going on with his spell shield there, but he did just take the damage. And as a result, we'll have to back. 20 seconds till this Dragon. Gonna get the Empowered Recall home.
Yeah, I feel like the last Dragon was very recently. But, that time has really skipped forward.
I don't really think D+ could have just tried to force this Dragon without backing, but that back timing is going to allow DRX to set up here. Poppy with ultimate back online, the exhaust is set up. This is a tough fight for D+ here.
Oh man, Smash needs to be really careful because Willa, if he just runs at them, he can really do some damage. As there's a Realm Warp, they're looking to try and single out Showmaker, but there's a Paranoia to make them all blind as Shiu is fighting Rich on the top end of the fight. Now Andal going down so incredibly low. Jiu flashes over the wall. Shiu might be taken out here as Yukal has joined the fight, but Andal's also going to go down, and now Lucid gets on top of Jiu, but Jiu just evaporates him. The amount of damage from this Arcane Storm, though, just ludicrous as DK still have carries to spare, and the Pulverize connects. No more Steadfast presence because Andal is down, and DRX are going to get routed.
I mentioned in the draft very briefly that Spell Shield interaction with Alistar. It's just not great for Sivir, and unfortunately for Gio, he only has one of them. He ends up getting taken out. This fight is so broken up, and this Realm Warp call, they've had 2 of these this game that are fantastic, but the Paranoia is used defensively, so Showmaker gets away. And then as they collapse onto Gio, he has to flash over the wall to get away. Spell Shield from Lucid onto this ultimate from the Poppy is massive, because I think without Lucid being able to get onto Gio here, they actually cannot make this fight work. Like, Career would have just melted instead. And so that was actually massive, that Spell Shield there. He sacrifices himself to then push Gio away, gets this hit here. No way to Spell Shield that as Gio, and they end up cleaning up the fight. First Dragon for D+ is secured. And yet, I don't know if it's just me, Atlas, but I still kind of feel like the tempo vibes are DRX's in this one.
Yeah, I don't...
Like, I just don't trust how D+ is playing. And DRX are 4,000 gold behind, playing a lot more confidently, making very decisive calls that make sense to me.
One of D+'s biggest weaknesses is acquisition of tempo vibes. They just don't have many of them at all times. That's why there's a lot of anxiety in the fandom.
If D+ have the tempo vibes, there's like no question. It's like super obvious.
They
like
have the tempo vibes
Majais.
when Showmaker has 25 stacked Majais. Like that's like when they have
If you have to question, they do not have the tempo vibes. It's like Bonjour, you know, if you have to go, is Faker the Bonjour, then he's not, but no one's ever questioned that.
Oftentimes when I've questioned, like when I thought that they had the tempo vibes, I've lost hair, you know? I'm not often right, and I don't want to be challenged again. I like my hair, and I prefer not to lose it.
And I mean, this game, Actualizer done now for Yukal. Like, he was a whole item down, and just given enough time, he's a huge damage threat. And these frontliners just melt, and the Varus can't do consistent damage necessarily. That's kind of why, in my opinion, despite the 3,000 gold deficit, we're watching Smash hit a big Q, charged up, and then she was like, okay, cool, I kill the frontline now, and Smash can't really compete with my damage. But he is large, and if he hits poke onto Gio and it's not spell shielded, or onto Yukal, if they're given enough time, the Varus will outshine. But this gold lead, it's not fake, but it needs to be wielded correctly.
Yes, this is the problem, because we've seen gold leads not necessarily equate to easy times in the later stages of the game. Baron is now what both of these teams are looking at. Still 3 minutes on this next Dragon attempt for DRX to try and get that Cloud Soul. As Jiu gets his Lord Doms, it's actually kind of a big deal. Does, of course, want the Infinity Edge as well, but 1 step closer to 4 items feels pretty good. He's also going to cap out higher than Smash, so even though he's down by almost 3,000 gold, as the more money comes in for the Sivir, she is later on in the game just going to have better items.
Yeah. Jiu will Teddy hard in this game if he gets the time. And the fact that they got the Dragon lead buys them that time. And Barons are not as big of an issue when you have a Sivir and a Ryze on your team, because you have insane wave clear to mitigate that and just buy time and farm and look for that later, more impactful team fight. And Elder isn't a win con for D+ either, because it just hasn't spawned.
Yeah.
And won't be for a while if they keep getting dragons, obviously, so...
And they want to be denying the soul, because otherwise they won't win team fights, because Gio is just going to sprint around way too fast after pressing his ultimate button, as we've got a bit of an all-in here towards the bottom side. Rich's Sterix helping him out very nicely, as the Realm Warp is going to make it unfair, but there is the Paranoia as well. Rich having to flash his way out as Yukal. He has decided he is fully committing to trying to kill this Cassante, and unfortunately, Showmaker will say no.
I think the call from Rich was Realm Warp on this, okay? Like, that's very obvious, right? You could see it on the minimap, Yukal's running down. They're clearly communicating that, but why are we tossing away all of the potential tempo challenge for Baron for trying to get a solo lane kill onto the Cassante of all things when TP is up for Showmaker? They got his TP, Just not going to call worth on this one for DRX. The ultimate for UCal is down, which has been one of their biggest tools in team fights as well. The Dragon spawning in 1 minute's time, and they're going to have 0 prio for it.
Man, Showmaker is making Victor look broken in this game.
It's pretty crazy what he's been able to do. And from laning phase to start into some of these incredible team fights, and his rotations have been really crisp. So 50 seconds till Dragon. Respawn will be there for UCal. But now you're like, okay, I got to deal with this Baron take potentially. There's a lot of damage on this Victor, who almost has death cap. And you got to juggle all of these things all at once here, while your Ryze, by the way, doesn't have teleport and even doesn't have Ghost in this case. So really, really hurts that UCal doesn't have Realm. But we'll have it back pretty soon here. And it looks like D+ are not going to threaten this Baron take just yet.
Yeah, I think the Dragon going to be that little bit more important here for them, as Andal, there's not a whole lot he can do into Lucid, as Willer is going to move on over. The rest of DK, they can move the cavalry in though, and I don't think Andal is going to be feeling too good about it. Death Ray does go wide. As the smite comes in, they want to try and get this. Is Realm Warp going to get Andal out of there? Wasn't all that necessary, but looked pretty cool.
It did look really like cinematic that he escapes, but I'm not sure how much matters. He is going to have his unsealed teleport back up, so I guess kind of works out. He will be able to rejoin right away.
And the Drake has now spawned. So Dragon and Baron, both of them there. This gives DRX an advantage.
DRX will have to make a good macro call here, and I just don't know if they have enough control over the map to make a decision here. Like, it's not even about should they make the call to go to Baron or not. Is that the right or wrong call? I just don't think there is a call. Like, they have to give this Dragon, and they can't do Baron in time. So D+ get this Dragon for free and put themselves on 2 Drakes. Again, still super far away from Seoul, but it's a free win for them with the map control they had. And I think that, you know, some of these very aggressive positions for Andil and crew, UCal's ults, not working out.
Paranoia going to come on through here as Lucid, able to mitigate so much with that spell shield. The piercing arrow goes wide, and Andil is Poppy, and so he actually lasts way longer than he has any real right to, as the gravity field goes down, and that is going to deny the follow-up. But Shiu actually takes so much damage from there, and Andil just kind of shrugs it off.
Yeah, Andil is like, I'm Poppy, I'm support Poppy, but your lethality bars doesn't
trying to
scare
back
me.
on a wall. There's a teleport in as well, as in goes the Olaf. He does get exhausted, but he doesn't look that tired to me. As the all-out comes through, Shiu lasts a little bit longer than you'd expect, but with the Ragnarok running, there is no worries there from those chains of corruption, and DRX now have the inside track on this Baron.
This front line is completely broken now for D+. They don't really have a great way to fight this one out. Realm Warp?
Yeah, there's the Keeper's Verdict. Gets rid of Smash. Their heroic charge is not going to do too much to Lucid, as the Arcane Storm is doing a lot of work. Paranoia now down as well. I don't think he wants to go in. Lucid does decide to pull the trigger. I'm not sure about it, as the rest of DRX are just going to walk away.
Their health bars are too low. I think that was a good Paranoia call, the way they played it, how slowly they were able to kind of inch forward and chase, but not hard force, and force DRX away with low health bars to stop them from doing the Baron. And 15 seconds time, Shiu will be up with TP, so we just reset and go again. This game, though, we're getting closer and closer to Big Sivir territory.
Oh no, but it's Big Victor territory as well.
Yeah.
This is like the end of Season 2 of Arcane, you know, like this guy's starting to take over.
I do wonder, though, with the Ryze as well in tow, is the scaling Victor, I mean, Showmaker's been playing an incredible game individually. Is it going to have the same impact? Because the Ryze can reposition the whole team, reposition the Olaf. Like, if Cloud Soul goes over, definitely favor the Ryze here, but still a ways away from that right now.
Yep.
This game is so close.
I need to take a moment to apologize to Chronicler for spoiling some of Arcane Season 2 there. It's not really a spoiler. Like, we kind of knew that it was going to be about Victor moving on, and he gets a bit scary. We don't know what happens after that, okay? So it's not fully spoiled. Sorry about
Chronicler thought he turned into a Zealot based on the updated profile picture for Victor. Chronicle was a big StarCraft enjoyer, you know.
I mean, he was actually, you know, like that's what he got brought up on. So I think that's a really good call. So we apologize for that one on behalf of Riot Games. Okay, let's see what DK can do, or what DRX can do to try and wrestle back some control. That's a great pulverize though from Korea, as the Steadfast Presence was a little bit too late. The Unbreakable Will there for Korea, but he is going to get expelled from the fight. Does now mean that Keeper's Verdict is on cooldown.
Support Ultimate's traded, but D+ not in a confident position to start up this Baron. And I wonder, could they, if they just cleared this mid-wave and played through the Victor damage, maybe they could look for a turn, but without their Alistar and their Alistar without ult, even if he stayed, it's really difficult to play out.
I mean, Xiu is just so large.
Yeah, and this Olaf has not really gotten the value we discussed because we got to the late game without him being able to run down Smash. So Showmaker and Smash just kind of kill him, as we discussed, if he runs at them. So they have to play it a little bit more subtly. Big pickup here for Yukal and for Gio. The IE and the Zonias are ready for what could be the game-deciding fight.
That's a gigantic spike for the Sivir. As DK, they have to be so careful. I mean, Paranoia has to be used now every single time onto Gio to make sure that as many cooldowns go down and Showmaker and Smash have a chance to kill him.
Crazy that both mid laners are basically at item value parity despite Showmaker having this lead the whole game. The Rise is certainly going to go toe-to-toe potentially in a team fight.
Yeah. And this late game, he's been getting into side lanes and making stuff happen.
Smash has really dominated this mid matchup, so the wave clear of Sivir that often gets you guaranteed prio just hasn't mattered because he just keeps hitting these charged Qs repeatedly onto Gio, forcing his spell shield, and if he doesn't have it, just has to back away. That means prio goes over here with Showmaker also controlling the side lane here in the bottom lane. And D+, in 40 seconds, when that dragon spawns, they need to be in position to deny it, and it's step by step. And their movement speed is really starting to get out of control. If they get 3 Cloud Dragons here, it is pretty insane what they're going to be able to accomplish around the map, rotation-wise even. Yeah. And with the teleport on the Varus as well, they even have that rotational power, so going to clear this mid wave. And surely D+ get this dragon, right? Surely there's not an incident, there's no mistake, there's no misplay.
And so much about DRX is abuse of movement speed, right? Like, that's Sivir's whole kit. Like, that's what Olaf needs in order to be sticky onto targets. If DK could just continue to stack these Cloud Drakes, then, I mean, DK can just run faster than Olaf. And you get slow resistance as well, so the undertow spam is not as powerful.
They have pretty strong turn with this Nocturne. I'm not sure why they're not just putting people on Dragon.
Oh, well, Realm Warp is going to deliver them into the backline. There's a flash out from Smash as Lucid just trying to get on top of the Sivir. She gets feared, and now Xiu is looking to try and get in. The Guardian Angel is going to get popped as Xiu is out of the, I mean, somewhat threat range, as well as down very low as well. And oh no! Career is just left to be a stake. As now Showmaker gets flashed on by Rich. He needs to run quick. He does have the tools to do so, but unfortunately, it's not enough. As Smash is now the only damage that's left. Xiu trying to keep them interested. As Smash getting a little bit frightened as Rich, great sidestep and really good ward that was positioned there beforehand. There's the all-out, but Xiu just says good night to Andil with it. Finds the Q onto Rich there as well, and he's now looking for the extra damage, but Yukal puts him in prison and takes him down.
Xiu's back here. Smash needs to be very careful about sticking around.
Very nice spell shield there as well. But and it's a one-team fight by DRX. That should be Cloud Soul.
There's no jungle here, though, for 25 seconds for DRX, whereas Lucid is up and available, so they need to play this really well. I think they're going to have to try to get a secure of the pit from the outside before they go for this. This is a bit disastrous here for DRX. There's the Paranoia.
This ward as well. Yeah, the Paranoia goes down there looking to try and kill Rich, but Smash has to move into melee range, and he's going to get wiped out. Now Lucid in a lot of trouble. The headbutt to try and save the jungler, but it's just going to be Korea once again being turned into mincemeat, and DRX just keep winning.
Oh man, Atlas, this is one of those games where, I mean, I've been saying the whole series long, but DRX are like, this is the bar.
Yeah.
And you make the right call, and DRX are like, oh, overextended. Realm Warp into the backside of the team fight. Now your tank isn't there. Your front line isn't there in this fight. Gio almost dies, right? He's almost taken out, but he does not die. The knockaway of Smash means there's only 180 carry in this fight. Then on the top side of the fight, Showmaker is just getting run down by this massive top laner. Rich wasn't super fed in this game or anything crazy, but at level 19, this Renekton will kill basically anyone he can get into melee range. And this is Showmaker in this case. And by the time Smash gets back here, the fight is already over. And this is DRX taking Cloud Soul and Baron.
Oh my goodness. It's now 5.5 minutes until the Elder Dragon spawns. DRX, they have confirmed tempo vibes for the first time in this game, right? This is an advantage.
Is this the fell for it timing here for D+ this season? Like, is this the moment where we start to wonder, like, is this where the fall happens that every D+ fan dreads? Great start to the year, everything's looking good, and then let's see.
Let's see what happens here as Andil just looks like he doesn't really take damage. Celestial Opposition is one heck of an item, but he's also Poppy, so that's very helpful.
Yukal is getting some free time in this top lane with Baron buff. See if they can punish him, or if he's just going to be able to get away. He doesn't have Realm Warp, but he doesn't need it.
Great vision control here as well, as Lucid standing on a ward this entire time is actually going to get chased down by Willa here momentarily.
So much goal on the map here for DRX.
Yeah, no, it's kind of absurd because there's still an outer turret in the bottom lane, and DRX is going to try and get the siege to work. Obviously, their comp doesn't necessarily siege all that well, but with 2 siege minions and Baron, it can certainly get it done.
Absolutely. Plus the wave clear, any wave that comes towards them just evaporates, and then the siege minions continue to do their work. And they can just slow play this because the Sivir is getting stronger and stronger and stronger at every passing moment. She was
now
level
Rich,
18.
Yeah, Rich able to walk up, and so now Shiu could be in a little bit of trouble, mitigates a bit of the CC. But even the Crocodile, man, level 20 on this Renekton. It's a very scary time for DK, because after this, if they don't win this game, they're staring down the barrel of match point for DRX. As now Lucid looking to try and start this fight onto UCal, but he is very scary right now. Level 18.
There's no follow-up.
Willa does get his CC removed, but doesn't actually have to use his Ragnarok to do so, as now Shiu is possibly going to get taken down. He gets exhausted. He lasts a while, but he is eventually taken out, and the inhibitor goes down as well. Man, the gold advantage that has been built here by DRX is massive. 6,000 on the Rebel Baron power play, and that is only going to go up as they take another inhibitor turret. And DK, I mean, what are they supposed to do? DRX just have all the answers.
Yeah, they really do. Here's the TP in from Rich. They're looking to end the game right now.
Keeper's verdict is not going to push them all that far, as the Pulverize does not anything at all. From Korea, there is no follow-up, and Rich dives forward. Showmaker still able to do a fair bit of damage here, but he gets taken out. The ricochets tear through DK, and DRX will move to match point.
DRX looking good, Atlas. And I'm going to say it. We talked about the tempo vibes with the 4,000 gold lead, the map control for D+. And as someone who predicted D+ to win this series 3-1, which is now no longer possible, based on the play we've been seeing, individual play for each D+ member has looked pretty phenomenal. I'll give some, I think maybe the player needs the most pointers might be Career in this one, but otherwise, individually each player is fine. It's the unit, the 5-man, where they're lacking, where they're making bad calls together, and we're seeing DRX get those punishes. But I'll tell you guys, and I think you felt it, we talked about the tempo vibes, not for one moment really, through this big giant gold lead you can see here from about 18 minutes to 35 plus. Did I personally believe that D+ was going to win this game?
They barely got across the line in game 2, and that was almost a perfect game for most of it.
What happens if DRX gets a lead early? I think D+ fans are not hoping to find out.
Yeah, I'm a little bit worried here for DK, but if they manage to take this game number 4, then we'll be going to Silver Scrapes 2 days in a row here at the LCK Cup playoffs. That is exactly what we want to see here. As CV Max, yeah, he's going to have to make sure that he gets all the information into these players and keeps these spirits high, because this is where DK have crumbled in the past. Let's see whether they've evolved and grown and can take game number 4 to bring us all the way. Time for us to take a short break. When we get back to space, gonna break that one down, then we'll have that 4th game. We'll see you soon.
이번에 날리고 타워 칠래 어때?
가능.
천천히 하자.
아, 내 스테락. 나 풀도 있어. 나 집 해볼게.
자, 이번에 날릴 테니까 타워 칠까 봐봐, 얘들아.
기다려. 우리 레. 다음 라인 끝내면 돼. 빅토르 볼까 난 결국에. 나 그냥 보내줄 생각해서 좀 이따가. 아 내가 갈게. 알아서 갈게.
야 이번에 날릴게 얘들아. 타워 잡아. 위에 타워 쳐. 타워. 아 좋긴 해.
천천히 안 맺혀.
앞라인.
빅토르 딸피.
타워 잡아 얘들아 천천히.
빅토르 노플. 얘들아 빅토르 노플.
오늘 근데 나풍 많이 주는데 얘들아. 내 말 잘
아
들어봐.
좋았다.
근데 내 캐리 같은데 아닌가?
잘하긴 했지.
That's not what I think. I'm with the Korean side. I actually feel like it's probably BNK.
Maybe we should ask the question about.
I was certainly feeling nervous yesterday though because that was not clean.
Yeah, maybe-
But this isn't either. So I guess we're both feeling anxious.
Maybe we should have been asking the question whether it was DRX or DNS who will be going. BNK did win yesterday. We'll see if D+ can stop this 3-1, as once again the Rumble will be banned. But I like how D+, or rather how DRX have approached these drafts, right? Early on, going for the first pick, but as we get super deep, now looking for counter pick. Well, a lot of these picks are gone, and D+ has just been like blue side or bust.
Yeah, they will always pick blue side. That is just the way. Not sure whether I agree with it, but I like the consistency. As Gwen and Rumble are going to be banned away here, Shiu is getting targeted in the opening bans this time around. We've seen Jarvans and Pantheons banned every single time, but maybe something's going to get through. As Jarvan, Pantheon, Vi were all taken away in the last game, and now maybe only one of them left back up again, as there is the Pantheon taken away.
I think Vi will probably be the final ban here then.
I hope so. I mean, Lucid is so good at it. I think that DRX probably need to get rid of that one, but that gives him the Jarvan. Maybe you just ban neither of them and be okay with the trade.
Yeah, that might also be the way. They will do that. And they'll also ban the Ahri, saying you can't have, you can get Vi, but you can't get Vi Ahri. So you can have that, and we'll get Jarvan. And they may just opt to go to Jarvan themselves instead.
Do you know what I feel in my waters, Wolf? I feel like whoever picks Taliyah will lose this series.
Yeah, I hope neither of them pick Taliyah, and then we keep it up in the air and just...
That'd be nice.
We don't just have it predetermined.
If DK first picks Taliyah here, I'm going to be very sad. But the Vi is up and available. I think it's a pretty obvious one.
Okay, so Jarvan plus what? You know, the AD carry pool has been thinned out pretty substantially, obviously, and you don't want to pick Kai'Sa super early on in this draft. I think Ezreal is in an insane state right now in you know, the buff that he received, so maybe you could just go for Ezreal here. It's safe into the Vi as well. Instead, they're going to go for the Galio, because they don't have to get Jarvan right here. And now I'm not 100% sure what they're going to do. Is this like a Zeri comp? Oh,
Nefiri! Nefiri was buffed a little bit in the jungle.
Yeah.
Her clear is a little bit faster, so that's kind of fun. So Willa's going to go for that one. This has been, like, this was the Raptor answer to the Vi. That was when Nefiri really rose to prominence, and so he's going to go for it again. This time, Willa piloting the doggo. That'd be a bit of fun, as now Jack's being hovered. See whether Shiu does decide to lock that one in.
There aren't a lot of great answers to it in Rich's wheelhouse. Rich's Gragas has never been too inspiring. The Nara is obviously gone.
He does play the Gragas a lot, though, even if it isn't necessarily that inspiring.
I don't really... It's not my favorite Rich champion. There's no Cannon, obviously. That's gone. There's no Aurora. So it is a very strong Jax angle and works well with the Vi.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no, Wolf. No. No. Okay, it's going to be the bird. No!
I like the Anivia more. But
Me too.
Vi Taliyah is just too much to pass up, especially for CV Max.
And all right, I need to clarify something with someone. This is purely personal bias. I just don't think Taliyah is very good.
I think Taliyah really struggles in this meta. I mean, it's better into the Galio.
And there's not a lot of damage on the enemy team at this point in time.
You need a hyper carry if you are DRX. I'm looking at picks like Zeri here that you need, Aphelios, or perhaps even Jinx could actually do quite well because he's got long range. Not as safe into the Vi, obviously. They may be considering a Xayah option here as well, but it has to be a late game hyper carry here for Jiwoo. Yeah, the Ezreal is still also a strong possibility here, and they have pick priority. Kai'Sa with Nefiri is great, but with Galio and...
I mean, I don't mind it because you can cause a ruckus.
I suppose.
But I do think that the Zeri, the Aphelios, they feel like the most dangerous things on the Rift right now. I think D+ probably need one of them as well. I would love to see Aphelios Thresh or something like that out of Smash and Korea in this game. because Thresh Jax is also quite powerful if the Thresh can deliver a counter-strike.
This set of bans really just makes me feel like they're angling for the Zeri. I think they expect the Xayah was going to be banned. Ezreal can work, but it's not the same type of hypercarry, right? It's safe, but it requires you to hit a lot of skill shots and chip away at the enemy team. It's not the same sort of Geo walks forward spaces perfectly and evaporates them with auto attacks type of champion.
Yeah.
And with the Naafiri and the Galio to help set up picks for a Jinx, it would be phenomenal, but they banned the Lulu, which makes me wonder what the game plan is. I think it might just be a Felios angle here. Let's see.
Have to say, the Ezreal is what they got. Kalista. So I was wondering about this. Are they just going to Kalista Renata?
Oh, it's so
because
tough.
the Ashe Seraphine isn't available. And that has been the way to completely demolish this lane. The problem is now with 6 supports and 680 carries all taken off out of the pool, some of those are the ones that do quite well into the Kalista.
You're also playing Kalista into Talia and Jax.
I mean, yeah, there is a part where the bad news starts coming in, which is Kalista is largely a mid-game champion, is what we've kind of seen.
And now you're playing into Ziggs as well.
Okay. That means that we don't have a lot of consistent damage on D+'s side.
Yeah, this game is going to get really weird. There's going to be, like, I think this ends up being a one-sided game, right, no matter which way it goes.
And I also think D+ can only smoke and mirrors. That's all they've been playing throughout this entire series is, no, we don't really want a team fight. Actually, we'd prefer to play side lanes. And that falls apart when you get later on into the game and when nerves are high.
It doesn't fit Smash's skill set, in my mind. As we get just more engaged here, looking for the big boom boom. There was no other pick here for Andil. It was always going to be the Renata, unless it was stolen away. Because it is great into Vi Jax, right? It is the most powerful pair champion with the Kalista because of how bailout works and how easy it is for Kalista to just use the bailout timer to get more Ren stacks to then pull them out and get that reset. They have the insane front line, and the Galio can also help keep this Kalista alive. They're putting all the eggs in the Jew basket. I think, like I said, this game is not good. It's not a game where there's a comeback angle for either side. You kind of take control. You never let it go. We have shown, or D+ have shown rather, that sometimes it feels like that should be the case and doesn't work out that way. But I think in this game in particular, if this Talia Vi gets ahead, they can run the map. They have side lane pressure with this Jax that can never be matched. They have Ziggs who can also impact sides. His burst damage is going to be great. How this laning phase on the bottom lane goes, I think, is one of the most important factors. Can the Ziggs just outpoke the Kalista, or do they make a mistake? The Kalista gets ahead, it's a disaster, and the game ends.
And we've actually seen, like, I've had my opinion changed about Kalista. Kalista was seen as a very early game focused champion, but we've seen a lot of players actually make her do a lot of work later on in the game. And one thing she does very, very well is secure objectives. Now, is that going to be in question when you put a Mega Inferno Bomb into the mix? You know, there are a lot of these question marks that a Ziggs composition can add. But what I'm looking at, DRX standard drop, DK weird one, worked for DRX last time. Let's get onto the Rift. All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen, onto the Rift for what could be the final game in this series and the first victory for DRX over D+ Kia since they won Worlds in 2022. Like, and they didn't even beat DK then, but it was 2022 that they won the last time. It's kind of insanity.
It is just hard to wrap your head around, especially because of how favored D+ were coming into this series. And I think a lot of people thought, myself included, that Jiu's palms were kind of fake news, you know? He was set up by his supports, right? But there were a lot of scraps and skirmishes that were gifting him early kills. I was like, oh, surely D+
I mean, I saw Andil palms that were taken by Jiu.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And I kind of look at this series in a different, or that moment in a different light now. Although I think what we said was still true. Jiu is just performing incredibly well without those freaks.
What was that? Andil just kind of rolled underneath it like Indiana Jones?
He just crouched.
Yeah. That was epic. He's playing like 2x KO or something like that instead. Just dodges the projectile. Very nicely done.
Well, this early poke isn't amounting to enough here for Smash and career, obviously just yet at level 1.
Yeah, I don't need to worry about it too much, although that Pierce did a lot of work. They should be able to just grab this wave as it heads towards the turret. And after a couple of buttons have been put together, and Smash is going to be able to be pretty comfortable here in this
going
lane.
in as the Rakan, you know, we talked about the all-in angle we saw from Andil in Game 1. Going in as Rakan here is just a suicide mission. Do not want to do it. Just want to wait.
It is a little bit rough, as they do grab a little bit of overgrowth, as DK just trying to clear out these minions as best they can.
Honestly,
takes a cheeky turret shot.
Gio is playing this really well. You know, they're just adding enough damage in, pushing these waves at the right time, threatening, while not overextending. Like, as a second satchel attempt, this one actually pushed him back, but not enough to actually make anything of it. The first one did not push him into range of anything. And they're just playing this incredibly measured, but while also keeping the pressure on here. So the range advantage means very little here for the Ziggs with low damage in these early levels.
A good seismic shove there from Showmaker. His Talia has always been great. Despite, you know, what I was saying about Talia earlier on.
I remember Talia in 2021 was a very strong jungle pick. Only D+ were able to flex it to the mid lane occasionally. Canyon was arguably the best Talia at the time. Showmaker would occasionally play it, and everyone's like, she's not viable mid before she was changed. Showmaker was like, it is possible. I will do it.
He's certainly one of those guys. As Nefiri going to go home, Willer is just going to collect a pickaxe and make his way back out onto the rift, heading for a re-clear. As Lucid, he took the northern scuttle. So no kerfuffles around the scuttle. Good news for DRX fans. Smash in Korea with a very large wave. It's not something that DRX is going to be able to fight around. As level 4 actually very close here for DK.
I love how in this meta, this is where the observer camera is.
Yep.
Just doesn't go in. There's no reason. There's a mini-map if you're interested in seeing.
I really hope we never look at top lane. Just like not even a little bit.
I saw they both teleported and I was like, yeah, that's all I need to know.
Yeah.
CS lead to Rich at the moment, as we do have a bit of a trade positively for DRX here.
Yeah, Battle Dance is pretty powerful. So Korea is able to get himself out of the way after the handshake. As early game Scion, doing what it says on the tin.
Smash hasn't had to teleport yet. He has not backed yet to buy his first item.
Also hasn't fallen behind, so he's actually feeling pretty good at the moment on the Ziggs.
It's really
bouncing the bombs.
Really hard when the wave is positioned like this for Career and Smash to actually have an impact, even with Andil sitting at half health. They're like, yeah, I don't want to play that game.
Yeah, you can see Andil is still feeling feisty, you know? He's still ready to go for something.
He can self-bail out, and then Gio will set it up if they try to go on him. So always a scary moment as Yukal gets a big chunk here.
Yeah, Showmaker struggling a little bit now. Has actually already teleported back to the lane. So Yukal feeling pretty good. Now Magic Mantle in hand.
Willer on Nefiri just feels right. You know, Willer missed the early Nefiri days here in the LCK because he was in Challengers at the time. Always excited to see Willer play these types of picks. When I think of Willer, the first pick that comes to mind is actually Elise.
Yeah.
As, hold up, we might have a bit of a skirmish here.
Ooh, Lucid looking for a little bit of an angle. See whether Team Rocket is blasting off again with this particular skin choice. As Yukal moving over, Showmaker as well is able to set up the wall. Let's see whether he does pull the trigger on that one, and there it is. Andil is over very far away from the rest of his team. Shoved back and destroyed. That's the steal as well. Oh no! A kerfuffle around where the Scuttle Crab is spawning. Now Gio is dead as well. There's no bailout available, and D+ will grab 2 swift kills and take DRX's lunch money.
Yeah, unfortunately, in this type of scrappy fight, the Kalista is normally very strong, but the setup, unfortunately, it was not there. And Andil was cut off. Showmaker has a great angle. You know, sitting on level 6, skills his ult, puts it to great use there, and Smash is free hitting. And DRX should have been able to secure the dragon, but then Lucid, as you mentioned, also gets the steal. As watch this setup here, Andil is cut off.
Oh,
so he's just free food. And he doesn't even self-bail out here because I guess he was hoping maybe something else was going to happen, but ultimately just dies, right? And Gio's like, well, I'm trying to kite back. I'm dead. Cannot do it. Even pops his barrier out of desperation.
Yeah, kind of crazy that bailout wasn't pressed at all.
Yeah,
right?
could have bought them a few seconds to maybe try to turn something around, but he just, I don't know, he just didn't. He was like, oh, it's not going to work, but it would have at least given you something.
Yeah. And now D+ push this wave in. with an advantage for a Ziggs as well. I mean, that can spell so much more. I know we're going to have that all explained to us on the space because Orcs is there, and so we don't really need to talk about Ziggs too much. But we know that as soon as he gets ahead, you then lose all of your structures. And then he gets even more ahead, and so you lose more of your structures, never have access to objectives, and the Ziggs is doing bajillions of damage.
The crazy thing
not a whole lot you can do about it.
Is if Showmaker doesn't find that wall angle and cut Andal off, and they just kind of try to brute force there, kind of think the Kalista pops off, and we could be looking at a 1,500 gold lead for DRX, and Jiu's ahead, but the wall was enough. Like, that was just straight up Andal is dead, the fight is over, and so the game state is definitely massively D+ favored.
Oh dear, there's Breaker Flash, cease and desist, and I don't think Jiu's getting bailed out of that one.
At least he pressed it this time.
There you go. The silver linings are not very prevalent, as it's 3-0 in favor of D+, now moving closer to a 2,000 gold lead.
It's such a meta where with drafts like this, you win early, you win the game. Like,
and also, like, the DRX draft, man. I mean, where's the comeback potential in a draft like this?
Honestly, for even D+'s draft, like, where's the comeback potential? If the Jax fell super far behind and the Kalista was online, like, it's really, really tricky. They have some cool engage tools, but you're playing into Renata, so if you just try to brute force your way there, you're going to have a hard time. But now, the Ziggs kind of has free reign in this game. And here they're just trying to get back on the horse, basically. Like, all right, let's go back, and we're still strong in this 2v2. Not strong in the 2v3, no, unfortunately, and they were not able to suss out where Lucid was, despite the Sentinel there on the left side trying to expect him to wrap around through the bottom side. He completely went through the river. As career is just, he's Rakan, he doesn't care.
Yep, so he's going to be A-OK. Mega Inferno Bomb just to clear out the wave, and the Hextech Minefield going to be enough. And so the Nefiri, now with not a whole lot to do, Lucid spotted here on these grubs, as that's a teleport. Lucid just going to get out of there and say, all right.
Like, I'm going to TP and ult the jungler.
Well, I mean, that is something he could theoretically do.
It kind of works out, though, here for DRX. Let's see if they're able to secure these now, the remaining two.
Yep, that will be grub advantage. And I think if you're against a Jax composition, try to get the grubs away from him. I think that's a good idea. He wants to be splitting as much of this game as possible.
Plus the Ziggs.
Yes, also, yes, very good, very true. I always look at the top lane for split push potential, but yeah, Ziggs is problematic.
He is kind of a scary pusher. He's not pushing right now, as they did get into the isolated 1v1. Jiu is matched farm, and it's going to take a big win here for DRX in an unexpected team fight. Like, it's going to take some crazy outplay, or potentially even a misplay, like Andal flanks, and he gets this really cool Renata ultimate when Lucid and Showmaker try to go in with Weaver's Wall and the Talia ult, something like that, for them to get back into the game. Because it's only a 2,000 gold lead, but the win cons here become so easy for D+ if they can maintain map control and push control. And sure, the Ziggs doesn't have it in the 1v1, but when the Rakan shows up and the jungler is getting involved, you don't have that same control as Jiu, who's 0-2 in this game, doesn't have his call yet. If they lose another fight, I think you can pretty much get, open youtube.com, search Silver Scrapes, if you're a D+ fan, you know.
Yeah. And I'd suggest the Mark Z version.
Yes, it's generally, for what this series has been like, I think the appropriate call.
Yes, 100%.
And also LCS
oh god, he's got Luden's Echo already. It feels very early. You're at 10.5
feels unfair.
Yeah. He's only 650 gold ahead though, so maybe it's all right. 7 items, including boots, Ziggs, sounds like a lot of damage to me, as Korea taking too much of said damage. But did have buttons available, so just eat some honey fruit. It's going to be all right. Jiu hops out of the way. Alrighty. Andal moving on in. Korea. Just going to have to back away. We'll be able to do so, though. This Drake has spawned. D+, looking at it. Earth, Wind, and Fire on the table. That would be fun as Lucid Bolt breaks in. Andal's going to get knocked up. Hostile takeover comes on through. Flash out from Smash to try and avoid that. It's a great handshake as Korea wants to find the battle dance, and he will be able to do so. As DRX, this is a scuttle crab as Andal is just going to get thrown at Lucid. Showmaker puts the rocks down, throws back the Gargoyle. Mega Inferno Bomb comes in, but that is going to be the dodge on the damage out of Willa. Fantastically done there, and Lucid's going to be taken out. Weaver's Wall comes in. Showmaker, that is aggressive positioning as the seismic shove does go wide. Now he's tanking the dragon, but that large boulder did a whole bunch of work here as Korea goes in, gets the knockups, and now, oh, Smash is bobbing for apples. Looking for the angle. There is the taunt, the flash out from Showmaker, though, as now Yukao deals with the dragon. Justice Punch comes in. There's a great handshake as Korea not able to finish them off, but these health bars are so low. Bouncing bomb, not enough. And Smash just waddling, trying to get in range. He's not quite able to do so.
I guess it's just a hands game, isn't it, Atlas?
Yeah,
here
I think that's probably what it is.
You know, for those...
1-0 in favor of DRX, by the way. Successful fight around a scuttle.
Yeah, and they got the scuttle as well. Muller was able to secure that.
Oh my goodness.
This fight is pretty broken up for D+, right? And this is not exactly what I meant by the Renata flank angle. It's kind of a wonky one where Smash almost flashed and then got hit by it anyways, but he was able to avoid it. But it's really the group here for DRX as the dragon is being taken in live by D+. It's the better group and the better team fight setup here for DRX, whereas D+ have to make these desperate calls like Career trying to look for a re-engager, but Smash can't quite get in. Showmaker goes over the wall here to try to look for an angle.
So close to getting Jude.
His rocks positioning there, the Showmaker rock positioning throughout this entire fight, by the way, phenomenal to prevent any sort of collapse here. And he has his flash, and Ryuko has to use flash to get on top of him. He flashes out. And then from here, Willer has to use his escape. The handshake is real, but they're not quite able, either side, to close the gap to get those kills.
God, it's a Hextech Soul.
It is.
That's very scary.
And this time, D+ have the double dragon.
All right, that's good for D+. We're going to put that in the pros column.
They also have a Ziggs, which is very good for proccing Hextech Soul.
Yeah, bouncing bomb into bzzzt, into Ludens into bzzzt. Oh my goodness, it's going to be very, very annoying. You can be like even close to when something gets hit by a bouncing bomb and still get slowed. Just feels terrible. And he is almost 1,000 gold ahead.
Yeah, if this Cole cashes in, you know, Gio will shore up some of that deficit right now, but it is a pretty significant CS advantage that is being held by the Ziggs at the moment.
Yeah.
And the problem with this Kalista being behind, sometimes we're like, okay, Kalista's behind, it's not great, but the mid lane Azir surely will do a lot of damage later.
Yeah.
And this composition is so all in on this Kalista.
And that used to be the old DRX special, right?
Yeah.
When it was Deft and Chovy that were playing.
So super common, but now we're looking at a Galio here, so they need to make something happen early.
Well, Korea's going in, looking for that grand entrance. Need to make sure I'm talking about the correct entrance because there's a heroic one in this game as well. That is not a button that's pressed. The Gargoyle does have that one available. Flash cease and desist. They're just trying to blow up Willa. They do manage to at least get the ulti to land, but there is that heroic entrance that we were talking about, and Korea is going to go down. Giu secures that kill, and they just didn't have enough burst damage to take down the Nefiri.
Yeah, that's the moment where a teenager, probably like in 11th grade, says through the speaker, "Sir, this was a Nefiri that we engaged on." As he just eventually is able to press his escape button, and then Galio shows up because he's a global, and you're going into the meat grinder of the Kalista composition, and D+. I said this game was going to be one-sided, because again, I keep trusting that D+ can use these leads, but
oh dear.
Maybe not.
Well, Korea, grand exits, and Willer is just going to bounce over that wall himself. Rich is rotating down also. Let's see whether the grand entrance is going to come back off cooldown in time, and it does, but is it going to be enough? Yes, Battle Dance is going to get him out of there. Not enough sticks, and he'll be okay. But Rift Herald has now spawned.
I mean, yeah, he lives,
good position.
But this is a huge win. Like, now the gold lead is basically gone for D+. And they're going to go for a contest here. Last minute, Andil, no ult.
No Mega Inferno Bomb for Smash either. So Lucid's going to make it a 50-50 regardless, as the train's going to come in, but the Scion didn't really want it as, okay, that's just a fadeaway smite here from Lucid, and now they're stuck in the pit. Lucid's going to try and stop them, as now Rich dealing with 3 people, the rest of DRX not quite figuring it out, as Xiu is going to be their target, but he's got a counter-strike, finds a double stun, as Xiu almost dies, as he just completed his Trinity Force, and he's going to survive. Now Showmaker gets on in there with the Weavers, while the backup for the Jax has arrived finally, as the quickness from this Rakan gets in. Xiu's trying to get bailed out, but that fails, and the interruption on Shelly from Lucid. This is the problem with D+. They're capable of this beauty and also all of the other things that happened in this series.
For real, and in this game. Okay, we take it, we unpack it. Are we? Oh, am I back on trusting D+ now? I'm like not really sure, but
I thought you were gonna say, "Am I live?" And like, yes, Wolf, we can still hear you.
okay, good, yeah. I was not always worried about that, but it's good to confirm.
I can't actually confirm. I'm not listening to the stream. I
Sounds
can
like
turn it up or something.
Okay, but look, 41 health on this Smite. The bigger issue is the chase on the Jax. They could have tried to play through the ultimate here from Rich and the space he bought, but instead, there's exactly an damage dealer for DRX. He does auto attacks, and Xiu is like,
Korea, just pick up the eye. Ah, he does. Okay, good.
look at Xiu. He's like, I'm counter-striking it, and I'm flashing away, and I'm Jax, I jump away, and now we're where? Oh, we're under the enemy top lane turret? Now we can't get out.
And the rotational speed from this Talia, incredibly valuable.
It's just, you know, you lost the Herald. It seems like kind of sunk cost fallacy here for DRX in terms of trying to hard force after that. And into this composition, you will get punished. And it feels like for the first time in this series, DRX make a decisive call that is in fact punished by D+.
Yeah, and I want to say sorry to Talia. Maybe just sorry to Showmaker. You can pick whatever you like, man. My personal bias is on champions. Be damned. He just looks real good, no matter what he's playing. As Lucid, punching some little doggos, which makes me a little bit sad, but I guess they're just video game doggos, so it's okay.
They're not really doggos. They're like darkened beasts that are evil.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
And sometimes hot dogs.
What was that Nintendo DS Dogs game? Was it just called
Nintendogs?
Nintendogs, that's the one. I mean, if he was punching those, like, that would be just completely wrong. As, okay, Smash is going to get ran into here by a train, and now the ulti from Willa comes on forward. Heroic Entrance comes down as well. Mega Inferno Bomb has already been used, though. Smash has thrown out all of his damage, right? DRX, they used everything to try and do that.
Jax.
And in the meantime, the 1-3-1 is upon them. And they cannot even take this dragon.
Yeah, this is, by the way, only one grub on Xiu. And Lucid is going to get the dragon, so you
and that's another wave crashes bot lane.
You almost won the team fight. Also, your base is about to be exposed.
Yeah, you almost caught Captain Smash Sparrow.
Yeah.
But it just, it cost you everything. That is going to be Soul Point going over to DK in the interim.
And I suppose maybe we were right to trust D+'s lead all along.
I don't think we're allowed to say trust and D+ in the same sentence before the game is over.
Leandri's is done for Showmaker.
Oh,
he does have a Dark Seal, so they have the tempo vibes. Okay.
I'm really glad that it's, at least he's built a Leandri's instead of, like, and it's obviously fantastic into this comp that has 2 tanks, but, like, sometimes you see Rylai's second, and it's just so sad.
What did is back on the hype train of DK greater than
I feel
VFX.
like the deal with it glasses are a little bit different. I think this is more like a therapy session. Like, this is how he's dealing with it at this point.
He is, okay, hold up.
She's dealing with it with a Trinity Force and a Dream. And Willa's going to come down and try and convince him to fight him instead. Flash has to be used from Yukao to get him out of the way. And Xiu is just able to do whatever the hell he wants.
TP was interrupted by Showmaker as well, trying to come in there and impact the play. So now down TP on the Scion. As okay. Now we're walling.
We are.
This is how you use Talia Weaver's Wall when you're ahead. If they don't respect
how you
it,
use Ziggs. Just taking the stuff. Well, Smash can't actually
quite
get to the
satchel
turret.
it, but this is how you use the Talia. You're like, okay, if you're on the other side of the wall, you die. If you're behind the wall, I kill your things.
Yeah. We kill turret.
It's very simple.
Oh god, this Hextech dragon is making me very nervous. It's just
Why does it make you nervous? You know, just this because it's a little ambiguous what you're saying.
all right. If DK gets it, what they're going to be capable of is worrisome for DRX.
Okay, because for a moment, that's what I kind of thought you meant, but I also thought you meant, like, if D+ get this, the lead will be so crazy that the throw will feel so terrible.
Oh,
Because I trust them this time, okay? Showmaker's got the Dark Seal, doesn't have the Magi's yet, but we know it's coming.
Yeah.
They have a 6,000 gold lead, but this composition is unstoppable now. They outrange the Callista. There's no
it's
other
in the
damage
bag.
threats.
Yeah,
It
no
is
worries at
100%.
all.
There's no way this doesn't go to Silver Screen. Like I
Honestly,
said,
we should just put on some nice music and let it play out.
yeah, maybe
we've
like Mark
already...
Z, Kazoo, and
yeah.
it's surely there is no way.
We'll have the orchestral Silver Scrapes and we'll play the extended version and we'll just lead into that game 5. Just not ready. I'm not ready.
With all the components in Smash's inventory, he's really puffing out his chest of his item lead right now. You know what I mean? He's like, I'm full
Look at
build.
where I can put all of these items. I've got so many items.
Not a single slot is wasted on
yeah,
this right now.
no mage gets to feel this. Haha.
3 open slots for the Kalista. I'm massively ahead.
Yep, it's beautiful. As all right, Rich is going to pull the trigger here, looking for the angle. Doesn't exactly find the damage onto Lucid, as Smash is also just fine. Knocked up by the Grand Entrance. The rest of DRX are left in the dirt, unable to catch up to their tank, and he gives them the big old thumbs up and walks away. Coward!
Not a the most inspiring Weaver's Wall, but good enough to make sure no one could follow up on that, which was lackluster.
Oh. Willa bounces over the wall. He's going to be all right.
There's the satchel. Finally, they got it.
Yep.
And in 1 minute and 40 seconds,
We're going to have to cue the music.
Yeah, either D+ will win the game or something really funny will happen.
Yeah.
Unless you're a D+ fan.
Or the throw will begin. It's going to be a multi-part process, though, this throw, if it does actually happen. As Rich, oh yeah, there's a sad beat. Quickness comes on through. There is a heroic entrance, and so Rich will buy a bunch of cooldowns. The problem is he has to use his flash. He loses his inner turret. The lead extends, and now DK have a lot of empty space between DRX and the Dragon.
If the Dragon was up, would have been very upset with the play that just happened there, but it's not.
He would have to go back to dealing with it.
Yeah,
again.
and you know, as it turns out, Baron's up. DRX are going to throw a Hail Mary in. He's going to test the decision-making here of D+. They have the Rend, so this is a strong call. I think this game is almost surely lost, so you got to make something happen like this.
Well, Shu has the counter-strike. Lucid's taken a Hex Gate and gets behind Rich. Oh no, countered. Oh, that's very frustrating.
Okay, well, they tried to do Baron.
Hey, look, they didn't all die.
No, and maybe they will show up to this Dragon fight inevitably. I love this Team Liquid horse that just keeps giving the thumbs up.
Yeah. Oh, dear. Okay. Everyone's okay. We're fine. We're fine. Once again, DRX lose all ground. 20 seconds on the Hextech Dragon. Teleport from Shiu gets him towards that bottom lane. And look at the amount of darkness between DRX and the Drake. Face checking, a difficulty.
Jax may end the game if there's a little bit of indecision here, but he is walking up right now. He doesn't have TP. DRX trying to make this, again, a second attempt at Baron turn into a mistake for D+. If D+ misplay this, I suppose there's a potential angle. Maybe.
Yeah. And it also will stop them from doing the Hextech Dragon right now. So that is a good thing. The problem is they're also in a shooting gallery, and there is Smash with these bouncing bombs that are just really, really difficult to avoid when you're in an enclosed space. Now Rich standing in front of him, and he is very tanky on this Scion. As Willa, can he find the angle into the backline? Goes Shiu, looks for it. Quickness is fantastic. Mega Inferno Bomb is largely avoided, but still does a bit of work. As Shiu getting into that backline will proc the bailout, and down goes Shiu, and that means down goes all the damage. Out goes Yukal. He's going to see what he can get done here, but Showmaker is off on the side. The threaded volley. Yeah, the taunt doesn't mean too much, as that button was already pressed and the gargoyle will go down. The Baron was actually secured, as Lucid just decided to stay in the pit and finish that one off. And now it's a 10,000 gold lead. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, unlosable.
Yeah, I think this was DRX's way of saying, we're up in the series. Let's throw a curveball. D+ has messed it up a little bit this series. Maybe we can get something going. But unfortunately for DRX in this fight, Jiu is just deleted by Shiu here. And he just gets access. He has Counter-Strike. He showed up to this fight, decided not to side lane instead. It was the right call. And as we pointed out multiple times, and as you point out the play-by-play in this fight, dead Jiu means there is no game to be had here for DRX. And so, D+ win out, grab Baron, 10,000 gold lead, Hextech Soul.
Is a 10,000 gold lead, Hextech Soul, Baron, and full map control enough for DK to cleanly win?
I don't even think KT could throw this one. There's no way, Atlas.
All right, we shaving the head, Wolf?
Yeah. No, beard. Can I do beard?
Yeah, you can do beard.
All right, I'll shave the beard completely off.
I remember when you did that last time. It was kind of weird. I love that bet. That's a really good one.
Yeah.
Okay, Shiu now in this mid lane. Didn't you do that just to experiment to see whether your girlfriend at the time would like it, now wife?
Yeah, I mean, I've
And then she was like, grow it back.
Yeah, she did. She told me not to grow it first, but then she changed her mind later. I don't think people will like it if I shave my beard, but I don't think I'm going to have to.
Yeah,
That's the real talk here.
DK are making you look pretty safe right now, as I'm the one that looks silly because Showmaker's about to win with Talia. As there is the flick back on Rich. And yeah, unfortunately, that train didn't have any tracks. And, well, actually, the tracks are there. He's just on the wrong side of them. As the Weaver's Wall came up to make sure that the escape was just not there for the zombie. And the zombie wasn't able to escape anyway. He was always going to die. Now Nexus turret's under fire. This top inhibitor turret is probably going to go down as more of a formality than anything else. Look at this army of siege minions! That's all right, they're looking for Showmaker, and Mega in front of him goes down. Jiu doesn't even get bailed out this time. He is just dead in an instant. The hostile takeover is leaving. It's just leaving. DRX, they're going back to the drawing board, and we are heading to Silver Scrapes as D+ Kia keep the series alive.
And the first few games of this series felt like anything could happen despite D+'s leads. But this game with this draft, we said it from the draft before we even loaded onto the Rift. If you get ahead, it is really difficult to mess it up with this one. And they played it phenomenally well. And I think Lucid had a great performance on this pick that he's been so feared on. But now that pick is gone. We have really gotten super deep in this Fearless set of drafts. And if you're DRX, I think you look at this game and you go, well, this game was always going to be unplayable with how the early game went. It's not the kind of painful game where you're sitting there going the whole time like, oh, they're destroying us. Like we've lost our momentum in the series. You just know, okay, we go next. This is why you get a lead in the series. This is why you try your best to play around that bottom lane. You messed it up, but that was your win con out the window. It was only a 27-minute loss here, but DRX can bounce back in the 5th game. I think this last game is going to be pretty interesting, Atlas, with all these champions fearlessly banned.
Yeah, that's the really fun part of this. I'm really hoping, for some reason, I feel like we deserve a Smolder game again. I know we got a Smolder game 5 yesterday, but it just feels right, you know, when both of these teams have been very consistently going quite late into the games. But enjoy some Silver Scrapes, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to take a short break. When we get back, the Space is going to break that one down. We'll have game number 5. And taken away, no Realm Warp available. I mean, Stands United is still there, but there's no Paranoia, there's no Heroic Entrance, there's no Weaver's Wall. Like, there's a lot of these semi-globals that allow movement around the map. There's also the Grand Skyfall that is now not available. And so they're going to have to dig deep to try and stop that sort of extra mobility from being so valuable, as the Ahri is going to be the first priority, as of course Showmaker has just been so incredibly good at that, but his LeBlanc is still available as well, right? So I think that the mid lane is where DRX really needs to make sure that they can get a good matchup and stop Showmaker from running away with it in one of his signature picks.
So we're looking at basically all 4 of these champions right now are engage buttons, right? Akali is not. That's the 5th one that's not. But even picks like Leona go way up in priority when we get this thin in terms of how you start team fights. So, like, Silas is gone, you know? I am feeling like if you're DRX here, first pick is not an easy question to answer, but the Wukong that was mentioned from Ox might be where we end up going here. Yone is also taken away. Just because it's so simple, it works with so many different types of composition, but the Rumble is left
Oh, God! Okay, well, that's Rumble Gwen, both being picked up here, and Lucid slams the Lee Sin.
Okay, it's a Lucid favorite. Shiyu also has had some great games with Gwen in the past, but individually, Rich very confident, I think, about how this matchup could potentially go. Wukong Rumble feels fairly easy. They're going to push the Aphelios stocks to the roof.
I love this. Get that bottom lane in before they can get banned away. The Aphelios to be locked away first. This could be a Lulu right now.
It is.
And that is so strong for DRX. Like, these picks, these could have come out in a game 1 and you'd be like, oh, wow, they've gotten the whole tier list.
And now as DRX, it's really simple. You just protect your bottom lane. As D plus Gia, I think you need to ban the Wukong away. See what this pick is going to be here. They grab, I don't think they want to grab either of their bottom lane. It'll be split, but Showmaker's pick would have to be blind, and it will be a blind twisted fate.
And I think that this is the only way you can really approach this, because already, yeah, DRX's team fight looks so scary. And so just try and play around that, right? Like, also, Rapid Fire Cannon Stun is going to be a great way to get a Mikhails or a Cleanse out of Gio whenever you'd like to. And, I mean, I think the tools are going to be there for D+, but DRX are set up so well for their style of success here in this game number 5.
Syndra ban. I really feel like you have to ban Wukong here. With the Lulu online, Wild Growth, and the protection it's going to offer, plus setup for the Rumble, you cannot let them have it.
Where is Smash going to go in this game as well? Lucian already taken away. Could be a Kai'Sa composition, right? Like Killer Instinct follow-up onto a gold card could be good, but that's a lot of magic damage that you would then have.
I'm more curious about what Career's going to play, because he can't play Leona into this, I don't think. There's the Wukong ban. I think that was such a given.
Yeah, good call.
But
Ezreal,
Leona feels like it's great for the comp for what it wants to do, but there is just no way you're going to play the lane out. The Ezreal's gone now. Karma also gone. Seraphine also gone. How do you deal with this Lulu? Bard also gone.
I mean, I think you just have to sack lane and hope that it's going to be okay later. Try not to bleed too badly down there.
What if you just played like Caitlyn Lux and think you can just go straight up toe-to-toe and just...
I mean, honestly, Caitlyn might be the best way. Maybe just Draven. When in doubt, just Draven.
Draven Nami?
That'd be fun.
Draven Nami could kind of work here. If they can get that single pick.
Oh God, the Jinx. Okay, this was the classic answer. The problem here is it's going to be like Jinx Thresh,
or perhaps
I guess.
Jinx
Tahm
Kench. Well, Jinx Tahm Kench kind of feels like it's strong in some senses, but so weak in the lane.
Yeah.
As
I'm a little bit worried.
Is gone. It's a really tricky call here because there's just not that much engage left. The Skarner, kind of funny that could have been a thing, but the Sejuani, also relatively great setup for the Wild Growth. Pretty easy to get in there. And also the ult really empowers the Rumble as well.
Imagine if Yukal just played Aurelia.
No way.
Okay, instead, it's going to be a Tristana locked in here as the mid lane matchup into Showmaker. It's not exactly permafrost synergy, which is what I was kind of looking at there. But Pyke would be, that would be a decision.
I think we can all agree that, okay, that we're not going to see it. Thresh makes the most sense in terms of classical pairings, but it's so tough into the Lulu. The Leona doesn't work. Like, this Lulu pick just kind of trumps everything. They can add safety here, but I don't think DRX are going to be hard engaging on the Jinx. You're not going to get that much value out of the Lantern because they're just going to be blowing up your front line, which, by the way, is a Gwen, and that's it. And if they get any kills, if Tristana gets resets here, the Wild Growth can save either carry threat in the Tristana and the Aphelios. You don't have a traditional tank here. You can't build armor as D+. And this draft feels very flat to me on the D+ side. You've got a strong 1-3-1 if you can get there. And Jinx scales really well, but they have the Aphelios and the Tristana, not to mention great setup. And the Lulu guarantees a strong lane. Now, it's not a default win if Ando messes up. If they get death sentenced, then there are ways for Smash and Career to actually turn that one around. But Career is the least experienced player on the Rift right now. I like giving him the Thresh, not the Pike, because the Pike is just such a high skill cap, high variance champion that could win you the lane if you play it perfectly. But if you mess it up, or if you try to go for the roam and you end up giving too much gold over, you just lose the game over it. I think this is the right call, but I still don't feel like it gave D+ what they were looking for.
I do think that the thing that D+ do have is Showmaker on Twisted Fate. He makes magic on this champion. They also have a lot of global threat with the Super Mega Death Rocket as well, so that they can do things around the map, try and cheat some tempo in this game, and maybe get themselves an advantage. But you're exactly right, DRX's team fight looks scary. Let's get into Game 5. All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen, onto the Rift for the final game of the series. And we'll see who's going to be progressing forward in these playoffs, whether it's going to be DRX or whether it's going to be D+.
Oh.
As this ward will be taken down in the end. Career sacrifices a bit of health, but otherwise he's going to be all right.
Sweeper start to guarantee that. And it comes at a cost, obviously. Won't have his own trinket to put down. And winning this at level 1 is just so hard.
It's going to be a tough one, but you do have, like, when there's no Calibrum, a range advantage. And this was a matchup that Jinx was happy in the past. Things have changed a little bit. I feel like Aphelios is in a great spot right now, and also with a Lulu.
Yeah, it's more about the supports, I think, than it is about the AD carries. Because individually, yeah, absolutely, Jinx into Aphelios, that's what you love, but your support is melee and needs to hit his skill shot.
Oh, it's Rumble in the jungle as well. I love this skin. It's my favorite.
Rich is the top laner? No, I know, I'm just... Remember when Rumble was in the jungle?
Yep.
Remember RNG
Peanut
versus
used
D+?
to always play Rumble in the jungle as well, because you drop pineapples and it's just the best. So
it's very fun.
I'm very, very happy that that exists, even if it isn't a jungle Rumble. As Korea looking to try and get some zoning done. And Smash will clear up these minions. And D+ currently with a fair bit of control here towards this bottom side. Gio getting pushed out just a little, but should be able to use that Severum to help keep that health bar looking a little better. This amount of control in the bottom lane was not really what I was expecting, though. This, however, is looking pretty good for Yukal, taking control of the lane. All-time 31-8. Showmaker is good at Twisted Fate, guys. As Barrier was actually used, make sure that Smash could get the recall. I believe is going to go make sure he has his cull as early as possible.
Whose world skin is he playing in this one?
Showmaker?
Yeah.
Showmaker. It's his one.
No, I know.
Oh, right.
See the Damwon logos there?
You were baiting me.
No, I just wanted to let everyone know.
Aha.
And
Yukal is going to make him explode. That's going to do a lot of damage.
That's not great. But the bottom lane, like you said, is going much better than expected. And also Lucid is hovering around down there. They need to be very careful. He's going to take this scuttle, and it looks like Willer will take the top zone, but he wants to make something happen first. This is risky. It's Ignite Rumble.
This is an odd angle as well. All right, Shiu going to be backing away. Lantern just for the shield. But can Shiu survive? That is the question. It's a big wave moving towards this Gwen. It's going to be a tough dive as he is immune a little bit, but Rich is going to die, so a 1-for-1.
And the kill goes to the Gwen. And the DRX kill goes to Willer.
And they hadn't teleported yet, and Rich doesn't have teleport!
Yeah, I can't say I agree with this one. Felt a little bit hard-forced.
Well, Korea really didn't like that minion. Needed to move that one closer to the other minions so that he could get rid of it as soon as possible.
So that ends up being, they get the teleport out, I suppose.
Yes.
At the end of the day, Rich does end up getting his burn earn versus cooldown boots for Shiu, so gonna be a nice buy for him after the play, but execution a little bit lacking here as now they're losing a little bit more control of this lane in the bottom side.
Another minion tagged immediately, and the zap goes wide there.
Career's death sentences have not been inspiring just yet.
He hasn't been sentencing much death outside of doing it to minions. But he's calibrating.
True.
That's what we like to say with Hook champions. As Rich holding on to this wave, Shiu is going to snip him. But this Gwen feeling pretty good here towards his top side. 55 gold in the lead. As Rich, like you say, I think the buy feels pretty good.
Yeah, because he can just kind of chip away at Shiu's health bar. And in the early game, it is so significant, the extra burn damage in a matchup like this, where it's really thin margins for the Gwen, who has to use her Mist to kind of trade with the Rumble. And when that's on cooldown, it's just a really frustrating time. As you can see, this back is stopped as well by Rich there on the top side. I do kind of like Ignite Rumble in matchups like this, though, because the teleport shield value is a little bit lower for Rumble. Unless you're massively ahead and you're just like a king in battle Rumble. It's really just not that valuable because you're...
Oh no. Cannon advantage there from Showmaker. And remember, he's got a stacked deck, so he is just going to have more money in this game. It's up to DRX to try and hold him down if they can.
But the money that the Tristana gets is arguably more useful in the late game for damage. Well, it's 100% the case in terms of damage, so we'll see if Showmaker can use his ultimate to impact the map globally.
Also able to upgrade the Berserker's Greaves, which feels pretty good.
True. That's actually a really good point. We haven't really seen Twisted Fate be that meta here in patch 26.x, so hasn't been as relevant, but very relevant here.
Yeah. Shiu just doing his very best to not die under the turret. Harpoons are raining down, level 6 now. Gets some needlework up and available.
I meant to say Tristana, by the way.
Yep.
But
both of them, it's relevant.
Yeah. I do think that with no prio in the top side, and obviously Showmaker pinned down on a turret, it's going to be hard for him to get value out of his first ultimate here, although...
Oh dear, a fight on the Rift Scope.
Showmaker doesn't have TP, and he's just backing.
Lucid just takes the Lantern, gets himself out of there. Shiu gets hooked. There's the Zap follow-up as well, but they don't go all in.
It's a 4v3, so...
Andal getting that money.
I don't think it's a good idea to commit further there.
I think DRX just learnt a lot. Oh, you don't need to just go all in on a Rift Scholar.
True. Don't have to.
Yeah.
Just kind of take it carefully and back away and be like, all right, the money.
Beautifully done. Geo and Andal actually feeling a lot better here in this lane, but you can see it's very, very even. Cull advantage going to be a big one, but BF Sword feels like a phenomenal first buy. And so Geo very happy about that one.
Showmaker has heal right now. Not sure if that's really going to help him too much, but has been able to get a little bit back in terms of lane control, the back timings. So has potential prio to contest this dragon now that is being started up by Willer.
Yep.
It's just so tough, though, because the Tristana is always going to out-damage you in these early skirmishes. And so you're like, I can stun somebody, but if there's no follow-up and you don't have that prio on the dragon, you can't really do anything as the Twisted Fate, and he's just back to pushing mid, and Yuka will join him.
Yep, so make Death Rocket unable to get the steal, but as you say, nice try. Red-white guns here for Shiu, but he's slowly running out of ammo. And Lucid going to be able to steal away a red buff, but the Krugs have not respawned just yet. Looks like Willer is just going to pick up a Zeke's and then hope that he's not too sad about all of his jungle being missing. But so far, Lucid has not necessarily found himself a big advantage or anything like that.
It's really only Showmaker who has one 4D+, but it's small advantages everywhere else for DRX.
Yep.
Plus the dragon.
Oh, did Willer actually take that as well? He did. Just walked up and smote it. Beautifully done. There are the pineapples. Needlework not connecting here as there is the flame spitter. Rich lights him on fire, then lights him on fire again. That is a solo bolo as the DRX top laner continues his fantastic
And now
war.
they just can't contest for grubs, and Rich is going to get more plate gold. This bottom lane is still winning.
Whoa, flash play comes on through. Flame chompers go down, but not exactly connecting. As far as the CC is concerned, another hook just barely misses the backside of the Lulu.
Andal just walks it off, though. And we talked about this in the draft. They gave over the Rumble. They slam-locked Shiu's Gwen, and they trusted it. But in terms of individual performance, it just has not been there today. And he gets soloed by Rich, and that was their answer. And as Gwen is put behind in this game, despite having a pretty nice trade in terms of the initial gank that happened earlier, as he just goes in for the snip, takes a ton of damage. The heat is exactly where Rich wants it. He's got Ignite. He can follow Flash here. Just gets on top of him.
Yeah, gorgeously played. DRX pretty psyched about it as well as Joker's celebration. Kind of ridiculous, but I love it. And that is just such a phenomenal position to be in. They're almost 1,000 gold in the lead, a Draken advantage as well. And here in a game 5, early leads mean all that much more, right? Because tensions are so incredibly high. Being able to have that extra layer of security feels fantastic. Not out of the woods just yet, but the problem is DK's composition, it's once again, I mean, it does team fight relatively well. Like a flanking Gwen could get some stuff done, and you've got the CC of Showmaker on this Twisted Fate. But really, you want to be getting flanks. And you want to be trying to get a 1-3-1 to work and splitting the map and things like this.
And the truth is, now this Gwen is going to be it's more difficult for her to actually pull that off. And they have 0 grubs. It's DRX who have the triple grubs.
Yeah.
So you have this 1-3-1 comp with the Gwen being behind. DRX have a scaling FLS, you got the scaling Jinx, but Yuka's on the Tristana, right? Like, Showmaker's not going to be able to match that, so they really need to get back map control at some point in the mid-game through a decisive team fight with pick setups from Showmaker. Otherwise, DRX just naturally coast into the late game.
Oh, God. I am very worried. Lucid just goes back home. Shiu pushed up pretty far. Looks like Willa might not look for this. Obviously, Sejuani really hates ganking Gwen, because you just kind of press W and you're fine. As the zap goes wide. Smash and Korea doing their very best. I was actually, now that I think about it, I kind of wish Korea had played Janna. Because it reminds me of the old Smash Reckless days, you know?
That would have been really cool, and to be honest, would have made sense a lot.
It's kind of a fun one.
But Korea's not Reckless, so...
He is not.
Not yet. Maybe one day he'll transform. No, probably not. I think only Reckless
No, I think only Reckless is Reckless. Unless you're talking about Reckless as in, like, the word. As in playing with Reckless abandon. He's somewhat Reckless. That's all right. Chiu is going to survive that potential gank attempt. As Showmaker goes back to lane. He was considering a bit of a Destiny gate towards the bottom side. As wants to be able to take this cannon and does manage to do so. Currently ahead by about 500 gold.
I'm just a little bit concerned about a side laning Tristana in this game now with 3 grubs. The lead they have already. As, again, Career's Thresh play so far hasn't quite... You know, it just hasn't felt great. You know, we're not seeing any big plays from him just yet. Still early laning phase into heading towards a mid-game right now, but still a few opportunities that he's whiffed. Yep. His placement of his hooks has been, as you said, calibrating at best. So DRX are kind of chilling right now. This is another slow early game start, but it's these small advantages, the advantages that D+ does not have, that makes you feel like, okay, this next Dragon fight, can Showmaker find the angle? Can he get that gold card? Can we access the backline? Can we win a team fight before Gio is online? These are the questions that D+ will have to answer.
Well, Showmaker can now probably go back and grab Rod of Ages here at about 12 minutes. Feels pretty good.
We'll grab just that heal to get his TP back to head back to a contest. Gonna go straight to the mid lane. But they have no prio anywhere, Atlas. Like, look at the map.
Yeah.
Lucid is like, I'm just clearing my jungle.
And we need to see more from Lucid as well. I mean, Lee Sin in the early game, that's kind of where he thrives. Hasn't really been able to find too much. As Rich, once again, just going to burn down Shiu. And that was like a third of a Flame Spitter. Now level 11. 2 levels ahead of Shiu as well.
Shiu, red, white, they are ready for this fight.
Yep, let's see whether DRX can make this one happen. There's a... Okay, wasn't exactly the Glacial Prison he was looking for. As now Lucid safeguards his way out. He can also take a Lantern to get his way out of there, but instead he finds the kick, hits Stu, there's the Flash Play to come through, and the steal is there from Lucid at the same time. You see Lucid trying to get over towards Stu, but couldn't actually resonatingly strike to him because he was too far away. Finds the Piggy, though, and manages to take down the Sejuani. Now, a Wild Growth from Andal is not going to do enough, and that is going to be Showmaker getting even more. Now, Gio and Yukal just trying to keep themselves alive underneath this turret. And, yeah, Rich walked down. He's like, what did I miss?
That was absolute cinema, actually, that team fight, Atlas.
That is what I wanted. We were waiting for this from Lucid, and at least he delivered.
I think Willer made some choices in this fight. Looked for just the blind ult onto Showmaker, which was flashed very easily. I think he could have used it as a peel tool. There are a lot of different ways he could use this. And then he just sets up Lucid for the kick play here. Then the flash flay onto Gio is fantastic. The rocket comes through. He gets put incredibly low. Willer trying to peel, has to flash away. And then, yes, the Death Sentence doesn't hit here, but Showmaker didn't even use his ult initially. And Yukal has to ult for the defense. Andal self-ults to try to peel back, but Lucid gets the full wraparound. and it's a one fight here for D+ and a Dragon secure. This is the lead they need to have to win this game, and it's off the back of the Lee Sin. We were waiting for it, and we finally got it.
Yep, that's going to put Showmaker at a 1,000 gold lead as well. It does not stop Rich from being a gigantic problem in this game. A great way to mitigate the Rich problem is to fight when he's not there. That's really good. That's a great way to handle it. But now he has got a free teleport. Yes, it's got a huge cooldown, but will be able to get towards some fights. And at least Xiu does manage to complete his quest, finally. But the advantage that Rich had with an early completion and things like this, level 12 to the level 11, but Xiu only just got there. I guess same can be said for Rich. So it's a full level lead, as now Showmaker could be in trouble. Another Glacial Prison is going to miss, though. And at least Yukal's able to get the damage down. Does find the rocket jump, and Showmaker will die.
Yeah, you can always follow up with that rocket jump in that situation because you know you're going to get the kill and you're going to get right out. Lucid just comes over here to see if he can get a cannon and deny this plate.
Oh, almost follows him with that Sonic Wave. Beautifully done, but another plate does go over to Yukal. And that is a lot of money stripped from DK here.
Yeah, that's a big win for the Tristana.
All right,
that's Lucid.
Yeah, looking for an angle here. He's very close to where the Rumble is, and the Rumble is scary. That's all right, connects another Sonic Wave, and now able to safeguard his way over. Super Mega Death Rocket avoided there by Willow, but Xiu, he just wants to get himself a kill and find some money. Lucid makes his way out with 100 health, and D+ finding even more advantages here after losing their mid laner.
A lot of free gold, though, to Gio on the other side of the map. It's not a free win for D+, but it was well executed again by the Lee Sin. Lucid so famed for this pick. Feels CVMAX hasn't given him the reins to play it all too often here in 2026, but it is a treat to watch again. As we go back to this pick onto Showmaker, as you mentioned, the ult goes wide, but it means that Showmaker has to sidestep forward, or I suppose maybe he was just looking for a gold card play there. It was coincidental either way. Just too much damage here. The turret can be tanked up easily by the Sejuani. And then over here, Scuttle secured, yes. But then Lucid's like, I don't care about that Rumble. I'm going to look for the outplay. Has the kick available here. Gets this max range Q.
Right after the Arctic Assault as well. Actually kind of insane.
He just kicks Rich away. Hits the Q on him, by the way, because he's like, is there some play here? And then smartly decides not to press it a second time.
Yeah, good.
That's actually one of the most skillful things he did there.
Exactly.
Player,
avoids just careening into a barbecue. Not a bad move. As Smash also not going to face check a brush. Good learnings across the board. Zap does come on through. Smash feeling pretty confident right now as gold card, not needed.
Unsealed cleanse, high value.
That one's pretty good. That's it's good advertisement for Unsealed Spellbook, which Showmaker takes every time on the Twisted Fate.
Interesting, we do have the, okay, this is going to be a bit of a scrap.
Yeah, Permafrost does come in. Yukal now trying to get the damage down onto Korea, but he finds Death Sentence onto Willer, and Smash has turned up now. He's pretty tanky, though, and has the Wild Growth as DK just look to get themselves out. Teleport in from the Rumble. Yes, I would disengage too, as, oh, that hook just barely not enough.
It feels like
Xiu should get some spare time.
His best aimed hooks have just been like a pixel or two out of range. And unfortunately for him, is not going to be able to turn that into anything. As Xiu gets some alone time here with this turret that Yukal will have to answer. But this game is so incredibly close. It is kind of unreal. And because no one really ends up dying there in that last skirmish, no one gets full control of the dragon that's spawning here in 10 seconds. But I like the position here of DRX because they have mid-prio. As Xiu holds a BF sword here.
Yeah, he's
Willer's ult's coming back.
We have the Kraken Slayer done for Smash. He's looking for item number 2. Come up pretty soon. Obviously, Jinx wants 3 or 4 items, right? Maybe 3 is going to be fine because it's only the Sejuani as far as tanky members are concerned.
They want to play through Rich more instead of trying to contest for Dragon, and Lucid is predicting this as well.
Well, Korea was thinking about trying to find an angle as Willer's moving over. It is a Infernal Soul as well this game, just to add a little bit more fire to the Rumble. That would be scary. Imagine that. Managed to get 3 Infernals as well as being ridiculously fed, like Rich is, and having Ignite, as the hook is going to go wide here. Lucid trying to find a bit of an angle as the Glacial Prison does come on through. I don't think taking that Lantern's going to be a good idea, and somehow Korea survives!
Well, that's Lucid again, gets the kick for the peel, but...
Oh, he was trying to snipe him, but Rich was unable to find it. Unfortunately, the equalizer doesn't work on turrets, otherwise that could have looked cool. But it doesn't. As now Yukal trying to take down this outer on the top side of the map as as well. That'd be first turret blood, which is still on the table.
A lot of resources for DRX that don't end up coming up big because of that kick from Lucid. Now they get to drop Herald here and try to take this mid turret off the map. Showmaker's set for this. And this is going to be a big charge. They don't quite get it from that alone, as UCal does end up taking the first turret there on top side before Shiu could get back. Rich also getting this one. But they need to turn this into a dragon take. Getting the turret alone, which they haven't quite gotten yet, isn't really it. They really need to get that Drake.
And Smash is so far forward as well. Has to be a bit careful as the hook is going to connect onto Willow one more time, but they're looking for the fight. Permafrost comes in, the play back onto UCal just to try and buy some space. As Smash got out of there, didn't have to use his flash, but Rich has got his, and he's not afraid to use it. Takes down Lucid. And now DRX are looking for even more. Shiu trying to get in there, but he is nowhere near as scary as this Rumble.
Oh, poor Showmaker too. Probably feeling like career trolled him a little bit there, pulling the Sejuani into him.
And the first Infernal will go over to DRX.
And this is really not great for D+. They still have a gold lead, as this is going to be another attempt here by Smash.
Swing of the tempo vibes, Wolf.
100%. Okay, look at this. Career pulls the Sejuani in, but that's exactly where Willer wants to be. And Showmaker's like, damn, man, I'm trying to gold card somebody and set it up. And then Rich basically 100-0s Lucid, flashes on him for the kill, and there's just nothing left here for D+ in the tank. That's the Dragon, as you mentioned. And with all those turrets going over to DRX, they're keeping this game dead even in gold. It's really only the Jinx that has a significant lead when you consider Showmaker's money is mostly in his passive here.
Yeah. And in fact, I think in a normal game, when you're not cheating, UCal would be in the lead. So the Tristana doing pretty well at this stage of the game. Smash and Korea now just collecting waves in mid. It is 2 items done for both of our mid laners. Showmaker pretty happy about the Lich Bane coming in. Oftentimes we do see Rapid Fire Cannon second, but having it come in third does mean that it'll do a little bit more damage.
The triple threat here for DRX coming up big in the damage chart. And this is not going to be a hook they were looking for. That turret is just gone.
Void Grub interrupting the hook. That feels bad. Direct counter to Thresh, triple grubs.
Apparently. Thought it was just dropping wards on the ground, but there's another threat.
Yeah. Thresh really just getting power crept by stuff you can do.
Is there any world where this 1-3-1 for DK can get online? Like, they have the Twisted Fate in the top lane, they've got the Gwen in the bottom lane, but they're both sitting left of the equator, so to speak, of the river here, and they're not threatening turrets. They don't have map control. And DRX are happy to sit back on this Tristana Aphelios, who, by the way, has an IE completed now here at 2140.
Oh god, Shiu also spots out that there's a Sejuani lying in wait. Does have a Lee Sin in the vicinity. But this is frightening. Lucid getting the mini stun kick into the wall onto Rich, but he throws down the equalizer. Still, the needlework comes in, but Willa, he's not able to get enough damage down. Rich somehow, super mega death rocket takes him down. And that is money into Smash's hands. Willer full health, but he just couldn't affect the play.
Oh man, Rich's face too, hit by the rocket, was just like, well, I don't know what I was supposed to do here. I tried my best to get out. Smash actually has the lantern here to take out the turret post-kill to grab all that extra money as well. His lead was the only real lead, and now it is basically tripled here, up to 1,500. So D+ getting that tempo back a little bit here as they look to also push this top turret, and the 1-3-1 composition can breathe a little bit here now, as this kick into the wall was absolutely the right call. Rich's placement of the equalizer is perfect. The Glacial Prison gives him enough time. He presses W to scrap shield out, but turns around one more time to look for Lucid, and obviously doesn't have flash to react to the rocket.
Oh, I mean, Rich is giving it absolutely everything in this series. But that is still so much money going over to Smash, who's got that cool new item, the MK thingy-jiggy, about the doing damage from a long way. The Caitlyn item. That's kind of fun. Is now Rich, oh god, has this matchup turned as he silences himself, and for another 46 seconds.
D+ starting to really pull away with this one. That's a huge win in the side. They get the turret. Now
and
top
Dusk
side,
and Dawn, man. Like, that was the completion, and now she was like, I run at him and kill him every time.
I win now. On the top side, UCal is keeping Showmaker back, but hold up.
Yeah, let's see whether Lucid can find an angle for a kick or something like that. Hook gonna connect onto the Serrani as Willa in a little bit of a rough spot. It does have Aftershock and the Glacial Armor. Doesn't have it now, as Lucid's just baiting them with some safeguarding and resonating strike shenanigans.
It looked like they were trying to set up a kick onto Willer that hits Gio, and then the Death Sentence comes over, but he doesn't find the angle. He just bails out right away from the whole situation by safeguarding back. Whew, this game is tense because it felt for a long time like the damage had been done. Like D+, we're not, I mean, this is a cooldown problem here for Rich. Just does not have his buttons and straight up dies. But the Dusk and Dawn playing a huge part in it. But it felt like for so much of this early game that D+ had not done enough. That yes, the Jinx was ahead, but was it going to amount to anything was the real question. And now we're looking at a world where I think the answer is they have enough control to now fight this dragon straight up and use this composition's win cons to its full effect. And they have pick. I mean, it's a 3-item Twisted Fate here for Showmaker. He's got the rapid fire cannon, and they kill anybody. Jinx gets excited with that sniper weapon that I can't remember the name of right now. It's pretty crazy work what they could do with it.
It's so far working out here. 3.7k the advantage is now. Willer is in a bit of trouble. Rich needs to be careful as well. Gets the equalizer down in a decent spot, but it's not going to save this Sejuani. Rich, oh, the longest rocket of all time. And Gio is very, very large, but he's tagged by Lucid and shut down. Andal's able to flash the wall. The zap will be avoided, but the damage, ladies and gentlemen, has been done. As D+, they're looking at taking this game number 5 with a Baron on the way.
And some things just feel inevitable. Showmaker's Twisted Fate helping to set this one all up. They turn this composition into a killing machine. Pick-based for the Jinx to get excited and just snipe people, run them down with that extra range, and that's exactly what happened in that last fight. 5.5k pushes up to 6.3 with the Baron take. And we keep watching these fights where Willer is trying to set something up on his own and ends up being kind of free food as he takes so much damage. Shio goes in, and when that first pick comes through, just watch Smash go.
And do you know what's ridiculous? The amount, it's called Hex Optics, by the way.
Thank you.
But the amount of value on that item, kind of absurd with the fact that everyone's flashing away from him while the auto attacks are in the air. It's making it even better.
It's crazy too, like, to get maximum value out of this item, you really have to trust that you are going to pop off, I think, with Jinx. With a lot of the other 80 carry, Caitlyn, frankly, you're like, okay, well, this will get value in almost every scenario. But with Jinx, you're like, all right, we trust. We're going to put our eggs in the Smash basket this time. He almost has, i.e., 4th item completed here. And I think D+ have done it, Atlas. I mean, I know we've talked about the throws, we talked about the comebacks, but I just don't see it in this game anymore. They have the 1-3-1 now fully online. It's a train chugging towards the station here.
Yeah, and this is the difficulty, right? DK's composition snowballs so incredibly effectively with the Gwen and the Twisted Fate in side lanes. It can really get to a checkmate scenario very quickly as Gio almost just dead. Super Mega Death Rocket almost finishes him off, and that's going to spell the end of this inner turret. Showmaker doing the same thing on this bottom side. And Lucid just making sure no one can defend. The Gwen's in the top lane. Like, it's actually just every lane is under threat. And there is a second one. So the Rebel Baron power play chugging above 3,000 now.
So if we entertain the possibility of a comeback here for DRX.
Got it.
Which is, of course, just theoretical only at this point. It's not based in any true feelings that we have or analytics we're trying to put in. It's going to be off the back of a big mistake. Let's say Lucid takes the wrong kick angle, or they push too deep with Showmaker without vision. It's going to be something
Showmaker like gates into the middle of the whole team.
Yes. Or just like misclicks and gates behind them and then just get collapsed on and dies. And even that is like, okay, Showmaker's dead, but then what are you going to do? You know, it's really about D+ making big errors here. And Baron is running out, but they're continuing to play measured, just trying to take every little piece off of the map, get this red buff, but don't overcommit, try to find a favorable angle here with this gold card, always fishing. And they have, you know, Lee Sin, Flash coming back up very soon. There's some kick angles. You can insect here with the siege that you have, with the map control you have. You don't have to get an inhibitor here at 28 minutes to feel like you've won the game.
Oh, Shio could be in a little bit of trouble here as Gate has been thrown down. And that just mitigates any sort of attempt at stopping Showmaker from doing what he wants, at stopping Xiu from doing what he wants, as they get all the information, they understand exactly what DRX are trying to do, and they can react accordingly. Now, with the Baron now worn off, Yukal fighting against Xiu here, as the equalizer comes on through. Lucid able to get himself out of the way. The Glacial Prison just goes wide, though. Xiu able to dash his way out. There's a gold card, but tagged by the Harpoon is Showmaker. He has the exhaust, but I think he's still dead. He goes golden first, but he's set up. Oh, the Lantern gets him out! As the rest of DRX, they're scrambling to try and finish off the kills, but that means Smash is able to auto-attack them. The Zap is going to tag Yukal. The flash hook picks up the Tristana career. You absolute gem, as Smash is basking in the fire. That's what he likes. And now Willer is going to get taken down. It's a triple, as she is going to die for the Quadra. And now Andal, the last one standing between Smash and a pentakill here in this game 5, and he's flashing for it. He knows that he can't take the turret for too much longer, though, as now Xiu thinking about trying to dive the fountain, and Andal will say no penta for you if we have to go to the lower bracket of these playoffs. And D+ Kia, oh man, they gave us as much action as possible here today in the LCK Cup playoffs, but they are going to win. They're going to keep the streak alive, and DRX going to have to try again next time to see whether they can take down D+ Kia. But this was the best shot they've taken in a very long time.
And maybe it came late, but in that last fight, the one chance for DRX to come back, Career hits the death sentence that matters, gets the cooldown reduction, comes in, hits it again. Because that peel was so necessary. If Yukal gets a reset in that fight, they might have been a full wipe, and that could have been the way back into the game for DRX. Instead, Career, despite having a rocky early game on this pick, makes it happen. And I think it's time to put the vote in the Showmaker column, because I do think that he had the most consistent performance here for D+. There were great moments for Lucid in this game as well. In this 5th and final game, 100% about him.
But I think that the consistency of Showmaker throughout the series
is why I have to go for him.
I would agree. I think Smash had a pretty good series as well. And honestly, when it mattered, most of D+ stepped up. I think Xiu had a rough one this time around, but I think a lot of that can be attributed to Rich just having a great series here, and Smash feeling a little bit tired after this one, and you could understand exactly why. A lot was on his shoulders. Picking the Jinx was very bold, and they managed to make it work. Career as well. I mean, he's dropping his stuff, but he doesn't need to stay coordinated now. He landed that hook, and he's allowed to be a little bit shaky after that.
Agreed. Wow. Lucid looked really emotional after some of the mistakes he made in game 1. CV Max came over and gave him a hug.
Yep.
And looking like, you know, finishing strong was what mattered most here. This draft for D+ felt really risky. We weren't super sold on it, but it was comfort to the 9,000th level for these players. Maybe outside of Career, when you look at Smash playing Jinx, your world skin, TF for Showmaker, Lucid on the Lee Sin, Xiu on Gwen. Like,
yeah, on a carry as well for Xiu is such a big deal as well. And even though he did get solo killed and got bopped, like this moment here, absolutely huge for Rich. But then he returned the favor in the bottom lane, and it really felt like as soon as Xiu is able to just kill Rich under turret, I mean, the game is so hard.
2 of these wins for DRX, right, were their resilience, their comebacks, being able to keep D+ down when D+ had a massive lead. And it felt for the first time in this series, when it mattered most in the final game, D+ showed their resilience, showed their Game 5 draft, showed that they would not lose this game despite the deficits, despite this Fed Rumble, making clutch plays like this. And Lucid may just very well get the POM because of this 5th game, and it was the one that sealed the deal, and I wouldn't even hate it. I wouldn't hate if Smash gets it.
No, I don't mind it. I was thinking about like who should get the POM, and I'm like, honestly, just give it to it. As long as the D+ player gets it, it's fine. Maybe it's not Korea's best showing, and Xiu didn't exactly have the greatest one, but the other 3, just flip a 3-sided coin.
Speaking of Career, this final fight here, like they back out, right? Xiu has to flash out. Yukal is looking for a reset. He's like, I am so close to, if I kill anybody here, just wiping them and getting a pentakill. Career This hook's not the one that matters, but gets the Lantern onto Showmaker. And then right here, grabs Yukal, stops him from following up. And from that on, that's basically the end of the fight for DRX, but he puts the cherry on top.
Flash hook. Just gorgeous. But like actually like nailing the execution in that intense moment, it's a big deal here for the young player. Smash unfortunately had his penta denied, but you can't have everything, and just a victory in this series I think is the biggest deal, as Smash just didn't want to die underneath the turret. That was unfortunately tanked by him. So we are gonna have a look at some of these damage numbers. Ultimately in the end Smash did do the most, but Rich did a big deal.
All I could say about the rest of LCK, right, the non-T1, non-Genji, that's where everybody else is. There is just something about this year, the start of it, that feels like we're on more parity than since I joined the LCK. I've never felt like any team could beat any other team this hard, and that we'd have back-to-back game 5s with clear favorites. It's going to be a great year, and then for Showmaker, he starts it off in a great way here as well, picking up player of the match. He was my vote. I don't think you had to vote for him, but his consistency was real.
Yeah, I do think that this is largely about the Zoe game. The Zoe game was so incredibly good and looked brilliant on the pickup. The Talia as well, really making me eat my words, because I've really felt like Talia's done not a lot of damage. The build helped out with the Leandries that Orcs pointed out, and we did on cast. But Showmaker getting ready for the interview here. And D+, they really had to work for this, and I think D+ fans should be feeling a whole lot better after a series like this, where they were pushed, where they were actually held accountable for keeping it together towards the late game, and they tightened up the play. The last game especially, I mean, that felt like a well-oiled machine, so we know they have it in them. They just need to make sure that they play like that every time.
Every time, and I think we need to see more drafts like that. I think we need to see more lean-ins to the comfort picks here for D+ to get them potentially to that top 3 in Hong Kong.
Yeah, and this is like what we were talking about a year ago in the LCK Cup, where Showmaker was so incredibly good at like picking the crazy in the that Fearless was made for this guy and made for this team. And we'll see whether that's going to be what they can find. But now, speaking of which, let's head it over to Showmaker for the interview.
Thank you very much for the handoff, guys. This is Dear for the POM interview translation. We have Showmaker on the side of D+ Kia. After 6 days, you won your rematch against DRX to advance to playoffs round 2. How do you feel? You know, just like we have met them again after 6 days, it felt like they were well prepared to face us again. So it was actually a lot tougher than we expected. And this was actually your 16th match winning streak against DRX. And many predicted that it would be a 3-0 or a 3-1 score, but it went the full distance. So did you expect that? You know, it was a best of 5, and I think given that we dropped game 1, it could be easily, you know, assumed that it would be a really long and exhausting game or match. So I think, yeah, in the end, after game 1, we just kind of had a feeling that it was going to be difficult. And you dropped games 1 and 3, but you ultimately won the series. So what was tricky about DRX? I think DRX is actually quite bold and fearless about engaging into a team fight, and that's what actually ended up being tricky. And game 2, your early game was dominant with 10k gold lead, but at some point it went south. And you were playing Ignite Zoe with a total damage of over 60k. So what was your game plan? You know, I thought they were actually going to flex pick the Sylas top, but then it actually came to mid, and I think it was actually what kind of caught us off guard. But I wanted to go ahead and make sure that I win the matchup. But because Zoe actually falls off in the late game, you know, I felt like I wouldn't be able to do too much at the very end, but I ended up hitting a lot of my skill shots, and I think that's why I was able to do that much damage. And game 4, the enemy had Kalista and Renata with the intention to play around bot for Drake. So, what was your team's approach in this game? I think Kalista and Renata. Actually, their strategy is pretty quite clear, so that they would try to make sure that they take all Drakes and get the soul. But in the end, we actually ended up taking all the Drakes, so I was pretty happy about that. And then the silver scrapes came in. Of course, we cannot miss out on the celebration, and you were so busy playing on stage and doing celebration. So what mindset did you go into game 5 with? Game 5, I went in thinking that I really want to win. I had to win no matter what, and I think my desperation actually played out pretty well. And in game 5, you gave away the top tier pick, Rumble, and your team took Gwen, Lee Sin, and your Twisted Fate. So did your draft go as planned? I think Rumble is always banned. And in the end, she was the one who actually said that he can face and deal with Rumble pretty well. So honestly, I think our draft went around, trying to deny the Rumble as well. And Tristana is actually really good against Twisted Fate. So going into Tristana, I was kind of scared. But I think our comp had enough tools to actually deal with her as well. So I think we felt pretty good about the game overall. And for playoffs round 2, Genji is about to select their opponent. Between BNK Fearx and D plus Kia, who do you think they're going to pick? Every time there are high stakes in this important news, I'm always the POM and you always ask that question. I feel like they're just going to pick me. Yes, we just got the news that Genji has selected D plus Kia, just like you said. So tomorrow you will face them right away. So what is your mindset going into tomorrow's match? This time around, I want to make sure we will 100% try to win this matchup. So please look forward to our victory tomorrow. And that's the end of the interview with Showmaker, and back to the desk. Thank you.